Yeah! Yes! Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. We are here live for the KKUPFL Tier 1 auction draft. I'm here, your host, Elon Dubrovsky. With me, I have two guests today. I have, of course, the fantasy hockey robot, Brian Kalm, who's going to be drafting.
Yeah, this is a first, Elon, a modern broadcasting media fantasy hockey first. I'm going to be swearing in real time as I watch players that I wanted to have be bid outside of my budget. So that's going to be really exciting for me and everybody else.
Yeah, I don't know. We might be breaking new ground here. So we've got Brian here who's going to be drafting. We don't know how much we're going to hear from him. He might be having some other things on his mind, but we're also joined by auction draft expert. You know him from the 2 auction draft episodes we've done this year and last year. Jeff Good.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for joining us, Jeff.
I'm excited for an auction.
This is very exciting. So we are live on YouTube for the people who are here. Thanks everyone for joining. I'm sharing my screen. The people who are watching live, tell me, are you able to see the draft okay? What you see, is that helpful for you? Are the numbers too big? Let me know in the chat room how that's looking. The plan is we're just going to talk about this draft. Like Jeff and I are going to see the picks coming in, the nominations, the picks. Jeff, what are you looking for? What are you excited for in this draft? What are you curious about what's going to happen?
I'm just interested to see all the different little auction dynamics play out.
Right, and there's some like right at the start, right? Like I feel like right at the start of an auction draft, you learn, are people bidding big or are people going to be conservative? And that like probably really identifies how the draft is going to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether people are being aggressive and bidding a lot early, or if they're kind of holding back and maybe, just letting players go for what looks like a high price, but might not be such a bad price when the bidding gets going.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, Brian is messaging me from the side here.
I have a concern about doing this live, and I think someone on the broadcast, I have Sidney Crosby in my nomination queue just as a test to see can the general public, aka my potential opponents,
they cannot.
Okay.
They are seeing my screen. I'm seeing that it is a bit, some people are saying in the chat room that it's a bit blurry. But then Jeremy's asking, even in full screen, is it blurry? Full screen is better. Perfect. All right. So guys, now you know, be in full screen. Okay. So Brian, how do you feel? Maybe Brian, you can tell it. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
You can maybe zoom your screen so it's not showing, like, because I don't think that people watching need to see like the queue or chat area, just like available players and the rosters and stuff.
Unless it's fun to see the chat. I don't know. I was kind of just going to share this whole screen. Like, I don't know if I can zoom in on just one
I'm
part.
okay for you to share it.
I don't actually have that option, guys. So we're going to have to share this whole screen. Brian,
all right.
I'm curious, but apparently people are saying that they can see it if they zoom in. So also, by the way, I'll try to jump into the chat room every once in a while, but obviously got lots of screens here. But okay, Brian, how do you feel? How have you been preparing for this? What are you thinking right now?
Okay, so the truth is that I had done very little preparation in advance of today, other than, having a fantasy hockey podcast where I do constant research. And I think that was like a way for me to handle any stress and not be concerned about what's about to happen. Just be like, you know what? I'll show up. I'm confident in myself and everything's going to go all right. And then I went on this flurry of activity this morning in which you, Elon, threw my entire auction drafting philosophy into question. And now I have no idea. I really don't know. Like, I could share my strategy right now with everybody, except it would probably just be like me coughing into the microphone. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Well, what is this thing you're saying that shattered your whole plan?
Okay, so you mentioned, well, Elon, you're comfortable with this, right? Because you're auction drafting tomorrow.
Oh yeah, well, that's okay. You know what? For the good of the show, I'm gonna let you, don't share every little thing. Go ahead. I think I know what you're gonna say.
You were considering spending a lot of money on a goalie who you thought was going to give you a big edge, and the money that you were expecting to spend on this goalie was going to far exceed, say, the goalie who's like the 2 or 3 spots down on our own rankings.
Yeah, Brian, I know you're trying to protect my anonymity here or whatever. Let's just say it. I was wondering whether or not it's worth it to spend a lot of money on Carey Price, and maybe Jeff can chime in on this as well. But like looking at some projections, you see Carey Price as having such a high save percentage compared to all the other goalies. And a reminder, this is for the KKUPFL. The goalie categories are wins, saves, and save percentage, but it's not exactly wins and saves. It's like wins is made up of a composite category of 2 times for a win and 1 for an overtime loss or shootout loss. And then saves, it's actually we're using save points. So it's the number of saves minus 8 times a goal against, which means that just having a goalie that gets a lot of saves isn't going to help you win that save points category. You also need a goalie that's not going to let in a lot of goals. And I was just looking at these projections. It looks like Carey Price, if he's going to have like a 930 save percentage and, 13, 14 save points a game, seems to me like that makes him really valuable compared to the other goalies. So that's why I was thinking of him. Brian, I see that the draft has started, but you just suspended it.
I paused it. I paused it so that we can finish this conversation.
Okay, let's just finish this one conversation and then we could get going. Yeah.
It's also because I'm terrified and I'll take any excuse to delay the draft any further.
Yeah, that's fair. So anyway, that's just what I was wondering. Auction strategy, is it worth it to spend a lot? And that's probably the struggle the whole way through, right? Do you spend a lot of money on the players that you know are going to be good, or do you want to maybe spread it out over good but not like amazing guys? Jeff, any thoughts? The last thing we'll say before the draft starts.
Well, I think with Price, it's just, I mean, if he makes 60 starts or thereabouts, he should be the best goalie in the format. It's how much faith you have in him making all those starts. Like, how much are you worried about his injury?
Yeah, for me, I'm not even worried. It's just like, what position is the one, if I'm going to go big on one player, which position is it going to be? And the answer is, I don't know. It could be anywhere from 0, I think, to 3 or maybe 4 positions going into the draft. My ethos has always been, I don't know how much I want to share because I think people are listening in my draft right now. But I guess I've always felt like not making a plunge in the first 10 to 20 picks and thinking that will help me have some more flexibility down the road. But Elon, thanks to this conversation we had earlier today, I actually, that was what I was going to do. And now I couldn't tell you. So thanks for that.
Well, I'm sure it won't take long for us to see what Carey Price goes for and if you decide to get him. By the way, okay, I'm just going to lay the groundwork and then we're going to start. Okay, there's 14 people in this draft. I probably should have said this at the beginning. 14 people in the draft. They're all the people who were tier 1 in the KKUPFL last season. These are all people who either came first or second in their league. These are the elite fantasy players. 14 of them. They're filling rosters of 18 spots, and the league's categories are goals, assists, shots, blocks, special teams points. So 5 skater categories, and then, like I said, wins, save points, save percentage for goalies. And with that, Brian, how about we start the draft?
Okay, so I'm just gonna check with Dan because he's up first, and I told him before I resumed it. Obviously, it's his turn. I'm gonna check with him if he's ready to go.
Okay, and then we'll start. And then I guess the plan is I'm going to be the play-by-play guy. Jeff's going to give the color commentary. And Brian, anytime you want to chime in with how you're feeling about something, go ahead. I won't ask you any direct questions while you're drafting. So it's up to you. Here we go. Brian is saying he's going to do it. I'm reading what you're saying in the chat.
And the draft is now upon us. 25 seconds on the clock for the first nomination. Dan said it's for me. So I'm concerned that's either going to be Carlson or Panarin.
Well, it's Erik Karlsson is the first guy nominated on the list. So exciting. He's going to go for a lot. We're already at $33, up to $34. Like, I'll even just wait till it settles before I say, but like a lot of players have been bidding on him. Brian put in a bid, I see. Right now, Darren Helm's deep is 46. Like, Jeff, how high do you think Karlsson should go?
He went for like 55 or 57 in the unofficial draft that I did. So he should be in that, over 50, which he already is now.
Yeah, he's already at 51, 52. It's still going. Wow, I was expecting that 55 would be around where like Carey Price would go. We're seeing already Erik Karlsson. He's at 54. Yep. Value over replacement for defenseman is so important. Like, there's Karlsson and then Brent Burns, who I'd imagine will go around the same amount. So we're probably setting an amount for Karlsson. 54. Sold. $54. Erik Karlsson goes to Analytics Anonymous.
To the guy who nominated him, interestingly enough.
Wow. So
I now can share my other strategy, which was to bid my max bid $243 on Erik Karlsson and then go take a nap for a few hours.
And then just like let it auto draft. Or no, then you'd get your $1 guys at the end. All right, Crosby is now on the board. Jeff, what do you think about the $54 for Karlsson? Too high or just right?
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to get you a lot of points. And he did good for blocks last year. We'll see if the Ottawa coach reins him in. Yep. Guy Boucher maybe will say, stop blocking shots. We want you to stay healthy. Crosby's already at 55 right now. 3, 2, oh, no, outbid. This is so exciting.
You're still working out exactly how you want to run this broadcast.
We'll figure it out. We have like 3 hours, so it'll get better hopefully as we go.
I wanna like a mirrored podcast available of you saying the exact same things 3 hours from now, just to hear the difference that's going to be apparent.
So Crosby just went for $56. Is there a place for me to see what the past bids are? I don't see that. That's frustrating.
That is why there is, but you have to open it in a totally different window.
Can you tell me where?
That was Boats Are Cool got Crosby for 56.
Above the draft order, the nomination order, there's a magnifying
McDavid
glass.
is going for 50.
Okay, I'll have to find it. Okay, McDavid just went for 50. Crosby went for 56. Wow, a lot of money being spent early.
I'm not even paying attention. I didn't even know McDavid was up there.
All right, Brian.
This is bad. I'm tapping out. I'm saying goodbye for a few minutes.
Yeah, Brian, you don't need to be part. You mute your microphone. Okay, Jeff and I have it. Braden Holtby is now up on the board, the first goalie. Yep. We've had over $50 for the first 3 guys. Holtby's going to set the standard for goalies, I have a feeling. Him and Price should probably go for around the same amount. We're already at $45. Jeff, who would you want more, Holtby or Price in our format?
It's tough. I'd probably lean Holtby just because dependability, but
yeah, like he's like the thing with Holtby is he's gonna get you a lot of wins, but people don't project him to have as high a save percentage as someone like Carey Price. Like Holtby last year, his save percentage was, I'm bringing it up here, .922, very good. But I've seen projections of Price for like over 30. So he's already at $50, 51. We're over Connor McDavid right now. Hanson Brothers has the bid here. And is he someone who's already drafted someone? That's the other question. I'll be interested to see who is drafting multiple of these $50 guys. Are you able to keep track of that, Jeff, as we go? Which guys have already taken people?
A bit, yeah.
All right, so you could chime in. Holtby goes for $53 to Hanson Brothers. Okay, wow. So all big $50+ guys. I wonder who's gonna be here's gonna be another one for sure. Alex Ovechkin, a freeze bid right at the start. Someone bid $50. Every day I'm Bufflin went $50. Alex Ovechkin. Let's see if someone's gonna outbid him. There's 10 seconds left in the countdown. Cool strategy. Oh, 51. He got outbid. Yep. I feel like if Crosby goes for 53 in our format, Ovechkin has to go for at least that because he gives you all those shots. Oh, $51. I'm surprised. I think it might be a bargain.
Yeah, could be. We'll see how the rest of the top elite skaters play out.
Okay, so Jeff, just for this quick second, can you tell me where I could see the past bids? Because I'm not finding it anywhere.
It's not super obvious in Fantrax, which is a little annoying.
But is it something you could tell me?
Well, I haven't been able to pull them to the sheet we were going to try to keep them in.
Yeah, I'd love to just be able to see what the previous purchases have been. Patrick Kane's on the board now, by the way, already up to 37. Mm-hmm. He's going to go for a lot. Frustrating that I can't find how to do this.
Yeah, in the unofficial keeper league, he was the first nomination, got bid to 45, like right off the bat, and that was a successful freeze. And I think he was a bargain in that draft. So
how much did he
now? He went for 45 in that one as the first nomination, which was interesting.
But now he's already at 50, and it looks like he's going to be purchased for that, sold for 50. So maybe it would have been better to do a freeze bid for him, but either way, he's gone now. That's a good
animal's first buy.
Yeah, wow. So we're still only have been $50 guys. Brian is telling me that I should you get the info from the magnifying glass above the draft order yes. Okay, now I'm good. Now I have the ability to see all this stuff. This will be helpful. So what do we got? Malkin on the board. He's probably gonna be the first guy who goes less than $50. He's already at 39. Someone who could put up elite production, but is he gonna stay healthy? And is he gonna be healthy when you need him?
Yeah, the only question on Malkin is how many games he plays. Also worth noting, the owner. Oh man, that Fantrax auction year is awful. By the way.
Oh yeah, turn off your sound for sure.
One owner bought both Crosby and Ovechkin.
Oh wow! So yeah, he's going really big.
Bow ties are cool. Bought both of them.
So he's definitely doing a stars and studs strategy. So it looks like Malkin is taken, and now we're on to Steven Stamkos. Malkin goes to Jay, new team 7. Jay, you got to name your team. But I guess he has other important things on his mind right now. And now
Stamkos is in the 40s.
Yeah, like Stamkos is definitely, he's kind of also a question mark just because, I don't know, I feel like he didn't have as great of a year last year as some of these other elite guys, more like a 70-point guy, but a lot of us think that he's going to be able to bounce back. It
Yeah,
seems,
he was also hurt in the playoffs and stuff, so.
yeah, though he still went for, how much did he just go for? 43. So that seems about right. I feel like Malkin at 40, Stamkos at 43, and then you have a tier above where we have Crosby and McDavid. Crosby actually 56. I don't know why I thought 53, and McDavid here 50. And now we're at Carey Price. This is the one we were talking about leading into the show. So just a reminder, Holtby went for 53. The bid's already at 41 for Price. Obviously, that's going to be going a bit higher. I'm really excited to see where he'll go for.
So, which team name is Brian's?
Brian is the Flamingos.
Oh, he's the Flamingos. All right.
We're already up to 44, and it seems like the bids are slowing down. Maybe he's going to be able to go for less than Holtby. I would have thought actually Price going for more. The bid's at 45 right now to the Chiefs. Oh, no, up 46.
Chiefs and Cheaters are still trading bids right now, so.
What's the strategy? If you want a guy, do you wait until like it's like going once, going twice sold, and then like bid right before that, or do you want to get in on the bidding right away? Price goes for 46, by the way.
Yeah, it does tell a little bit how quickly you put your bid in.
Is there anything wrong with just waiting? Like, I feel like if I know I want a guy and other people are bidding on him, I'd rather let them do the whole bidding war, set the price, and then only jump in at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if bids are going pretty quickly, I tend to wait. But here we've got just for reference, we've got Brent Burns on the block at 49 at the moment. Carlson went for what, 55 or 53?
Carlson went for 54.
54. So.
Yeah, and so by the way, it was Price went for 46 compared to Holtby's 53. Brent Burns is already at 52, and like you said, Carlson for 54. They're about the same, I think, in this format.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my numbers have them very comparable.
It's very interesting. So Burns goes for 52. Carey Price went for 46. Is this just a matter of order? Do you think if Price went up before Holtby, that the prices would have been reversed and Holtby would have been the guy who went for less?
It's hard to say.
And same with Carlson and Burns. I wonder if people are spending more money early and then maybe it's worth it to wait. I guess that's one of the big strategies. You have to decide if you should wait a little while. Brian, by the way, still doesn't have anyone. We're down 10 picks. I guess that means there's still also 5 other people who don't have anything, considering Bow Ties Are Cool has 2 guys, Crosby and Ovechkin. What a team to start, Crosby and Ovechkin. I wonder who we should track Bow Ties Are Cool and see who he gets near the end. He's probably going to have a lot of $1 guys. Jamie Benn, already at $45. Ben is so valuable in this format because basically he and Ovechkin are in a tier on their own for left wingers. You have to go down to, I guess, like Taylor Hall, who's obviously good. But Jamie Benn's like I think the only pretty much for sure point per game left winger left on the board. We'll see how high he goes for. Already at 49, not surprising. Still with me, Jeff?
Yep.
Okay, cool. We're still figuring this out. Okay, Ben up to 51. So Ovechkin went for 51, which is pretty crazy, right? Like Ovechkin and Ben just went for the same price. I feel like Ovechkin, I should have actually said Ovechkin's on a tier by himself, and then Ben comes lower just because goals and shots are both categories. Jamie Benn for $51. I don't know. Maybe that's a lot, or maybe it's just that Ovechkin was so little. I still am surprised that Ovechkin went for 51 versus Crosby at 56.
Yeah, I mean, at this level, a few dollars is kind of margin of error, but it's interesting that Ben went for the same as Ovechkin.
Yeah, it's also, I think it's one of those things where at this point in the draft, these owners have so much money available to them. Like, what's another $1 or $2? And then when we get down to it, like in a couple of hours, when they want a guy for $3, but they could only afford $2, I'm like, did I really need to spend that 51 on Ben when I could have had Taylor Hall for 40? It'll be interesting to see what he goes for. Oh, we got another goalie on the board now, Ben Bishop, up to $38. Remember, Holtby went for 53, Price for 46, and we're already at 39 for Ben Bishop.
Yeah, and at those prices, I'd prefer Price.
Yeah, wow. Like
Price for 46 over Holtby for 53.
Yeah, and Bishop now goes for 49. So
for Bishop. So that's
still seems high, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends how you think about Bishop. Like, he's on a great team. He had such an amazing year last year. I'm curious to see how he'll compare to this next tier of goalies. You know, like when we get into the Schneiders and the Lundqvists and the
Yeah.
Jonathan Quicks, are they going to be around 39 like Bishop, or are they going to be at a price below?
Yeah, Schneider's an interesting one. I keep seeing Schneider go really expensive or really high in drafts.
Right.
Also worth
Well,
noting,
mhm.
Every Day I Am Bufflin bought both Steven Stamkos and Ben Bishop, so you got a pair of lightning on that team.
Yeah, Corey Schneider is just the kind of guy who, you know, he's always been solid for save percentage. Last year, 924, the year before, 925. Like, he's been solid there. You know he's going to give you good save percentage. The question is wins, though New Jersey does have Taylor Hall, so maybe we'll see a new look New Jersey Devils. Speaking of Bufflin, he just got sold for $32.
Mm-hmm. Which that price feels about right to me.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have much D that's been taken yet. Like we said, like basically it was Carlson and Brent Burns, and now Bufflin goes for 32. And I see like a lot of defensemen close to Bufflin. Like I have a feeling we're gonna have our, you know, Webbers and Giordano's. Maybe they're like a little bit lower, but I feel like those are the D that go around $30. I guess we'll see how that goes, or if Bufflin.
Yeah, there's a bunch in that range, but there's like no defensemen in like the 40s.
Yeah, it's interesting how we go from 50 to 30 basically. Even though we'll see maybe Chris Letang is someone who I've seen in some drafts going higher. He's of course a big injury risk. We've got a big name on the board right now though, Tyler Seguin already at 42.
Yeah, he's got some preseason health concerns at the moment, but
yeah,
see
so
if he lands a discount or goes at full price.
Yeah, it's at 45 right now, which seems, is that full price?
Pretty close.
I mean, I guess if we had Crosby again at 50, okay, I think I'll stop mentioning Crosby because I feel like he went for a lot. Connor McDavid went for 50, and we have Seguin at 46, so that seems about even, and he sold 46. Yeah, that's I guess around what I'd expect him to go for. It'll be more interesting once we have these names on the board. Then as new players come, we could compare like what you could have had versus what people did have. I wonder if we'll be able to see anyone having any regrets in the chat room. It's a lot to follow here. Well, no, let us know if you're drafting and listening to us. You're probably not. Brian, by the way,
no discount on Tyler Seguin going to the same team as Jamie Benn.
Oh, people are going for the tandem. So we have the Lightning tandem and now the Dallas tandem. I don't know if you call a goalie and a center a tandem in Tampa Bay. Oh, another big center coming up now, John Tavares. Do you expect him to go higher or lower than Seguin?
Interesting to see. I've got him in kind of the same range.
Yeah, I feel like I wonder, like we'll see new team 10, who I wish this team would have named their team. Maybe when I get a second, I'll go and see who that is. But he's the one who bid, like you said, on Seguin and Ben. 46 for Seguin, 51 for Ben. I'm curious to know if Tavares is someone he could have gotten for the same price or for lower. He's already at 39 right now. If he goes for 39, oh no, he's up to 40. Yeah, because that's still a lot lower than Seguin at 46. I guess Tavares also last year had a bit of a dip in his production, so maybe he could come at a bit of a discount. Only 70 points in 78 games.
Yeah. I also wonder if a new team 10 was in Sototali last year. There was someone in that league who bought Ben and Seguin in that auction. So I wonder if that's the same owner. Ooh,
I could help look at that. Maybe.
There's definitely something to getting all of their points.
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be exciting when Dallas is playing. That's for sure. All right, so let's see what's going on here. So Tavares went for 44. Okay, so basically the same as Seguin, 44 and 46, like a couple percentage off. Maybe the biggest news story right now, the Flamingos, Brian's team, still hasn't bought anybody. So he passed on the top goalies. He's passed on the top defense and centers and left wings. Has a right wing gone yet? It doesn't look like it. Maybe he's going for the top right wing, or maybe he's just going to pass on all the top guys. We have Philip Forsberg, another left wing on the board right now, up to $28.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to rearrange my screen, try to get more information available to me at one time. This is a new format, people. So when we do this next year, then we'll really see this being done well. Yeah. So
we'll notice is we don't have a lot of time to talk about a pick before the next guy's up.
Yeah, exactly.
So the pace is brisk.
I'm seeing here now. So Forsberg's up to 34. I would love to go and Yeah, and see how much he went for. Because you did it. So why don't you talk about this other draft that you did? By the way, you made a draft with some of the patrons of Keeping Carlson, a keeper league, right?
Yep. Yeah. Since I was disappointed not being able to auction this year, I started a unofficial patron keeper auction keeper league, which has even more letters in its acronym.
The UKKPFHKL. That's fun.
Yep.
So Forsberg goes for $35. Compare that to what he went in the UKKF. Okay, I'm just gonna call that the other league, 27. So a lot more, and I'm surprised you'd think in a keeper league, Forsberg would go for more than in the 1-year league, but no, he goes a hefty price that someone just paid for Philip Forsberg at $35. Maybe that's just because the draft is early on. Hopefully, this person has a good plan.
Yeah, it's easier to click that bid button in the first hour of the draft.
Yeah, well, like we said, when you have a lot of money. So now we're at Henrik Lundqvist. This is where things get pretty interesting. And he got sold for 31. Wow.
Yeah.
So that's definitely setting a price. Like Ben, remember, Bishop went for 39. Let's forget about the top guys. Now we're down to 31 for Lundqvist. So definitely someone is very excited about Bishop over Henrik Lundqvist. I do agree that Bishop seems to be on a better team for next year. I wonder who's going to have the better save percentage. Lundqvist obviously had some struggles last year, but $31 might be a steal compared to Bishop at least. Maybe still too early to tell. And on the other side,
we've got a Gaudreau up for bid right now.
Oh yeah, so that's another left wing. It's interesting that we had Philip Forsberg, a left wing, go for 35. Gaudreau's already at 36. I guess that makes sense. Gaudreau was like a guy who almost hit a point per game last year. We'll see if he ends up going for that. Still no Flamingos. And he won't get Gaudreau either. He goes for $36. And we're back to Everyday I'm Bufflin, the guy who has Stamkos and Bishop. I wonder who he'll put up for bid. You want to talk quickly about your strategy of deciding who to put up for bid?
Yeah, early I might put up a guy that I want just because like I'm building around that guy. Like I'm going to get, say Burns or Carlson, I want to get him. But otherwise, once I'm at a point where I'm not actively buying someone, I'm throwing up someone that I don't need.
Interesting.
Just to get that money off the table.
Yeah, I guess especially in a draft like this where it seemed like people were spending high at the beginning, maybe it is worth it to try to get people to spend money on guys you don't want. I was wrong, by the way. Patrick Kane went. He was the first right wing and the only right wing that's been off the board so far. But now Phil Kessel is on the board. Patrick Kane went for $50. Kessel's at 31 right now. I remember I saw Kessel look like he went for a pretty cheap price in your draft, only $28. He's at 32 now in this one, and it's still going.
I think that's mostly just where he was nominated.
Right. Oh, did he fall further in the nominations in your draft?
Yeah, he was like the 30th player nominated.
Okay, and here he just got sold for $33, and that's the 19th nominated. So it's very interesting. Like the order of nomination, I feel like maybe we'll learn something from this draft as we go, just to see like how is it that it affects it. Like who you put up for bid. Oh, here's an interesting one, by the way. Cam Talbot, $25. Was that a freeze bid? Did Darren Helmsdeep just go 25 on Cam? Oh, and now he's outbid. I'm surprised.
26. Talbot
went for so much lower in your draft. I noticed that he was like one of the lower bid guys. He was $14. Now his bid's already up to 27. Why do you think the big difference? I guess people are really excited about the Oilers and Connor McDavid helping to get them some wins. Talbot last year, as we know, half the year was great, half the year not so great. Ended with a .917 save percentage, which is pretty much average. $28 for Cam Talbot. And compare that to the last goalie that went off was Lundqvist at 31. Is he at that tier? I don't know. Maybe
I don't know.
number one Cheevers might have overspent a little bit. Hopefully, he'll listen to this and be like, they don't know what they're talking about. Maybe at the end of the year, we'll have to go back and listen and see who we were really wrong about. That seems like the first really big overbid to me anyways. And now
I think Forsberg was a little high, but
right. Yeah. Forsberg.
Those are the two that the owners are most likely to regret when they see prices later.
Yeah, and we'll post these results if you're listening to this after the fact that we post on keepingcarlson.com. We'll figure out a way to share this with you. Okay, what have we missed here? Daniel Sedin goes for $17, and now it looks like, and that was to Everyday I'm Bufflin, the same guy who has Bishop and Steven Stamkos. Number one Cheevers, by the way, the guy who got Cam Talbot, he also has Carey Price. So he's got his two goalies with the only two people he had, and I guess he had a plan who he wants in net. It's not bad. Two number one goalies who have the potential. Well, Price is like a whole tier by himself, and Talbot is like maybe a reach, but I guess if that's who he wanted, he's going with the goalie first strategy. He wants to get those wins, saves, and save percentage. He'll at least have a good chance for saves and save percentage. Who knows if Montreal and Edmonton will be able to give him the wins that he needs to compete in that category. Claude Giroux on the board right now. I noticed that Brian made a bid on him, but he already got outbid by Talk to Dehan. Cool team name. And so we'll see now if the Flamingos want to outbid him. He did, and then Jay New Team 7 jumps in. It's kind of fun commentating on a live bidding action. I'm sure Brian right now, Brian, are you with us? He's probably like, damn it, I thought I could finally get my first guy. But he got outbid, and he gets sold for $36 to J New Team 10. It looks like the Flamingos, Brian's team, he only wanted to go up to like 32. $36 for Giroux.
Not talking to you guys too intense.
Brian, come on. You got to chat with us. Okay, no, just kidding. Come on when you feel like it. You know, comparing to other centers who have been drafted, Giroux at 36.
Yeah, I like that price a lot.
Like Tyler Seguin went for 46, and Giroux is someone who could potentially still be a point per game guy. Oh yeah, and John.
I don't think he'll be that far behind him.
Yeah, John Tavares at 44. That does seem like a really good price. Brian just sent me a private message saying, I don't know, maybe he doesn't want me to read his private messages. Brian, tell me if you don't want me to say, but he's mentioning that Jay is stacked. What Jay's got already Malkin, Forsberg, Kessel, and Giroux. So he's spent a lot of his money. He's already spent $144. He only has 116 left. So he's already spent more than half of his budget. We'll see how that affects him.
Yep. And Eichel just sold for 25.
25 for Jack Eichel. That might be a really good deal too.
I don't know. He's got to take a leap forward to make that price.
Yeah, but if anyone
is like a step forward, but man.
Yeah, well, if anyone's going to take a leap forward, I feel like it could be Eichel, right? He had 56 points last year in his rookie year with 238 shots. So he's someone that has shown himself to be capable of putting a lot of shots on net. Hopefully, if he could have a higher shooting percentage, get a few more goals. Well, he actually did have a decent shooting percentage. I don't know. I could see him getting to 65 points, and then maybe he's worth it at 25. Another rookie or young center, Kuznetsov, goes for 30. I don't know. I guess I've shared my opinions about Kuznetsov on the show. I'd rather have Eichel. Give me the guy who's going to be on the top line, top power play, taking more shots on goal. But $30 for Kuznetsov.
Yeah, my numbers are kind of down on Kuznetsov, mostly because of the power play role. Like, yeah, he was great at even strength, but does that repeat with Backstrom in the lineup the whole year, and he's not on that top power play. So,
by the way,
power points are a big factor in the elite player value, but $30 seems fine.
Yeah. Wow. By the way, we have a really big, exciting war going on for Chris Letang. He's up to $49. Which, if you remember,
and Brian's in on him.
Erik Karlsson went for 54, and then Brent Burns went for 52. I thought that they would be going for a lot more than Letang just because of the injury concern, but he ends up being sold for $49. Brian still doesn't get it. Brian didn't want to spend the 49. Don't relegate me, bro. So yeah, I guess he's referring to the fact that the bottom three teams in this year's Tier 1 league are going to have to jump down to Tier 2 next year. And actually, last place is going to go all the way down to Tier 3. So yeah, you don't want to get relegated. I guess it might help to have Chris Letang in your lineup, but for $49, wow, that is a lot. I feel like a lot of people maybe planning for tomorrow's draft, including myself, are now wondering.
Here's a real interesting player up for bid, Matt Murray.
Yeah, so he's injured, which there is some benefit, right? If you could just draft an injured guy, he goes for 15. That could be a steal.
Which is about half what he went for in the unofficial keeper league.
Yeah, but of course it's different if you're in a keeper league and a one-year league. You're talking about a chipper like Matt Murray. The nice thing about someone like Matt Murray, I feel like, is that you can draft him, throw him in your IR right away, and take someone else, which could be nice. It's sort of an extra person on your roster that then later on you could decide who you want more. Obviously, you're gonna keep Matt Murray, but I mean, in terms of for your lower guys, hopefully he'll come back and take the job for Every Damn Bufflin, who is another guy who's already spent a lot of money. We've mentioned his name a lot. What do I got?
I'll be interested to see if he's in on the bidding for Fleury too.
For some reason on this Fantrax UI, I'm seeing everyone shows their balance and how much they've spent. Oh, here it is. He spent 114 and has 146 left. The Flamingos have spent 0.
And
Ryan, what is he doing? And now Vladimir Tarasenko goes to talk to Dehan for $47. I mean, can't argue with that, right? Like Tarasenko's going to be a top guy. He deserves to go for top guy money. I think 47 is very reasonable. Phil,
and I'd be happy with that as my first buy, which is it is for Talk to Dehan. So.
Oh, he wasn't. Oh, yeah, he outbid Brian at one point, but then someone else jumped in. Yeah, Tarasenko is like a guy who gets drafted in the first round in most snake drafts. So maybe 40. He's not like getting a great deal, but that's a good price. Like Patrick Kane, who's probably the top center, went for 50. So he's pretty close to Patrick Kane price. Probably Patrick Kane is better. But that's why I went for $3 more.
Yeah. Got Jonathan Quick up right now. Who I was happy to get at only 33 in the keeper draft.
That seems good. It seems like he's going to go lower. He's at 27 right now, and the bids are slowing down. For goalies, so far we've had Matt Murray at 15, and then we had Talbot for 28. Quick for cheaper than Cam Talbot. Wow, that is, if I'm the guy who drafted Talbot, I guess I got to stop ragging on him. We'll see how Talbot does. I'd rather have Quick for next season just because, he's going to get you for sure. Like, he's like got such a higher floor, right? Like Talbot could be great, but things could also go sideways with Edmonton like they often do. Quick, like, he's going to get you his wins, and he's going to get you at least the league average save percentage.
Yep.
All right, another right wing now.
Started at 20.
Yeah, it's interesting the people who start, they're hoping that they start at 20, that maybe they could get a steal, and people will be like, no, he's already at 34. A reminder, Tarasenko went for 47. It would be nice if on Fantrax I could have the picks by position, but it looks like we're not getting that. So I have to sort of, when I'm drafting, maybe also, am I doing this too much? Like, I feel like I'm comparing people by position more so than just, players overall. Like, I'm not even looking at like Wheeler versus Kuznetsov. To me, it almost seems like two completely different lists.
Yeah, at the high end, I think that's right.
Yeah, I guess near the end, once you're filling your bench spots, then you just take whoever you can, especially if you get some dual eligibility guys. Wheeler goes for 37. And remember, Tarasenko went for 47. Wheeler's numbers were pretty much the same as Tarasenko's last year. So this could be a good, like I was saying that 47 was good for Tarasenko, but I'm surprised that Wheeler didn't go for more. Now I almost retroactively feel like I wouldn't have spent so much on Tarasenko. I'd rather have Wheeler for 37. And then Phil Kessel at 33. Looking like
and that's that opportunity cost.
Yeah, it's did you bid early or not? And definitely Brian is going for the strategy of letting everyone else bid early. At some point, Brian's going to come in and probably have access to a lot of sort of the third tier guys. Like, it seems like the first and second tier guys might be going, but Brian's going to have his pick because he still has all of his budget left. Joe Pavelski's on the board. $37. So to bow ties are cool. The same guy who had Crosby and Ovechkin now gets Joe Pavelski. That is a stacked top of the lineup. He's got his center, left wing, and right wing set. Those guys will always be dressing when they're playing for him.
Yeah, Pavelski also one of the few multi-eligible guys near the top. He's got both center and right wing.
Yeah, so that's it.
So probably going to use him at right.
Oh, yeah. Well, definitely. Yeah, there's definitely a lot more depth at center, and I feel like 37 for Pavelski. It's fair. I'm excited. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to take these numbers and then come up with my drafting strategy for tomorrow. I'm drafting in tier 2 for the auction. You're in tier 3, just missed the cut for auction drafts. Maybe we'll change the rules for next year and have more. They are a lot of fun, a lot more work, I find, to prepare for. I feel like with a snake draft, all I have to do is come up with my tiers. And then when my pick comes, I just look and see who's available at each tier, take the one who's more scarce. Like, it seems like a very easy thing to do. With auction, so much to keep track of. By the way, John Gibson is now on the board, and he's already at $23. Very interesting, considering Matt Murray went for 15, but obviously you want to go for the guaranteed number 1. There has been chatter in the chat or in the Facebook group of people thinking that maybe Bernier could challenge Gibson a little bit, but Hanson Brothers hopes not. He's got him for $23.
Yeah.
I guess also Gibson.
23 is not a super aggressive price, so.
Yeah, I feel like it's the next tier. Like, we've seen sort of the top tier guys of Holtby and Price, and then like Bishop was sort of like also really high at 39, and then we saw a few $30 guys of Lundqvist and Talbot, and then Jonathan Quick, and now we're going at like a level lower, the $20 to $25, and that's where Gibson fell in at 23. Corey Perry, by the way, just went for $25 as a right wing. Could be a good deal. Seems like around the right price, like someone who could be really good, and you're spending some money on him, but not in that top tier anymore. But every day in Bufflin, I'm not too disappointed having Corey Perry, just because again, the floor, he's going to be on the top line, top power play. Maybe he'll regress a little bit. I still think that he'll end up with more points than he did last year because he had that big slump, only ended up with 62. I could see him being more like a 65-point guy and hopefully keep up with the 34 goals like he had.
Yeah, easy 60s. So.
Yeah, nice pick for everyday in Bufflin. He's got a solid team of the older guys. He's got Daniel Sedin, and he's got Corey Perry now. So I guess he's thinking it's a 1-year league. You don't have to worry about age. Take the age discount, which maybe he got for Sedin and Corey Perry. We'll have to see later on.
Well, I took more of an age discount on Perry in the unofficial league where I got him for 20. So.
Oh wow, that's really good. And I guess that also comes to like when he got nominated. I'll bet you Corey Perry could have
Yeah.
gone for less if he was nominated earlier. But
He went later for sure in that one.
yeah, we can't see from this UI who nominated Corey Perry. But Jake Allen's on the board, by the way, up to $29. We were talking about that Gibson tier or range of like 23. I thought Allen might fall in there, but no, he's up with the Lundqvists and the Talbots and the Quicks. He's actually now above, he's up to $32, which is above Henrik Lundqvist, who went for 31. I have a feeling that's going to be the winning bid to talk to Zahan as it counts down. Wow. So Jake Allen, I mean, he's on a great team and he's the for sure number one. The question is, can he put up a decent save percentage to help with, save? Well, and the thing with save points, right, is he's going to take a lot of shots against. But, if he lets in a goal, that's -8 right there. So you got to put up a decent. He had 920 last year. If he could do that again, I think it's a good pick. But
here we got Schneider up now.
Oh, that'll be a fun comparison. To me, I feel like
up to 25.
It really depends on your strategy, right? Like Schneider versus Allen is like such a diametrically opposed set of goalies because Schneider's the one who you depend on for save percentage, and Allen is the guy you're depending on for wins. Schneider's already at $32, so he's at the price that Allen went for. Let's see if someone's going to outbid him. Who would you rather have in the KKUPFL?
At comparable prices, I'd rather have Schneider for sure.
Yeah, and he just got outbid by a little bit. He's up to 33. Yeah. It is definitely the thing where I think it also depends on if you're planning on going for certain categories over others. Like you could go for wins and just get Jake Allen and Corey Crawford is another guy, even though he actually has had like a sneakily good save percentage over the past little while. But yeah, or you could go more towards Schneider and Talbot and get the guys who you think will have better save percentages, but probably not as many wins. And Talbot, actually, I shouldn't even throw him in that conversation because he's up in the air. Maybe Lundqvist is actually a guy now, or Tuukka Rask is maybe another who you don't know if he's going to get you so many wins, but you hope he'll give you a decent save percentage. Schneider ends up going for 37. Yeah, I mean, if he has a good save percentage, if he has a 925, that should be good to give you save point. And he's going to play a ton of games, obviously, for New Jersey. Yeah. That should really give you a good edge for save percentage and save points every week.
He's just below elite because he's just not going to get the wins with New Jersey. But the other two categories in the couple, he's going to be really good.
He's kind of like a poor man's Carey Price, which isn't an insult. I feel like Carey Price went for 46. He'll have probably a bit of a higher save percentage and maybe a few more wins. And then Corey Schneider, like a little bit less wins, but sort of similar type of guy to draft if you want to spend a little less. He went for 37. Podcast favorite, Artemi Panarin is on the board now. Definitely going for more than he would have last year.
Yeah, not going to get him for $1 this year.
He's already up to 27. By the way, if you guys are keeping track at home, the Flamingos, Brian's team, still hasn't bought anybody. What is it? I'm so excited.
Showing that restraint.
Yeah, we'll see how his team looks at the end. It'll be really fun to all of a sudden see like 10 picks in a row where he gets 8 of them.
Hey, so I'm here now. I thought I'd check in since you keep calling me out for not bidding on anybody. Except now Subban's nominated, so I need a moment.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not calling you out, by the way, Brian. I'm not saying you're doing anything bad. I'm just pointing out that this is happening. I'm interested to follow your strategy. Subban, though, holy cow. If he could go for this price, he's at 24 right now, and the bids seem to be slowing down, which would be an absolute steal, especially considering how much the other defenseman went for. But he's quickly up to 30, which is probably closer to his value now, 32. Yeah. Let's see if the Flamingos finally go for him. Hanson Brothers, Chiefs. I don't know, Brian. You're going to have to bid big if you want PK Subban. Already up to 34. Who are the defensemen who are gone so far? Carlson, Brent Burns, Dustin Byfuglien for 32. So Subban, I think I agree, is worth more than Byfuglien unless you really want to get the blocks. But Byfuglien actually doesn't give you that many blocks.
No.
So yeah, Subban definitely I'd want more. He's up to 36.
I like the Panarin for 27.
Oh yeah,
seems like a fair price. Like I see him rated pretty highly, but that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably a good floor for 65, and last year he had like over 75. So I feel like Panarin at 27 is good.
Subban real goes profit potential.
Yeah, Subban goes for 37. And just a reminder.
So, sorry, what did you want to remind? I'm trying to participate here, but it's very, very difficult.
You're doing great, Brian. No, I'm not. I don't know why you can't participate. It's not like you're doing anything in this draft.
Oh, very funny. So I have made several bids. Incredibly, I feel like I've been outbid within half a second, which makes me think that some of my opponents have conspired to use bots against me, who are just gonna auto bid me instantly. No, I'm just joking. That's a dumb conspiracy. I just, I feel very left out right now.
That's fine. All right, Kucherov's on the board. I guess you're not bidding on him, so you could talk to us for a second. Why did you not want Subban at 37? It was just got too rich for you? What were you hoping to get him at?
Got too rich. I was hoping, to be honest, I don't know. I don't know what I was hoping. I just felt like that was too much for PK Subban. I've got enough other guys remaining on my list that one of them could be about equal to me and fall to me for less. Maybe, that's the risk I'm taking with all these guys, is that there will be a better deal to come. I can't be certain there will be, and I'm actually quite scared because some of the rosters that I'll be up against all season are looking incredible. Like I have zero players. Everybody else has at least 2. Someone has 6 already. Okay. So I feel just way behind right now.
You're behind right now, but I have a feeling when we're getting to like the $20, $30 guys, you're going to be able to get like all of them, because this guy who already has 6 guys, the rest of his roster is going to be made up of the, free agent fodder or close to it. Oliver Ekman-Larsson on the board right now. I'm curious to see if Brian wants
Kucherov
to go for
Kucherov went for 35, by the way.
35 for Kucherov. Compare that to like...
Up there already.
Phil Kessel went for 33 and Kucherov went for 35. You wouldn't have expected that going into last season, but I guess that just shows how their fortunes were slightly different. Yeah. Kucherov, though, I mean, he deserves it. He's really good. Ekman-Larsson goes for 36 right now. Man, it's really interesting to me how Chris Letang went for so much. Just remembering going through this list, $49 for Letang when you could have had Subban for 37, Larson for 36.
So I'm going to take some measure of credit for that, actually. I think Letang was one of the players I first made 2 bids on. So I don't know. I wonder if that upped his value. Elon, I'm surprised you're surprised that Letang went that high, though, because I think there are 3 elite defensive fantasy producers: Burns, Carlson, and a healthy Chris Letang.
Yeah, it's true. I guess I'm more surprised because I always think of Letang as the guy you could get for good value later in your draft. I was hoping that I could maybe steal him for less than $49. I don't know if I'm going to spend that much on him, just because the injury concern at that point does come into play. Like, I try not to be worried about injuries too much, just because as long as they're healthy when you need him in the fantasy hockey playoffs, that's kind of all that matters. Though I guess with the couple, you're against some really strong competition. It's not like making the playoffs is going to be a walk in the park.
We've got a McKinnon already up to $30.
McKinnon for 30 when Kucherov went for 35.
I think McKinnon got a bit of a World Cup bump there.
Yeah, well, definitely was not great last year. Like, if he does what he did last year, then don't relegate me, bro, is going to be disappointed, because he only had 52 points in 72 games. But in his rookie year, 63 points in 82 games, which actually still might be, if he only even does that, maybe it's not worth the $30. But hopefully he can get a little bit more than the 63 points. He obviously still has more upside as an first overall pick. McKinnon also right-wing eligible, like dual eligible right-wing and center, which is nice. Martin Jones now. Brian, you need a goalie. He needs everything. I wonder if he's going to hit on Jones. He's also really high already at $32. It's very interesting.
I see him going pretty high in drafts generally. So
yeah, I mean, Dauber had him as I think the number 2 guy or number 3 guy. He loved him when he was listing his keeper goalies. I mean, San Jose made it to the Cup Finals. Martin Jones is the clear number 1. There's who is the backup? It's something like Armia, or I forget. There's a name of someone we've never talked about on the show who's probably going to be the backup for Martin Jones. Not Armia was a dumb name to throw out there. But he goes for 36.
Yeah. Number 1 goalie to Darren Helmsdeep.
And Jake Allen, remember, went for 32. So, yeah, a lot of money has been spent on goaltending. Corey Schneider went for 37. Brian still has some guys up. We've mentioned, I don't know if
Brian was in on that bidding, too.
Oh, yeah, well.
He was up to 35, but didn't go 37.
I'm going to throw out some names of some goalies who are still left. I don't think people, aside from Brian, has it in his year right now, are listening, so hopefully I'm not blowing up anything. Brian, you have 1 second to tell me you don't want me to do this. Okay. Tuukka Rask is still available. Pekka Rinne, Corey Crawford, Mrazek. I guess, aside from these guys, not many guys you could depend on for a lot of wins. Maybe there's someone that I'm missing. We also know Brian's favorite. I guess I won't say that. But we know, if you listen to Schmore Goalies Board, there's one goalie who Brian's higher on than most people. So I guess that's who he's going to try to go for.
We got Jonathan Huberdeau up for bid at 16 at the moment.
Well, that would be really good. I mean, it looks like he's going to be sold for that. Yeah, sold for $16. That's a left winger. Daniel Sedin went for 17 and Huberdeau went for 16. maybe they're around the same.
Yeah,
Daniel Sedin.
from what I've been seeing, I think there's a lot of high expectations on Florida forwards, like that they'll not just be as good as last year, but like significantly better. And I've got a hard time seeing that. Like, yeah, they're young; they could take steps forward, but like you're talking about, like none of them really getting 20 minutes a game, just kind of all getting like 17, 18, and that's gonna be hard for any of them to get elite numbers that way.
Yeah, well, especially if they're going to regress in shooting percentage, like we've talked about, like their on-ice shooting percentage was high because Yager was so high. Nicholas Backstrom is on the board now, and he is currently at $32. Yeah. And he, you know, always is going to give you elite production for special teams points and assists. He goes to talk to the hand for $32. You know what? The guy who bid 30 on Evgeny Kuznetsov, you know, or he could have had Backstrom for 32. I guess maybe they're even. I would definitely prefer Backstrom.
I would take Backstrom there every time.
Yeah, maybe 32.
And that's another thing. Like I see in like rankings and mocks and stuff, Kuznetsov going ahead of Backstrom, which I think is insane.
Yeah, like Kuznetsov, I feel like it's gonna be a lot harder pressed to repeat what he did last year. Don't forget, he also had that lull in the middle. Brian gave some reasons to really like him, and I know he has the even strength points, which Brian loves. Got another goalie on the board. I'm interested in the goalies.
Role matters.
Man, Corey Crawford's up to 27. Flamingos put in a bid of 29. Nope, he's not going to get him. Don't relegate me, bro. Unless Flamingos 31. Brian needs a goalie, and he's in a bidding war now. Up to 33 for Corey Crawford. I'll bet you he wasn't expecting to spend that much on him. But that's the thing. When you wait, it's good because you have more money than other people. But at the same time, you start getting maybe desperate if a tier starts running out. He got outbid. It's 34 now for Corey Crawford, and Brian's going to let it go. With 1 second left. So exciting. $35 for Corey Crawford. Schneider went for 37. Jake Allen went for 32.
Outbid to 36.
I feel like you need to put an asterisk. You need to put an asterisk when we're looking at these results and seeing how much players went for. We have to put an asterisk beside Corey Crawford. He definitely shouldn't have gone this high, but there was a bidding war. Maybe Brian did a good job because he didn't get him. It went to Analytics Anonymous. He forced Analytics Anonymous to probably spend $6 or $7 more than he probably should have for Corey Crawford. Hopefully Chicago can, you know, have a great year for him. They've lost some players, getting a bit older. Hosa's definitely older, Duncan Keith. So I don't know if he's going to give that value, but he's got him. You got your goalie. Sometimes you need a goalie, so you go get him.
Yeah.
And Analytics Anonymous, who are his other goalies? That was his first goalie also.
I feel like last year Brian was like kind of talking crap about Corey Crawford too. So
that was actually me. No, I was.
Was it you? All right.
I get affected by the playoffs sometimes. You know, the things that we're not supposed to do. And I remember that Darling came in for a couple of games in the playoffs, and I thought to myself, oh, I don't know now. Maybe Crawford is going to lose his job or have to challenge more. And then he ended up doing fine. I actually ended up taking him in the couple.
Hall is up to 29 right now.
Taylor Hall for 29. And if you recall, another left wing, Philip Forsberg, went for 35. Taylor Hall goes for 29. That's his final bid. I'd rather have Hall, I think.
Yeah. 29 to Tuukka's Revenge.
Yeah, I think that's great value for Tuukka's Revenge. Yeah, waiting. I'm surprised Brian didn't go in on him. I know Brian really likes Taylor Hall, and that didn't seem like a lot. Okay. Speaking of Tuukka, now we've got Tuukka Rask. I wonder if Tuukka's Revenge is going to be bidding on him. He's going high. These goalies right now, it's almost like they're going, like you described this on your auction draft strategy episode, how near the end of the tier, the bidding goes higher because these goalies are running out. Tuukka Rask already at $30. Maybe he wouldn't have gone for so high previously.
Yeah. I feel like there's kind of a flat-ish tier of goalies who are like in the low 30s in value.
Mm-hmm. But Rask is now up to 34. I think people are getting desperate.
So some of them, most of them seem to be getting up into the mid to upper 30s.
Yeah, I feel like probably a lot of people are wishing, maybe Brian's wishing that he just went in earlier on like a Henrik Lundqvist, could have gotten him for 32 because he went for
$31 Lundqvist. Looks good.
Yeah, especially when now we have a $35 Rask right after a $36 Corey Crawford. I guess Brian, whatever his strategy was for goalies, I have a feeling at this point you're not going to get an awesome number one goalie. Maybe you could go for wins and try to get like Pekka Rinne, who probably will get a lot of wins, even though he doesn't have a super high save percentage. Yeah, that's surprising. Like, these goalies are going for a lot of money. Now Devin Dubnyk on the board, maybe one of the last number one goalies who could get good value. And again, a bidding war. I saw Flamingos in there. He's been outbid. How high are people going to go?
Also worth noting, Tuukka Rask went to the Cheevers, who also bought Carey Price and Cam Talbot.
Holy crap. So he's got his goaltending set. This is the guy who's going to be tough to beat every week in goaltending. I think Cheevers, we know where he's hoping to get his fantasy points or which categories he's going to focus on. Price,
$109 spent on goalies.
Yeah, and that's all he has right now. So,
yeah.
Brian has an advantage over him in terms of he's going to have all these forwards. Cheevers is definitely not going to have a great forward group when he's spent $109 on his goalies. But at least he's done with goalies now. Devin Dubnyk just went for 34, by the way. Also not to Brian.
Yep. First goalie for Filthy Animal, who has Kane and Tavares.
Wow, yeah.
So.
Well, you know what? There's a lot of money off the board right now. So, right now, Max Pacioretty is on the board. Brian made a bid. Do you think that people are targeting Brian, outbidding him because they know that he's the host of the podcast? He's always getting outbid.
A little bit.
Oh, that's not fair. That's not good for me tomorrow. I'm going to change my team name so no one knows who I am. I wonder if
they might figure it out.
I need to figure it. Yeah, they'll figure it out when I bid all of my money on Erik Karlsson, like Brian suggested. He goes, Max Pacioretty goes for 28 to Analytics Anonymous. Taylor Hall went for 29. I see them as being in a similar tier. Maybe Taylor Hall has more upside, but Pacioretty, it's going to be top line, top power play, and one of these high volume shots guys, which are really valuable in our format.
Analytics Anonymous also has a pretty well-rounded team with Pacioretty at left wing, Kucherov at right, Karlsson on D, and Crawford in net right now. So,
yeah, I mean, good top level guys.
Got something everywhere.
Yeah, and then we'll just have to see what he's able to fill it out with.
Yep.
Now we've got Justin Falk on the board at $23. I guess he's a tier below the Ekman Larsons and the Bufflins who went before him. Ekman Larson, I think, is the last defenseman who went, and that was for 36. And now we have Justin Falk at 26.
Yeah. Which I think is a little high, but.
Well, the thing with Justin Falk is he had some injury issues last year. He goes for 26. I mean, it's definitely cheap compared to the other defensemen who have gone, but lots of defensemen still left on the board. Last year, Justin Falk had 37 points in 64 games, which is definitely really good for a defenseman, and he takes a lot of shots on goal, 184 shots. The year before, 238 shots when he played the full season and had 49 points. If you think he has upside for more than 49 points and all of those shots, plus power play, right?
Maybe, but he doesn't get much for blocks. He's deployed pretty offensively, so.
You know what? He doesn't get a lot for blocks, but I feel like he's like an Oliver Ekman Larsson. I feel like when we're looking at defense and you want to get help not only in offense, but in at least another category, I feel like either I want my defenseman to help me in blocks or to help me in shots. So Falk at least gives you one of them. If you get someone that helps you in both, like Brent Burns, then you're really golden, or Karlsson to a lesser extent for the blocks.
Well, I think Falk is in a tier well below OEL in terms of scoring. So.
Okay, well, yeah, that's why OEL went for 36 and Falk went for 26. I'm going to give Don't Relegate Me, Bro a thumbs up on Justin Falk. We'll see, obviously, how it affects his lineup later on. Don't Relegate Me, Bro at this point has Letang, Ekman Larsson, and Falk. So he's D heavy. And then he also has... Oh, the window just changed. Oh, and he also has McKinnon and Jonathan Quick. So no forwards. Oh, McKinnon's a forward. I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
I like that defense.
So Brian Elliott just sold for 29.
Wow.
To Bow Ties Are Cool, the Ovechkin, Crosby, Pavelski team.
Wow.
So
well,
that's
they're
probably they can probably take a nap right now for a while before they can buy anyone else.
Yeah, I feel like if I was Bow Ties Are Cool, I don't know if I would have been spending so much on a goalie. I feel like you have such a strong offense. Maybe you want to just focus on that. But Brian Elliott at $29, he's a guy who had a great save percentage last year. He's a big question mark. He's like a Cam Talbot, right? On a team that we don't know how many wins they can get. And we don't.
Can he put up a full season? Is the big question there.
Oh yeah, the injury risk also. I'm surprised that all these goalies are going for so high. I'm sure Brian is as well. Still doesn't have anybody, but he's gonna end up spending his money. Yeah. Hopefully he won't end up.
Again, that $31 Lundqvist looks really good.
Oh wow, yeah. I just kind of feel like I would love to see. I thought 5 picks ago that Brian was gonna finally start jumping in and getting everybody. Kyle Okposo is up to $14, $15. He went for a lot less in your pool. He was someone I pointed out to myself as someone who I thought was a good steal in your draft.
Yeah, and he went pretty late, which was what was going on there.
Because he went for $9.
Up in the teens if he'd been nominated around now. So
Yeah, because he's already at $20 bid, and
Yeah.
he went for $9 in your draft. So
So Bergeron just sold for 24 before him.
that is a steal. I think
Yeah,
that's
I like
a great value.
Yeah.
Like other
Bergeron
centers.
to, every day in Bufflin with right beside Steven Stamkos with Daniel Sedin, Panarin, and Perry. It's a pretty nice forward core he's got going on.
Yeah, I really like that. I think that Patrice Bergeron, especially in our league, which counts shots on goal, he had 282 shots last year, among the league leaders. Maybe that was high. Maybe there'll be some regression, but at the same time, like he definitely has his role locked in. 68 points also. It was an amazing year for Bergeron. I'm surprised after such an amazing year that he only goes for $24. Okposo went for 20, which on the other hand, I wonder if that's maybe a little too high for Kyle Okposo. But I guess we just don't know. It's like how he's going to do on Buffalo. I guess if you really like Eichel and you think they're going to play together, should be good. Like 64 points in 79 games last year. I guess it's worth it. I guess I was just kind of hoping that he'd go less so that I could get him for less.
Rene's up for bid right now. Brian is bidding on him. He's in the low 20s at the moment.
Yeah, he's in a bidding war again, up to $24. Rene doesn't look like he's going to be able to help in save percentage. Brian must be so frustrated. He keeps on getting outbid. And it's the same guy on Analytics Anonymous. Isn't that the one who outbid him on another goalie earlier? For Corey Crawford, yeah. And Crawford went up to 36. Oh, Filthy Animals also in the bidding.
He got in there too.
Filthy Animals, the one who just got Dubnyk for 34. These goalies are going for so high.
Yeah, and this is definitely that end of the tier. People are like, "Woo, gotta buy one."
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like for tomorrow, I don't want to be in this position. I want to have it's making me feel like I want my goalie early. Of course, I'm giving away my strategy, and now other people are going to get their goalies early as well. Rene goes to the Flamingos. Brian's on the board. Spent $29 on Pekka Rinne. I'll bet you that if you would have asked him before the draft who your first goalie would be and how much you'd spend on him, he definitely wouldn't have said $29 for Pekka Rinne. But you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, hard to feel good about your first buy being a $29 Pekka Rinne.
Yeah, I mean, is there any possibility that he could bounce back and go back to having like a 920 plus save percentage? He did it actually 2 seasons ago in 64 games played.
There's a chance, but I think it's kind of low.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Brian's going to be a big Nashville fan next year. Now we're in a bidding war for Zach Parise, and keep in mind Taylor Hall went for $29, another left winger. Parise is right now at 24. You know, Parise has the capability to put up 70 plus points, a lot of shots, scores a lot of goals. He has to stay healthy. At $25, seems like a
70
is
is pretty aggressive.
Oh, I'm saying he has the capability. Like he's put up that pace before. I guess not on Minnesota, but hopefully he can make up for maybe a lack of points for shots and maybe some power play points. Already at 28. Brian is in on this bid right now. Parise last year had 53 points in 70 games. So you're right. That's fair to comment. But that, the year before 62 and 74. So maybe like a 60. I think he could be a 65-point pace guy. Brian, though, gets a second guy. He gets Parise for $28. Brian's going to have his pick of a lot of these $20 to $30 guys. The question is, where does he want to spend that money? Oh, you know what? I totally forgot about Roberto Luongo.
Yeah, I'm worried that he might regret some of these buys, though, if he, feeling that pressure to pay.
Yeah, wow. Will we be, in a few months from now, will we be talking about Brian as a potential relegation candidate in the couple? Brian's probably so mad at me right now listening.
Yeah, I mean, there's a decent chunk of risk between Rene and Parise there, so.
Yeah, maybe after that he's going to want to go for guys who have higher floors just to, as long as they don't get injured. They're like solid guys to have, like especially if you're going for the wins category for goalies. I feel like Brian now should just forget about save percentage because it's going to be scary to play Rene a lot of nights. So just like forget about save percentage and try to just get other goalies who can help you get wins. Though how many of them are left? Roberto Luongo is one of them. Surprisingly, Luongo is going right now. Looks for 21. Oh, he's got outbid 22. So much lower than a guy like Devin Dubnyk who went for $34. I would have thought that Luongo and Dubnyk are in the same tier.
Yeah, Luongo was part of a lot of successful teams last year because he was so cheap. I mean, I don't think you can expect more than 50, maybe 55 starts from him, but and he's 37 or something, but
yeah, the people bidding on him are definitely hoping just one more year, please. He ends up going for $24 to the Chiefs. He was in a bidding war with the Flamingos. Flamingos get to nominate now. Maybe we could learn something from Brian's nomination strategy.
Yeah. Luongo, the first goalie for the Chiefs. The Chiefs have
Oh, yeah?
Gaudreau, Burns, and Subban on their team so far.
That's not bad. Good set of players. At this point, like everyone has good players. It's been mostly good players on the board. No one's done like this thing of putting up for nomination a guy that's worth less than $10. I wonder if that would be worth it at this point. A guy who you like that you think you get good value on. I wonder if now would be the time to bid on him, or if it would be better to just wait.
The tricky thing is it's hard to get a discount on those guys early.
Right.
Even at this stage.
So, like if you feel like, for example, I don't know, like
though I don't know, $22 for Kopitar might be a discount.
Yeah, that's great. $22 for Kopitar and $24 for Bergeron. I would have been happy having both of those guys as my centers. If I have those my top two centers and only spent $46 total on them,
so
that's great.
Kopitar went to Hanson Brothers, who is so far has bought Jack Eichel, Holtby, and Gibson. So he's got centers and goalies and nothing else yet.
Yeah, so I was just thinking now, like, let's say, for example, if I want someone like Nick Leddy, I think he's like going to be a good like last defenseman on my team, and I think that there's a chance, like maybe he'll go for $1 or $2. Do you think like now would be the time if I was like, I want Leddy?
You're more likely to pay 10 for him now when you might have gotten him for 1 or 2 later.
Oh, interesting. So when you're nominating, it sounds like you're still thinking we're at the point where you just want to nominate the guys who you're willing to spend money on, or you just hope someone else will spend money on.
The guys you want a bargain on, you want to wait as long as you can.
Mm-hmm. Another goalie on the board now, Robin Leonard. Luongo ended up going for 24. Leonard now is up to 15. So we're definitely dropping a lot, and it makes sense. Leonard has a few risks to him. He has like the potential upside, number one goalie, guaranteed number one goalie on a team that we should expect to just keep getting better. Hopefully next year will be the year, but the injury risk, and also we still haven't seen him consistently put up a good season. Like he's never had a full good season before.
Yeah, and he just went for 16 to Filthy Animal. Second goalie behind Dubnyk. So
yeah, I mean, not bad to have 2 number one goalies. Don't forget there's 30 teams in the NHL, 14 teams in this draft, which means to have 2, I guess everyone should be able to get at least 2 number one goalies. So
yeah, but with tandems, there are not 28 number one
that's
goalies.
True. How many number one goalies are there then? Have you ever done the count?
I haven't looked, but it's more like mid-20s. Like
I guess I could use Fantrax here and see which goalies are left on the board. Let me check right now here. So Mrazek.
We've got Roman Josi on the board right now. He's bid in the upper 20s right now.
Yeah, I mean, I would put him in that tier with Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Dustin Byfuglien. Like, especially in a league that counts blocks, Roman Josi should be around those guys.
Yeah, he gets you points, shots, blocks. He really gets you everything. Yeah,
Byfuglien went for 32. As a reminder, Subban, by the way, was 37. In case you forgot, then Oliver Ekman-Larsson was 36, and Josi looks like it's counting down at 32. Oh no, 33. Okay, so
I had him in the couple last year and was very, very happy to own him.
Oh yeah, well he had an amazing year last year. Yeah. I guess some people are wondering if he'll be affected by losing Shea Weber, and maybe like Subban will take some of his role, or maybe
no.
Yeah, he'll probably be fine. Oh, up to 37. Okay, so I was wrong. I was thinking maybe Josi was going to go for a discount, but now the bids have gone up a lot. This is I agree that he's worth this much in terms of like relative to the other guys, like Oliver Ekman-Larsson went for 36. In our format, I'd rather have Josi. Yeah. And so I think but you had to pay for him. Hanson Brothers here paid pretty heavily for $37 for Roman Josi, but probably he's going to be a really good anchor for his team.
Yeah, and first defenseman for him, so that's your guy.
Yeah. I was talking about goalies, by the way. In terms of starting goalies remaining on the board, I'm seeing Mrazek, Craig Anderson, then no, Hellebuck not for sure, Halak not for sure, Fleury not for sure, Frederick Anderson, Varlamov, Mason's not for sure. So we're talking like 5 goalies maybe. You have Mike Smith, I guess. I don't even know. Oh, Bobrovsky, if you keep going lower. This list I was going through right now is the Fantrax default draft values, by the way. Not my own personal opinions on these guys.
But being an auction, you can buy a tandem if you want to. So
Monahan, by the way, goes for $19 to talk to DeHaan. We're seeing a lot of center. I guess there's a lot of good centers out there. Maybe it's not worth it to spend so much. But, we saw Bergeron for 24 before and Kopitar for 22 and now Monahan for 19.
And let's talk to Monahan.
That's nice. He should change his name to that. I feel, especially because I doubt he's going to be drafting DeHaan. So he could just change the name and it'll be fine. All right. So one of these few
DeHaan is a good sort of blocks only defenseman that's worth a last pick. And Mrazek's up now.
Yeah. I don't know if DeHaan is for me, I'm not going to pick a guy who's going to be blocks only like that. That doesn't even give you points. I feel like you could always, especially now that we have unlimited acquisitions, like only 4 max per week. I feel like you can just sort of mess around with your last position to get the blocks you need on a given day. I wouldn't like use a draft pick to get someone like DeHaan, who I feel like I'd be dropping throughout the season.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind like if I'm going to have a 5th defenseman on my roster, I'd probably want it to be a blocks guy.
Hey guys, can I take a moment? Can I take a moment to jump in here?
Please. How you feeling?
Pretty awful. Pretty awful.
Actually, we should. We're about an hour in.
Mrazek is out there for $24 right now, and rising. I guess he just went. Oh no, he's up to 25 now. I got Rene for 29, so I'm feeling pretty good about that aspect of things. I'm not. You guys were right about Parise. That was like, I need to get one of the guys that I plan to spend money on. I feel like I underestimated the cost for every player. And so I keep waiting for the right guy, the right price. And I just don't know that it's ever going to happen during this draft. And now I'm like, I think Daniel Sedin went for $17, like 10 or 15 players earlier. And I'd rather have him at that price than Parise at 28. Gotta go. Sorry.
He's going because Marc-Andre Fleury is on the board, and I think that's one of the goalies. As we heard from the KKUPFL, he thinks that Fleury could have a lot of value, and especially with Matt Murray injured. You were saying something, though, Jeff, about since it's an hour in?
Yeah, we should probably take a break after this. When I run an auction, I like to do a break every hour just to give people time to breathe.
All right, well, Brian's listening to us, so he'll be able to...
We have a break schedule. Sorry, I can't. For 2:30.
Okay, we'll break at 2:30. I think that's fair. I think the first hour and a half, people are amped up enough that they should be able to go an hour and a half without a break. And then after that, maybe every hour after that as you start getting tired. So Fleury is going up there just like a regular starting goalie. He's up to $29. You know, that's... I'm surprised he's going for that high considering Matt Murray, you know...
Yeah, I think he's got a much stronger grip on the roll now than he did a week ago.
That's true, but still $31. That's Lundqvist money. Now he's above Lundqvist money.
Yeah,
I definitely give me Lundqvist.
Yeah, every damn Bufflin was in on him early, but seems to be out now.
So Fleury gets sold for $32.
Yeah,
and yeah, like these goalies are going fast. I guess Brian has Rene, so. I shouldn't only be talking about Brian. Obviously, there's other interesting. Yeah. These are all, by the way, you know, we're surprised with some of these bids. Like, these are all people who won their pool or made it to the finals last year in the KKUPFL. These are the best players. So I'm really excited to see. Like, the sad thing is, one of these champions is going to come last place.
Yeah, it's going to be rough.
This is going to be a very competitive, exciting pool. It's going to be fun to watch. And I'd love to follow throughout the year and see how Brian's going to do. At some point, he's just got to... I feel like if I were to give advice to Brian right now, it's like, maybe forget about getting good value. Like, decide who are the players you like at this point that are left and just go get them because you have the money.
Yeah, that was the advice I was giving for the Keeper League also. Just like, buy the guys you want to watch play.
Well, yeah, in a Keeper League, I guess it's different. Like in a Keeper League, I feel like at this point, I would just want to get Erik Karlsson just because I'm sad that I have to now start my shows by saying 2 guys who at one point owned Erik Karlsson.
Yeah, sometime you're going to have to relay that story of how you no longer own Karlsson.
I did. We did at the start of a couple episodes ago.
Okay.
So, yeah, but we have a Keeper League. Brian and I are starting a new Keeper League actually together against each other. This is going to be the first time we're going to be against each other for a long time. And so... one of us might get Karlsson. It's just a snake draft, though. At least you don't have to bid against each other. It's just probably whoever has the higher pick is going to get him, unless it's like Brian has number 1. I don't know if he would go. I don't think I would go that high either. I think you got to go Ovechkin for number 1 still. Anyway, that's a whole other talk. But that league's
Victor Hedman just sold for 29 to new team number 10.
Yeah,
which has the Ben and Sagan combo with Schneider and Mrazek as goalies.
Yeah, so he's finally getting on the board with some defense. Now another defenseman is on the board with Shea Weber. He's up to $20 right now. You know, he's a guy who he's solid. He's going to get you his 50 points. He's going to get you a decent number of blocks, a decent number of shots. Like he's not going to be anywhere near the elite tier of defenseman, but he's like a really low floor guy, even on Montreal. I mean, high floor guy, I should say.
Yeah.
And looks like he's getting spent on appropriately $28 to Brian. He just got outbid. I'm sure he's so annoyed right now. Brian, just do it. Bid more. Got to get some defensemen. I don't know. this must be a very nerve-wracking 4 seconds as we count down with $30 on flamingos, and he gets him.
Oh yeah, that's the toughest is when it's like going once, going twice. It's like, do I get him? Do I get him? Do I get him?
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
I would definitely be stressed out if I wasn't sure if I was going to get someone, and I know that I needed him. I like it. $30 for Shea Weber.
That can happen in auction. His third buy is more expensive than his first and second buys.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is his strategy. I guess we'll have to see, but I think that getting Shea Weber at this point for $30, considering like the defensemen that are left, I think it's good because he's going to be. I know also before the call, or maybe I shouldn't say this, but I know that there's certain categories that Brian cares more about than others, and maybe now that'll have to change now that he has Shea Weber.
Weber's a strong number one defenseman. If you're not in that top tier, he's sort of low. He's in that second tier. So
yeah, like, is there a chance that he could be similar to Roman Josi or who went for so much more? Or maybe you're just talking about different categories.
Similar. Well, I mean, they're both guys who put up, a bit of everything. So.
Yeah, and now we've got another center going for low amount, $22. Joe Thornton, a big steal, I think, for a guy who was like top 5 in league scoring last year. Brian gets him, the Flamingos. So he's got two wins in a row. Yeah,
that's the kind of bargain he's going to need to keep getting after spending so little early.
Yeah, well, he's got $151 left, which is, how does that compare to everyone else in the draft? It seems like he has the most money of everyone. Oh, Cheevers, actually, the guy who only has Price, Talbot, and Tuukka Rask. He has 151 left also. So
yeah,
whose position do you like better right now? They both have spent the exact same amount of money. Cheevers has Price, Talbot, and Rask. And then the Flamingos, Brian's team, has Rene, Parise, Weber, and Thornton.
Yeah, that's tough.
Who would you rather be?
I'd probably rather be the guy who hasn't spent all my money on goalies, but then again, it's more of a strategic thing there.
Yeah, I guess the thing with goalies is also you could still lose save percentage 1 week if your goalie, someone blows you up, and Cheevers then doesn't have forwards yet. At least it'll be fun to see when he starts just getting a whole bunch of forwards for the $10-$20 range. He'll be.
Brian just bought Giordano.
Oh, for 32. All right. Well, you know what? All of a sudden, this team is looking that bad. I mean, no top elite talent, but you're not looking too bad. If you have Parise, Weber, Thornton, and Giordano, these are all guys you could rely on to get you a lot of stuff. They could stuff categories for you. And now we're at Jacob Trouba for $8.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Was that the starting bid, or has he been? Oh yeah, or was he put up for that amount?
He was put up for 6 and then went up to 8.
I don't know, man. I would have thought of Trouba as probably a for sure like $1 guy near the end.
Yeah, I think that's what you were talking about with like, you were thinking Nick Leddy. It's like, yeah, you're more likely to pay more than full price in the first half of the draft.
There were some people on the Facebook group thinking if he could get traded to a team where is given a role, like a really offensive role, like on a top power play, maybe he has a lot of upside, and maybe it's the case. But I don't know if I'm spending $8 on a defenseman who's never had more than 29 points.
Yeah.
Plus, I guess his blocks. He had 177 blocks last year. So if he could get points and blocks, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe that's one of the ones where at the end of the year we'll look like idiots for having poo-pooed that bid. But I do agree with you, though, that he could have gotten him for cheaper if he waited.
Yeah, it's just it's a timing thing. So.
Oh, and I guess actually I should also. It's not like New Team 7 could have gotten him for cheaper if he waited, because he's not the one who put him up for nomination. It was someone else that put him up for $6. And then if New Team 7 Jay wanted him, then I guess he had no choice.
Yeah.
Speaking of
another goalie, Bobrovsky just went for 15.
I wonder if he would have gone for less if it wasn't for the World Cup. Just because, like,
Bobrovsky, the second goalie for the Chiefs, who already had Luongo.
Yeah, so he's definitely going with guys who have been great in the past and hoping that they could still do it in the future.
Yeah, there's some risk in those goalies, but they've got their jobs for now.
Yeah.
Getzlav's up now. He's in the high teens.
All right, I'll be back in 1 sec.
All right.
Fill the time.
I'll hold down the fort. Ryan Getzlaf, who I still sometimes think Getzlaf Perry is one person. Apparently, it's not.
Well,
they always talk about that Getzlaf Perry line.
I just realized someone just pointed out in the chat that I've had it on this goalie sorting the whole time. and not all players. Sorry about that. Thanks for letting me know. Man, I gotta watch this chat also. There's lots to watch right now. Sorry guys, how long ago did those messages come in? Anyway, Getzlaff goes for $22. These centers.
Yeah, bought by Tuca's Revenge, his first center.
I'm
But
curious.
slots in between Taylor Hall and Blake Wheeler with Bufflin and Lundqvist.
I'm curious to know how the people feel. Sorry, go ahead.
As balanced as you can build a team so far.
Yeah.
Well, one of each.
Oh, they're saying expand your screen. Was my screen not... Okay, let me just figure out what's going on in the chat here. Are people able to see? Okay, right now I'm watching the chat. What do you guys think? How's it looking? All right, you let me know. Spezza's now up for $14. I'm actually surprised Brian isn't bidding more for him. I know Brian really likes Jason Spezza, but he goes to Analytics Anonymous for only 14.
Yeah, I like that price. That is, I would call that a bargain.
Yeah, definitely. $14 for a guy who's probably going to get you at least 60 points, maybe more.
Yeah, I think he's got real upside there. Like, he's kind of disappointed both of the last 2 seasons, but he's a number 2 center, so he's gonna do it.
And he's gets on the top power play. Sorry, okay. Now I'm back with you. I've just been a little bit distracted trying to figure everything out. I forgot. Forget that you're sharing the screen. So Scheifele, another center, goes for 16. A lot of value coming for these lower players. Brian has taken a break after going for Weber and Thornton and Giordano, though I'm happy with those values that he got. Maybe $32 for Giordano is a bit high, but you know, as the defensemen are running out. But
yeah, I like that defensive pair he got. But
now you've got a run of centers going of Getzlaff, Spezza, and Scheifele, but now we're with Torrey Krug on the block.
Yeah.
And this is a guy who has some upside, right? He had 44 points last year, which is his career high. He's the clear number 1 defenseman on the team. 244 shots, which is a lot for a defenseman.
Yeah.
The real question is that his ceiling? Like last year, what he did, is that the best he can do, which would still be really good? Or is there still more? Could he get up to like a 50-point guy?
Yeah, I think there's still a little more because the big jump for Krug last year was ice time, and he should still get a little more.
Yeah. I mean, if Chara was able to get 50 points on that team, there's no reason to think that Krug can't at least have a chance. So for $21, I like it.
Yeah.
Especially, like, you know, consider the other defenseman who just went. Giordano went for 32. I guess we're obviously talking about another 2 because Giordano's someone who could challenge for like a 60-point pace. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Maybe like a Justin Falk and Torrey Krug are guys that should be around the same place. And Falk went for 26 and Krug for 21.
Yeah, given those 2, I would take Krug.
For the value, you mean?
Yeah.
Now, a big defenseman. I forgot about him. Obviously, when I'm doing my draft, I won't forget about these guys. But John Klingberg is now on the board. This guy could challenge for being a top 5 defenseman, at least in points. Maybe in our league, he's not as good because he doesn't get you the blocks and the shots. But for straight up points and power play points, this will be a gem, and he's already up to $32.
Yeah, he got bid up there very quickly. Slowed a bit now, but
I wonder if a lot of people have been sitting on him, hoping that he would just fall. Like, you know, it's surprising for someone to go up so high at this point in the draft when people are starting to run out of money. I would have thought that would have been a good steal, but no, they had to spend $34 on him. And you know what? You compare that to PK Subban, who went for 37. It's pretty close. And I think Subban is a tier above.
Another D-man, John Carlson.
Yeah. John Carlson is valuable because of the blocks and like the potential to get points just because he's on that top power play, already up to 31, 32. People are not sleeping on John Carlson like they did in your draft. I remember also that was another one that really surprised me that he went for so low.
Yeah, he also went a little late, but
it was $22.
Yeah.
Here he's already up to 35. He's already above John Klingberg, who just went for 34.
Yeah, this league, people are paying for the blocks, so.
I guess, well, the thing is, it's nice if you could get your blocks without having to give up anything, right? Like you could have a roster spot that gets you your blocks, but also provides you the power play points and the shots and the goals and assists. Then you're golden. And there's not too many guys like that. And John Carlson is definitely one of them. And I think, I don't know if it's like too high, but people are definitely realizing his value and paying $36 for him.
Yeah, 36 might be a little high, but that's still, you know, you're going to get what you're going to get Gonna get everything you need from him.
Yeah, you're paying a little bit for the upside there. I think that
Yeah,
he
there's
still
a
has.
premium.
He was really amazing last year in the first half before he got injured. He was
Yeah.
playing like a guy who should go for $36, but then he had such a rough second half, even when he came back from injury. Though, keep in mind, he was being eased back into the lineup. Niskanen was getting more ice time than him. Now, hopefully, he'll just come back, be the sure number one guy all throughout the season.
And Craig Anderson is up right now.
I'm surprised he's actually even this high. He's at $15 right now. I thought he was going to be one of those rare starting goalies you can get really late in the draft for like $5.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to happen in a 14-team league with the way goalies have been going.
Yeah, it's a lot already. He's up to 16. Matt Murray, how much did he go for? Less, right?
15. Yeah.
Murray's a guy who's like you can really rely on at least to give you good save percentage when he plays. I mean, you think he's still young, so maybe I shouldn't be using him as a benchmark. But I don't know. It seems like a lot for Craig Anderson. Ends up being sold for $16 to the Chiefs. Did they need a goalie? Oh, it's an interesting strategy by the Chiefs because I see they also got Bobrovsky a bit earlier for 15. Oh, and then the guy who got Bobrovsky, he's also the one who got Roberto Luongo. So he's just going for the high volume guys, hoping that maybe he could squeak out enough wins to challenge there and then hopefully get a decent save percentage some weeks.
And everyone's favorite Shane Gostisbehere.
Oh yeah, he's another one of these. Would it be fair for me to call him Klingberg light, Shane Gostisbehere?
Another about guy. Right. They're both like points and power play guys.
Yeah, and there's a lot of upside for Gostisbehere. There is also though still the he doesn't have the job as assuredly as Klingberg does. Like I can name a couple of guys in Provorov and even Mark Streit who could potentially eat into some power play time. You don't think so? Okay, well, he's being purchased for $29. How does that compare to you for the value that Klingberg went for? Klingberg went for 34 to talk to Dehan, or Gostisbehere for 29. Do you think that's the right disparity between them?
Probably. I'd probably be more likely to be buying Gostisbehere for 29 than Klingberg for 34, but there's
maybe I'm further.
There's
down.
arguments for both.
I just feel like Gostisbehere is a little bit. He had such an amazing run last year that I almost feel like I don't want to trust his stats. Like no one is that good. He had like a 20 point streak. So I feel like we still haven't seen the real Gostisbehere. He played 64 games, had 46 points. A lot of them came during this like amazing run. And obviously being the top defenseman on the power play for Philadelphia with Voracek and Giroux and those guys, like he's going to be worth a lot. But I guess, I don't know, $29. It's not like people really broke the bank for him.
It's also worth noting that power play was really bad early in the season and then got good.
Because he came in.
Kind of because of Gostisbehere, so I don't think they're likely to mess with that.
Yeah, I will point out he had 13 points in 15 games in February and then only 7 points in 14 games in March. And when I say only, half point per game for a defenseman is really good. And
that's a tiny sample.
Like super small sample sizes. But just to say, I don't know if his overall, like I guess I've already said it, his overall point pace, I'm not sure if that's representative of what he'll give throughout a full season. But he goes to Tuukka's Revenge for 29. Then another defenseman went. Hanson Brothers got Drew Doughty for 25. I feel like Doughty's a guy who it's just like you know what you're going to get. It's almost like a Shea Weber. Like he'll get between 40 and 50 points. Last year he had an amazing surge for himself, getting up to 51 points. I'm not sure if he'll be able to do that again, but I'm pretty confident he could hit 45. He'll get you a decent number of power play points, decent number of shots. Not big on the blocks, 105 blocks last year. Yeah,
Doughty's pretty stable and safe at this point. There's not a lot of upside or downside.
Yeah, I feel like he's a really good number 2 defenseman on your team if you like hit it out of the park for your number 1. Kyle Palmieri goes for $13. Speaking of the opposite of Doughty, the opposite of someone who is steady. This is someone who had done nothing for his whole career in Anaheim and then started on New Jersey last year and got 57 points when before his career high was 31 points. So obviously Cheevers. Oh, Cheevers, the guy who got Palmieri. That's the guy who only has goalies, right? Not anymore.
Yep. That's his first forward.
Yeah, well.
First offensive player.
I feel like if you could have all Kyle Palmieris, maybe you're not so bad, especially if it could be all last season Kyle Palmieris. I don't know if that 57 points is sustainable. I've talked to Brian, and I think he thinks that he's not going to be able to keep that up. If he's playing with Taylor Hall, if he gets on the top line with like a Hall and Henrique, then, that might be a really good pick. But he could also end up falling to the second line if someone else.
And health is also a factor there. So
what's also a factor?
I think health is a factor for him.
Well, he
I might
played
be
82 games
Palmieri
last year.
with Palmieri, though.
Well, yeah, no, well, Palmieri, it's true, didn't play a full season in Anaheim before. I'm not sure if there were like benchings involved, but he was injured definitely the previous season. But he played a full season last year.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
All right, then James Neal. This is a guy who might have been a steal at $17. We're talking about these left wingers. I wonder if Brian, I'm surprised actually, Brian, that's another guy. Is Brian still in this draft, by the way? Is he in the draft room? He's been not doing anything for a while, just letting the picks go by. I hope that he didn't get disconnected already.
It's not his guys.
I thought James Neal was his guy.
Connor Hellebuck went for 15.
Wow. Well,
And
that's a home run swing right there. I feel like if he ends up being the number one goalie on Winnipeg, he's going to be worth more than 15. He could also get sent to the minors. Like it could happen if Winnipeg decides to go that way.
Yeah.
Hutchinson and Powell.
That's the first goalie for new team 7, so I can see why they're swinging for the fences there.
Yeah. Well,
That makes my sports metaphors.
No, yeah, for sure. I hope that Connor Hellebuck stays on the team. He seems like the best goalie. Rasmus Ristolainen just went for $27. That is, I'm very surprised. I was surprised when I saw in your draft that he went for like 20. Here he goes for 27. Yeah. This is by Cheevers, the guy who only has Palmieri, Ristolainen, and then goalies. So you gotta hope that he's gonna be able to hold on to that spot as the. Well, I'm sure he will. That's the thing. He will be the number one power play defenseman. And if you like Eichel and Okposo, I guess there's a lot of upside there. He had 41 points last year, and it was a really good year. I feel like 41 is probably around where he'll end up again.
Yeah, 40s, yeah.
But I don't know. For $27, maybe it's a bit high, but we'll have to
that's
see.
a role thing, though. Like I've seen some advanced stuff that doesn't like Ristolainen as an actual defenseman, but his role is top power play, top defenseman. So he's gonna be worthwhile in fantasy.
Yeah, definitely. And he's also got a decent number of blocks, so he could help you there.
Yeah.
Frederick Anderson just went for $21. Seems about right. I'm curious to get Brian back on. Remind me when he comes on. I want to ask him what happened with James Neal, because I know going into the season he was so excited about him. He has all this money left. Why didn't he bid on him?
Maybe just didn't like the price.
Didn't like the price.
Anderson going to the same team that just bought Connor Hellebuck. So they went from 0 goalies to 2 goalies very quickly there.
All right. You can see what he's going for. He's going for goalies that have upside. Like both of them have had times where they've had really great save percentages. I guess actually they're pretty different, Hellebuck and Anderson. Maybe Anderson's the one he knows he's going to get the starts, assuming he's healthy. And then Hellebuck's the one who he could end up having like this top goalie. Maybe in a league like this, you're competing against such smart people. Maybe you want to just take risks like this. If you only take 1 or 2 and they pan out, it could work out really well for you.
Yeah.
So who do we got on the board?
Shen up now.
Yeah, Shen definitely had a career year last year. He's also not as, he's only 25 years old. I feel like I always think of him as someone who's been around for a really long time, and he's older. 59 points last year. Previously, his career high was 47. So we'll see if people are thinking of him as someone who will be more. He ends up going for $12.
To the Cheevers, which is another kind of upside pick, I think. So.
Yeah, well, as someone who's left wing, if he was only center eligible, then I don't know if I'd be too excited about him at that price. But with left wing, I think it's probably worth it to go for $12 to get Braden Shen. Yeah, we're going to see a lot of value picks now as people are starting to run out of money. The Flamingos entered a bid on someone. So Duncan Keith is someone that Brian's come out of hiding to bid for. He's already been outbid, though. Yeah. I guess we got this break coming up. This is a lot. Maybe we could talk for a second. Maybe we could take a break from just commentating on the draft. Like, do you have some overall thoughts, Jeff, on what's been happening so far as Keith goes for $16?
I think once we get to that break, I think I can do that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we want to watch and talk about this, but I'm also so curious to get some overall thoughts. Brian didn't get him. So I guess $16 for Duncan Keith. It's actually not that bad a deal. This is a top power play defenseman that's going to be with Patrick Kane. Patrick Kane goes for $50. And Duncan Keith, if he could stay healthy, he's good. He got injured a bit last year. He's also 33 years old. 43 points in 67 games last year, which is actually one of his best seasons. If you look at the year before, he had 45 points in 80 games, 43 and 67. That must work out to closer to a 50-point pace. I guess he did have years a while back when he got up to 60, even 69 one year, but that's already a different guy from over 6 years ago. Alex Steen on the board right now.
Keith also was the first defenseman for Every Day in Buffalo. So.
Yeah, I feel like as the number one defenseman, maybe it's a lower end for a number 1D, but it's also not horrible. Like, at least it's a guy who's still on the top power play. If Everyday and Bufflin could grab another guy or two in that tier, I think you could do a lot worse. Like, he's a reliable guy as long as he's healthy. Speaking of reliable guys, when they're healthy, Alex Steen, top line, top power play on St. Louis, goes for $14 to Brian. I think it's a steal. I like that a lot. I feel like Alex Steen is better than Daniel Sedin, and maybe better than even James Neal, who I was mad about before him not getting, for $14. That's a really good deal. I still think he could have gotten James Neal and Alex Steen.
I think Steen is hurt right now and is going to miss a few games.
Yeah, that's the problem with him, the injury risk. I have read reports that he might make it to the start of the year. You kind of have to expect with a guy like him that he's going to miss some games for you. James Neal went for 17.
But man, it's tough to buy a guy with an injury history who's already hurt. Like that's. Yeah.
But I think for $14, it's good. Maybe you're right. That's why he didn't go up to $20. But I'm with Brian on that one. Yeah. Which again, I'm giving away some of my secrets, so probably now I'll get outbid if I bid on him tomorrow. But whatever. I don't like him that much. Tier 2 guys.
Good. Brad Marchand up for bid. See if he gets a World Cup Finals bump.
Right.
He's at 20.
Well, I mean, he doesn't need the World Cup Finals bump, considering he had a career year last year: 61 points in 77 games, 37 goals. I feel like the question for him is, can he do that again?
Yeah. My answer is yes, because the rate stats were all in line with his career rates.
Oh yeah,
he just got like an extra. You got an extra like 2 minutes a game, pretty much.
He's a high shooting percentage guy, by the way. 14.8 shooting percentage last year seems so high, but actually his career average is 15. Very surprising.
Yeah,
that's gonna help you get 37 goals.
Yeah, first blush you look like, oh, that's gonna regress. It's like, well, no, what it's gonna regress to is his career rate, which is pretty good.
Which is the same. I guess the big difference between last year and the year before was his shots. He had 250 shots last year, and before that he had never had more than 180. So if he could keep that up, that's good. And then let's get back to this draft. What did he go for?
That was all ice time.
Yeah,
sorry to cut in. So we've paused for our 90-minute. We're taking 5 minutes. I'm actually myself going to take a short little break, walk around the apartment, grab another glass of water.
Okay.
But when I come back, I'm happy to chat about what's gone on.
Yeah, come back soon. We're excited to hear from you. But in the meantime, Jeff, you're the auction draft expert. Like, what has surprised you, and what has happened that you find interesting in this draft so far?
Not a lot of surprises. I mean, we saw goalies going for what seemed like high prices, but that's been kind of a trend I've seen. Just because there's a bunch of them that are, I think, kind of clustered in value. So, when one goes for, when one kind of sets the market, the other ones are all going to kind of follow suit, and you're going to have a hard time getting a discount on any of them. And also, there was I think that the low, the value point on goalies was exactly one player was Lundqvist at 31, and then the rest all just went a little higher.
Yeah, who knows in future drafts if it'll go this way, but it definitely seems from this draft the best value was to get your goalie early and get out and let everyone fight over the remaining guys in that tier.
Yeah, Bishop for 39 looks way better than the other guys who went in the high 30s.
Yeah, actually, I forgot about Bishop. He went for 39, and it did seem like, wow, that's really high considering Carey Price was for 46. Maybe you spend $7 more, you get the truly elite guy. But you're right. And Lundqvist at 31 seemed about right to me at the time. But then as you get further and you start seeing Rask for 35, Dubnyk for 34, it's like, you could have had Bishop for a couple dollars more. So who knows how high the guy who got Bishop. That's the thing with these drafts. You don't know. Every day in Bufflin got Bishop for 39. Who knows how much higher he would have bid if you would have tried to get him. Looking at the chat room here, some comments. Some people are suggesting that maybe the strategy is to nominate players you're not interested in. That's what Cam is saying. I guess he's seeing that because all the bids got so high.
I have suggested that in the past.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And then I guess when you get later on, when people are out of money, that's when you could sort of switch your strategy.
Yeah, it definitely gets to a point where you want to nominate guys that you want to buy. But
let's take a look at who's
the hardest. I think the hardest thing about auction drafting is patience.
Right. Well, not for all people. Brian seems to have had some patience. Let's maybe look at these teams right now that people have assembled. Maybe we could start to have some judgment of like which teams you think have done well with their budget so far. Like if we go from people who have the most players, new team 7, we won't be able to go through all of these. Maybe I'll just pick out a couple. But like Malkin, Forsberg, Kessel, Giroux, Truba is the name that stands out there. Hellebuck and Anderson. So definitely high-end forwards, and then lower-end goalies, and then really low-end defense in Truba. He has $72 left. Do you like his situation right now?
I really like the Giroux buy, and I think he got goalies probably when he wanted to. Like get it, like that pair of goalies for those prices seems good. Rather than sinking, 36 into a single goalie that might have been riskier, that kind of spreads it out a little.
Yeah, I guess the big concern here is he doesn't have any defense aside from Truba.
Yeah, he probably needs to invest in some D.
Yeah, he only has $72 left. So let's maybe, if we look at that, the teams that have the least amount left, I'm seeing someone has 56 here. I think that's the lowest. Yeah, Darren Helms Deep has spent $204 of his $260 budget on Connor McDavid, Evgeny Kuznetsov, Martin Jones, Jonathan Huberdeau, Kyle Okposo, Mark Scheifele, and John Carlson. So a nice star-studded lineup. But do you think he's going to be able to fill out the rest of his roster with his $56 to make it worthwhile to have spent so much on all those guys?
Yeah, he's might look a bit like my keeper team, where he's got one good goalie and a lot of question marks behind him. But Jones is a pretty good sort of anchor goalie to have.
Yeah, the thing with Jones, I feel like, is one of the reasons I want Jones is because I think he's going to get me a lot of wins, like not necessarily banking on like a huge save percentage from him. He had 918 last year. I feel like that's probably what you could expect again, maybe a little bit higher, but he's going to get you a lot of wins. And almost, I feel like if you're taking one goalie who's going to get you a lot of wins, you kind of want a second one, because I don't know if you could take the wins category with only one good goalie, like no matter how good he is. So to me, that's a little bit concerning, actually. I would definitely want him to try to get one of the goalies who could still get him some wins to sort of support Jones. I'm not sure if that's the right strategy or not.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who else he buys.
Yeah, like, I mean, so some goalies that are left are Halak. I'm just looking down the list here. Halak, Varlamov, Mason, Grice, Vasilevsky, Reimer. So you got only a couple of those names that I'm saying are the ones who are going to get a lot of starts. I guess like Varlamov really stands out as maybe the only goalie left that's going to have a lot of starts. And there is always the chance that Pickard could steal some.
Halak will too, but
yeah, Halak, I guess, Grice is just the guy who people are scared of, but he had a good World Cup for sure. Mike Smith. Guys. There he is.
Thanks for hanging on there. So just a quick hit, because everybody is back and ready to roll. Do you have you want to ask me a question, or should I give you my thoughts?
Did you hear my judging you about James Neal?
Yes, I did. What is I can't even remember now. My head's spinning. At left wing.
James Neal, left wing. He went for
more than Alexander Steen. So I'm pretty pleased with getting Steen instead of Neal and saving a couple bucks in the process.
All right, yeah, hard to judge right now. We'll have to see how your left wing ends up. Maybe that's
It sounds like you're doing plenty of judging, as a matter of fact.
Well, I mean, what am I supposed to talk about? We have nothing prepared, and we're trying to kill time here.
Okay, well, how about I'm still mad about Zach Parise. Weber and Giordano, I had to make a move. Like I had to bid for those guys, and I was happy to see a couple D-men after those two, like Klingberg and Ghost-Bear. Ghost-Bear I was in on briefly, go for about the same or more than them, and I feel like they offer a little more breadth than both of those guys, so I'm happy about that. Joe Thornton at center at $22, pretty pleased with.
Yeah, that looked like a good deal.
I don't know what I'm going to do about my second goalie. I've already seriously considered going with one into the season. So we'll see how the rest goes.
You have $105 left. So that's the most of anyone. So you have basically, you could control the second half and get the players you want. Obviously, you still want to get good value. We'll be watching you. Excited to see how you spend your remaining $105. Lots of value still left on the board. Like, I don't want to give away any of your secrets or like share anything, but just looking at the top guys available as we get back into the draft, we've got Couture, Van Riemsdyk, Voracek, Barkov, Simmons, O'Reilly. So, these are some nice names that would look good on any roster. We'll see if you get them.
Yeah, Brian? There are plenty of guys that I'm hoping to fit in on my roster, but I'm still like at the assumed values that I want to spend on them. I'm still $14 over budget. So it's gonna be interesting to see where I trim that fat. And now I'm gonna go restart that draft. How does that
All
sound?
right, cool. Maybe you could even hang out with us for a little bit until someone comes up that you want, then you get overwhelmed and have to
Oh
get
my
into
gosh.
the bidding.
Well, I can try, but
That's a
seeing as how
huge-
I'm having a difficult time talking and finding the resume button,
Yeah, something that kind of happens in the mid game of a draft of an auction is that the elite players are gone, but there's still like a lot of talent and a lot of guys that you probably like, and you still can't buy all of them. So there's sort of this second bit of patience of maybe not going for a guy that's on par for value and just taking the guys that you really want to get on your team.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting part of the draft, like you say, because now like Jordan Eberle is up. He's still like potentially not elite, but like someone who could be really valuable to your team, especially if he's obviously playing with Connor McDavid, which in the preseason, that's what we've been seeing so far.
Yeah.
So he's up for $15 now, and that's what he got sold for. So we're done, I think, talking about the $30 guys at this point. I think like 20 is now going to be a high value. Like Marchand went for 20, and aside from him, the last few have all been in the teens. Eberle goes to the Hanson brothers for $15. Considering Steen was 14, Keith was 16. Well, that's not a four, but like Marchand for 20, I feel like I'd take Eberle at 15 over Marchand for 20.
Got Shattenkirk at 25 right now.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Shattenkirk. He's one of the few defensemen left who could still be like a top power play D-man who could get a lot of points. Like, we're 2 seasons removed from like a really monster year where he had over a 60-point pace.
Yeah.
Some people are concerned about Colton Parayko eating into some of his power play time, but that doesn't seem to be affecting his bid value right now. $29 up to 30 for Brian
last year, but was good. He was very good otherwise.
Yeah, he was someone I'll say that I looked at in your draft. I'm feeling like any prep I did based on the values from your draft, I'm gonna kind of throw that out the window. I saw Shattenkirk at $20 and thought, wow, if I get Shattenkirk for 20, that'll be great. But he just went for 31, which is definitely not a good deal. I'm not saying it's a bad deal, but it's a lot to spend.
Yeah, in terms of using another auction's values, you really want to look at more like which sort of number player bid they were for their position.
If you can hear me.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna step in and say I also used your values as a benchmark, and I have to say I regret the decision, partially because I think
Brian, do you want to look at Varlamov right now? By the way,
no, I see him. Thank you. It's too rich for these hips. Yeah, so I think usually my plan going in was to not look at any values and just watch the market and watch it set itself and make some clever choices that way. And I feel like having, it took about 20, 30 players to realize, and I'm still realizing that the values I was going off of are not matching up at all with the pace and market of this draft. So unfortunately, I think it added it made me a little blind to how players were actually being ranked and rated. Although I just feel like everyone's gone so high, and I'm waiting for the rest to happen, and now I have to go.
Okay, yeah, we know why he has to go. Steve Mason is up for bid. Brian talked about how he really thinks that Mason could have a good year and will be the number 1 guy, even though some people are worried he's going to be in a tandem with Neuwirth. It'll be, at some point, like as to what Brian's saying, like, people have been going for higher maybe than we expected. At some point,
yeah, I'm back because like Varlamov just went for 22. Mason's up to 24. Like my goalie list is dwindling. I can't. It's not where I want to spend money. So I'm just. I'm surprised, and I don't know when things are going to slow down.
You know what, Brian? Maybe you're going to be the guy who just gets a good, you'll use your when you just go into the season, you decide how to allocate your free agent acquisition budget throughout the year. Now you know that when a goalie gets injured and like the backup is available or someone establishes themselves like Hellebuck did last year, you'll know maybe you need to spend there. Like you might not be screwed. Like there were a lot of goalies that came out of nowhere to be really valuable last year. Like Thomas Greiss, actually, another great example. He wasn't drafted in most drafts.
Yeah. Tyson Berry at 29 right now.
He got started at 25, so there was no question.
Got bid up.
Yeah, Shattenkirk at 31 is looking pretty good. I mean, relatively. I don't know. Who would you rather have, Barry or Shattenkirk? And then actually, I'm going to mute myself because it's too tempting to chat with you and I need to focus.
Yeah, you definitely do. Barry versus Shattenkirk. I think I would go Shattenkirk. Maybe I'd have to look into it a bit more. I feel like he has done it before. Like he's been a guy who get a 60-point pace. Barry, I mean, at the same time, Tyson Barry last year ended the year with 49 points in 78 games, had 53 the year before. I guess like he seems closer to 50, but I do think he has the upside for more. And I'm not a guy who just thinks everyone has upside for more, but I think Barry with the new coach, we could see something exciting happen with him.
Well, you kind of are, but I do like Shattenkirk better. I think Shattenkirk's probably going to get more points and will get more blocks than Barry. So
that's true with the blocks. Also, Barry definitely doesn't help there. Only 84 last year. Most of the defensemen that you see are over 100.
There was some deployment stuff, so that could change with a new coach.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Now we got
Barry got deployed in kind of sheltered offensive roles and wasn't given tough defensive minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's true. Barry has more upside, like we say. We have to see what his role. He won't go down. I know that. I think 50-point floor is really good for Barry, and Shattenkirk maybe is a bit more risky because he's had some injuries, and also maybe he has more capable challengers for him in the lineup, and Colton Parayko. But I think if it was me, I'd probably go Shattenkirk. But I'd probably be equally happy with both. Give me Shattenkirk, especially for the blocks.
Yeah.
Now we're getting.
And we just got a Couture for 15, which I think is a good price.
Yeah, we're still in this thing of a lot of these centers that are left, or at least that have gone, and a couple that are left, are still guys who could theoretically get a really high value. Like a guy like Couture could. It's not crazy to say that he could get 70 points. If everything falls exactly correctly for him. Same with this guy who's up for bid now, Ryan Johansson. The bid is $20 right now for Johansson. I saw Brian put in a bid, but I guess he's shying away now. I don't know. If I'm Brian at this point, I might have gone $1 more for Johansson. Though now it's already up to 22, so maybe at this point it gets a little rich.
Well past its bid.
But he's good. He was going for a lot higher last year.
Oh yeah, for sure. But he's coming off more of a down year. I don't think 22 is a discount on him though. That seems like full price.
I guess that's full price, but if you have money to spend, maybe now's the time to spend full price on a Ryan Johansson because the centers are running out. Just looking down the list, and not to bias anything, but looking down the list on Fantrax here, I'm seeing Barkov, O'Reilly, Brassard, Matt Duchene. No, I know Brian likes Matt Duchene.
There's a lot of centers. It's the deepest position by far.
But I would say there's a drop after that. If I'm saying Barkov, O'Reilly, Brassard, Duchene, and Jeff Carter, then the next centers after that are Zetterberg, who we're concerned about, Taves, who are his line mates going to be. Kadri is clearly a tier below. So I think we're running out. I think one of these next centers, I could see potentially if people are paying attention to the positions that we might get what happened with the goalies on these next few centers of people spending a little bit more if they want to get a guy in that tier above. At the same time, like you say,
I think most teams have centers at this point.
Yeah, you're right. I guess you have to look at the teams to see how true that is. And center, like you say, on the other side, they are so deep that even if you wait, you're still going to get potentially a top center, like a Nazem Kadri or like Paul Stastny that we've talked about on the podcast. These are guys who still haven't been taken and could end up going for pretty high. I mean, could end up going for pretty low.
And Brian just bought Keith Yandel, another defenseman, for 27.
I like it. I mean, I think that he potentially could give him a lot of offense. Brian's defense is looking really strong. Shea Weber, Mark Giordano, and Keith Yandel, all top power play defensemen. We definitely could see where he spent his money. $27 for Yandel. The problem is, he doesn't give you the shots or the blocks, but he should be good for the assists and the power play points.
Yeah, Petrangelo up now is another defenseman.
Yeah, well, this is the opposite as Keith Yandel. I don't expect him to have too many power play points. He's decent for points. You should expect at least 40 from him. Takes a lot of shots and blocks a lot. So he helps in some of those peripheral categories. He goes for 17.
Yep. Yeah, I like Petrangelo.
Yeah,
so he's a guy who gives you some of everything, maybe not a lot of anything.
Yeah, last year he had 5 power play points. So that's the one thing where he didn't give. The year before he had 12, and the year before that he had 18. So maybe if people are thinking that Shattenkirk might get moved, that could be a reason to think that maybe Pietrangelo has the uptick. Because I know everyone's talking about Colton Parayko, but Pietrangelo is the guy who plays the most minutes. He could potentially get on that top power play, especially if they go 2 defensemen.
Yeah,
if Shattenkirk gets moved, that is. I like Pietrangelo at that value. I think Brian always mocks me for saying his name wrong. Pietrangelo, not Piet. The I is silent. Oh, wow. Halak is up to $20 bid. He's one of those guys that I thought was going to be a guy who could get at a discount. Clearly not.
Cheever said they grabbed goalies that they wanted and then went into wait mode. Seems they may have just kept spending.
Yeah, I'm very surprised at how much these goalies are going for. $25 for Halak. I thought he was going to be like a $10 guy.
Maybe that $20 Cam Talbot isn't so bad.
That's true. Wow. You know what? I do owe an apology to, who was it? I guess it was Cheevers, right? $28 for Cam Talbot. At least he got his goalie off the board.
That might have also set the market a little bit.
Possibly, but you know, I have a feeling that a lot of the people who bid so much on these other guys would just be like, oh, I wish I kind of just had Cam Talbot for 28 instead of Halak for 25, someone who could be good, I guess is on a better team, but has a real strong contender that he has to battle with for starts in Thomas Greiss and like
Brian's comments, my goodness, you guys, your wallet's never empty.
Well, they will be empty at some point, right?
Yeah. And
Voracek is up to $20. You know what? Voracek's the kind of guy that I think that we all thought that he was being underrated on Yahoo. He was so far back that people all thought like that's going to be the guy I'm going to get for good value, and so everyone decided to bid on him, and now he's already at $26.
That's another thing that can happen in auctions is if everyone or a bunch of people want a value on the same player, they end up paying full price.
Yeah, exactly. Like you think I could get him at a good discount. Then once the price is going up, you already had it in your head. Oh, I plan to have Voracek. Yeah. Brian gets him for $26.
And I like that.
I guess in the end, it's still a lot less than other right wingers on the board here. Yeah. At the same time, he went for a lot cheaper in your draft.
Yeah. Like I'd like to get him at more of a discount than that, but we're in the position Brian's in. I'm just happy with that.
Yeah, I'm proud of Brian that he I'm proud of Brian that he was able to pull the trigger even if he wasn't getting the good value because he really needed it.
Yeah. Voracek also has that 70-point upside. Like he could get there again pretty, with it wouldn't take too much.
Yeah. He needs the opportunity, right? Like if he's back on the top line, I think we're good. But Philly made the playoffs last year. Things were kind of going well for them at the end with what they were doing. So it's hard to say what's going to happen with Voracek, but I think you're right. Like $26, definitely no judgment. Like especially with Brian's roster, I think that's Brian's first right winger also. So I mean, if he didn't get Voracek, who is he going to get for that role? And then we get Barkov going for 17. Back to these centers. I guess you're right.
That's an actual reasonable price for him.
Yeah, a lot of people are really high on him. I'm surprised he didn't go for higher. But
I've seen projections as much as like 70 points, which I think is insane. But but for 17, he only has to put up like 60 or something, which is pretty close to what he did last year. So
yeah, it's Barkov.
Not an overpay.
The thing is the injuries also. I'm not yet going to be like he's a for sure guy who you have to expect he's going to miss time and sort of like account for that. But I think if he doesn't play this full season, then I feel like that's the time. Like 3 times already he's played and gotten injured throughout the season. Last year, only 66 games, 71 the year before. I want to see like 75 plus games from Barkov. Otherwise, I think he has a permanent discount, or at least for a few years. Kind of like a Spezza. Like maybe now Spezza's earned his way back to being a guy who I'm not worried about injury, but it took a few years for me to get to that point.
Yeah. And also Patrick Sharp up for bid right now.
Yeah, he's at 50.
Almost got frozen at 13, but Brian bid him up.
Yeah, but now we're back up to 15. Oh, Brian is in the bidding war here. Cheevers and Brian, both of the guys who we said had the most money at one point left. Now he's up to 17. I guess looks like Brian is going to let Cheevers have him. Patrick Sharp is someone who people were so excited about last year when he got moved to Dallas, and they thought, oh man, for sure, top line, top power with Ben and Sagan. I'm sure he was going for higher. He ended up with 55 points in 76 games, so I guess a bit of a disappointment depending on what people paid for him, but I feel like he should be able to at least do that again next season.
He bounced around lines a lot last year.
Right, a bit of a stressful game.
And with his last year in Chicago, he just got shuffled around like everywhere. It was
That's
weird.
True. Yeah, so actually it's been 2 years.
They horribly underutilized him his last year.
But what do you think moving forward? Like now Dallas is running out of guys. Like Nichushkin is gone. Hemsky's injured. I feel like there has to be a spot for Sharp in the top 6.
I think he's got to be solidly in the top 6.
No, here's
maybe
actually
not the top line, but Second line with Spets is just fine.
Yeah, and hopefully top power play at least.
Yeah.
And then we see here Boscheman. This is what we were talking about, I guess, with this Nick Leddy. It still maybe wasn't time because whoever put Boscheman up, I wonder if you could have gotten him for cheaper. Now he's already at a $5 bid. Oh, Alan is asking
And
to
they
see
want him, so they went $6.
$6 for Boscheman. Like, Boscheman was valuable last year, I think, mainly because he put up all those blocks, which is amazing, but he was able to support that
led
with
the league in blocks.
He led the league in blocks, but he also was able to put up points, which is so valuable because I feel like blocks you could always find in free agency for a given week, but you're spending based on,
last year Bushman was the blocks I found in free agency.
But I just feel like this year, maybe with a new coach, I don't know if Bocheman gets on that second power play. I would be worried. I think that's definitely a high bid for him.
Yeah, I'm a little worried his role changes, but I think if anything, it might be less of an offensive role. So the blocks probably stay. I don't know.
So for those of you watching in the chat room, I'm being asked to share the other team rosters. So the way it's working is that I have this screen being shared, and if I open up another window, that won't get shared. So I'm just going to cycle through the rosters. I'll give like a minute each on each one. So if you're watching, you could just sort of watch on the right side here as I scroll through.
Yeah, maybe just go to the team that won the last player.
Oh, okay. We could do that.
Yeah.
So who should I go to right now then?
Cheevers bought Boscheman.
Okay, yeah, that's actually a good idea. So Cheevers has been on the whole time. So Boscheman, $7. It shows here, by the way, a dollar amount / and then a money amount. $15 divided by 90 or whatever. Like, do you know what that means?
That was the bid, not the bid, the nomination number.
Oh, the bid number. Like, when did he come up?
Yeah.
All right, so now we're seeing.
Yeah, so Boscheman was the 98th player nominated.
So we're seeing here now that Van Riemsdyk just went for $11. I put him in a similar category as Patrick Sharp, like someone who should have a decent role and get a lot of shots, hopefully get some power play points.
I really like JVR at 11.
Yeah, well, especially compared to Patrick Sharp at 17. Seems like a good discount for someone who I feel like could be the same.
Filthy Animal has not bought a lot of players. He's got his goalies set up, but that's his first left wing.
All right, so I'm going to put him on the screen.
Yeah.
Filthy Animal here. Yeah, he's got Tavares. Oh, he still has actually some money to spend here. Like,
Dumba
obviously, he
for
spent
$2.
Did Dumba just go?
Yeah, Dumba for $2.
Right, I need to...
No comment. Thomas Grice is up.
I mean, Matt Dumba is someone who could be good. Like, I don't mean to...
Nah.
I mean, especially...
I will dump on Dumba.
We'll have to see. We have a new coach, right? So Bruce Boudreau, maybe he'll like Dumba, and he could get the power play time. I feel like probably you could have just gotten him for $1, but I'm okay with $2. I mean, you can't really like argue too much, I think. So, but anyways, who did Dumba go to? He went to new team 10, so I could throw him up on the board here. Maybe we could look at some of these teams as we go. Brian's also messaging me with his Brian, stop messaging me with your strategies. I can't keep track. He just wrote saying he'll stop. He's telling me which goalies he's planning on bidding on, but I won't say, guys. It wouldn't be nice.
Yeah. Grice goes for $6.
Now he's mad at me that I said that. Okay. So Thomas Grice goes. So maybe a bit of a goalie run here. It's kind of hard for me to keep track of updating the teams here. So guys, I'm going to go back to what I said before about just going through them one at a time, just because I don't think I could keep track of also keeping track of who got the bid and then updating it for that person. So
yeah. I mean, we don't have to talk about every team when they buy a player, but it's just a good way to cycle.
Yeah. But anyways, back on the chat here.
Mark Stone goes for 14 to Hanson Brothers.
Right, Mark Stone for $14.
Right.
Yeah. We're talking about another guy who like maybe 70 is high, like like I was saying about Couture or whatever. Like maybe Stone's a level above that, but I think 65 points is definitely achievable. Once you're saying 65.
Yeah, I like Mark Stone, but I am worried about that preseason concussion and just what the hell is going on in Ottawa.
Yeah, well, do you think that's part of the reason why he went for so low, or it's just also people are running out of money at this point?
I mean, it's I feel like he's kind of perpetually underrated, but then it's probably properly rated once he's has a concussion like that. So.
Now we've got Andrei Markov on the board, a $2 bid. Okay, he got up. I was thinking $2 would have been a bit low. Like, he's old.
Yeah.
We don't know how he's going to do with Subban out, but he's still.
Yeah, I think he could have. He's a guy you probably could have gotten for $1 at the end, but
I mean, that'd be pretty great. Last year he had 44 points, you know, for a defenseman and a decent number of blocks, 142 blocks. So
yeah, but
I think that whoever got him now for Filthy Animal got him for $4. I'm fine with that. I'll take a $4 Markov on my team. I guess again, spoiling for next. No one from my draft is.
That's his first defenseman.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. I guess that's why I felt the need to buy him. So you got Vatanen up now.
Okay, so yeah, when you compare Vatanen to Markov, I guess it's also the kind of thing where you can't really compare them because they're giving you amounts in different categories. Maybe they're both going to be similar in power play points, but definitely we're seeing more money here. $15 Brian just bid, and he quickly got outbid. Now we're up to 17, 18.
I don't like buying low-end guys or before better guys. I don't like it.
Well, you could maybe then now's the time if you were in this draft and someone wanted a lower guy, they know that you're not going to get him. Also, maybe
the price is right on anyone, but you know,
it'll be fun to get Brian's thoughts on this after. Like, I feel like Andrei Markov, you're not giving him enough credit. I think but calling him a lower guy, I feel like he's not that. I never thought of him as a potential $1 guy. Maybe I'm overrating him. Mm-hmm. Any defenseman who could get over 40 points and give you blocks in our format and is like on the top power play, or at least was last year. Anyways, now we're getting interesting. So Vatanen went for 20.
Maybe I'm underrating him. I don't know. I just checked my numbers on him again. I'm like, oh, I actually like him better than that.
Okay. All right, Austin Matthews on the board.
But he's 38, so.
Here's the hard thing with Austin Matthews is you have to try very hard to not think about how he was the number 1 draft pick and is going to be a huge star in the NHL and just think about next year. He's at $10 now.
Broke the glass in practice.
Do you think that upped his bid value by a couple dollars?
It might add a buck, yeah.
Yeah, well, but also there was news on Roto World that he would start the season on the 3rd line. But who knows? That's like the coach. I mean, that would mean that Tyler Bozak is a center ahead of him.
I think the thing I learned last year was to don't put much stock in preseason line combos.
Right. Well,
like most of the preseason, Kessel was playing next to Crosby, and that did not happen.
I mean, you can think of examples in both ways, right? Like Artemi Panarin. Oh, he was injured for the preseason, right? But I remember there was rumblings that he would be playing with Patrick Kane, and that was definitely a good hot tip for how that worked out. I guess you have to almost decide when you're hearing the news. I mean, that's what we'll try to cover on the podcast, right? Like what news we can trust, what news to ignore. It's really hard, though, in the preseason. It's obviously you want to just see the line combos worked out in practice, but you have to draft first.
Yeah. Also, like someone traded McKinnon for Matt Bolesky because he saw McKinnon on the 3rd line. It's like, that's preseason line combos don't mean much. Like that trade kind of didn't work out for either person, but McKinnon was still a lot better than Bolesky.
Yeah, I think it was nice for the guy who traded. I think his name's Andy. I think it was Andy, and he.
They were probably both a bit disappointed, but
I think Andy could have at least been happy that he wasn't as disappointed as he could have been. McKinnon could have been a lot better. I think this year McKinnon's going to be a lot better than he was last year, as we've already discussed. So we have to move on. We've had so Ryan O'Reilly went for, or actually wait, Austin Matthews went for 13 and Jeff Carter went for 9. To me, that's crazy. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah. 13, I think, is actually a perfectly fine price for Matthews. I don't think that's inflated too much.
But then I think definitely Jeff Carter is a steal at $9 for the Chiefs. He had 62 points last year, 62 points the year before that. Pretty sure he's going to get 60 points again next season. I don't think you could say the same about Austin Matthews.
Yeah, no. Given the choice, I would definitely take Carter for 9.
Yeah. Then Ryan O'Reilly, another guy who I feel like has higher upside for this season than Austin Matthews. He goes for 11. I think that's another good deal. So definitely a good time to wait. And this is a guy who has center and left wing eligibility. So Ryan O'Reilly, I think a really good steal here. I could see why the centers are starting to go for lower. I'm surprised at a left wing.
Yeah, not when O'Reilly goes to Cheevers. Like that's kind of like you can kind of pencil in 60 points there, and like that's
maybe
like
maybe you discount.
I was skeptical about Cheevers. Sorry, I was skeptical about Cheevers, but they filled out their offense with some really nice guys in the teens. Shen, Couture, Sharp, O'Reilly, and Palmieri.
Yeah,
and that doesn't look half bad.
That doesn't look half bad, and he has definitely the best goaltending, most likely, or at least he's going to be contending for it every week without much stress. So, yeah, it'll be fun to see how his lineup looks at the end of the day. Ryan O'Reilly, by the way, I was just going to say, had a high shooting percentage last year, 13.4, when his career is 10. So he had 60 points in 71 games. Maybe he's more of like a 60 points in 80 games. But like you say, pencil him in for 60 points. Even if he goes down, it still is a 60-point pace.
Yeah.
James Reimer goes for $7. I guess that's our first backup goalie. I guess Thomas Greiss went for $6 and Reimer for $7. So I guess we're setting a market.
Reimer goes not to the Luongo owner, which is interesting.
Oh, well, I think it's overrated.
Has 3 goalies already, so.
Sorry, say it again?
The Luongo owner already has 3 goalies. So.
Right, and who are they?
That's... What's that? Oh. I forget who has them.
That's fine. Okay, so by the way, you're getting corrected in the chat room that Kessel did play with Crosby at the beginning of the season.
Early on, it didn't last though. So
right. Sorry guys, I was gonna scroll through the rosters.
It also wasn't what everyone hoped it would be.
Well, yeah. Worked out in the playoffs. Not with Crosby and Kessel, but that's fine.
Chiefs has Luongo, Bobrovsky, and Anderson. So.
And here I have them on the screen.
Why they didn't do that? So
sorry, guys, that I've done a bad job of showing all the rosters. What have we missed here? So Jonathan Taves went for 11. So we're in this now really potentially good
this is
centers.
Time,
Yeah, I wonder when Brian's going to jump in. The last guy he got was Keith Yandel at 27. Once again, now letting other people spend money, and we see Alex Galchenyuk on the board for $11. Which I think is a good deal for Galchenyuk until you look and see that you could have gotten Jeff Carter for $9.
Yeah. I think Galchenyuk has more upside, but Carter's pretty safe.
Yeah, I guess it depends what you're going for. Galchenyuk has upside, but I mean, he doesn't have upside for like 70 points this year, does he?
Well, that would be high end, but I
guess we'll see. Galchenyuk,
I guess his upside is mid-60s where, Carter's just pencil in 60.
I feel like at this point we should be able to rely on him playing with Pacioretty, but you never know. Plekanec is still there, and you can't really bank on Therrien, so it could end up being. Even still, at least he'll have a good right winger, right? Because it'll either be Radulov or Gallagher playing with Galchenyuk either way. So I like him for 60 points, $11. Can't complain at that value. Aaron Ekblad.
So he's got a wider range than Carter, is what I'm saying.
Right. So I guess we're just talking a difference of a couple of dollars. Just interesting to see some of these value guys left at this point. Aaron Ekblad goes for $9. That's probably less than he would have gone for last year. Probably people are concerned about Keith Yandel eating into potential power play time.
Yeah. Well, it's getting to a point where teams don't have a huge amount of money left. Like Talk to Dahan has 76, Tuukka's Revenge has 74, New Team Tema has $70. So teams are really watching their budgets now. There's a couple Darren's Helm's Deep is down to $9, Hanson Brother 20, Every Day in Buffalo 23. So
yeah, it's like they only have a few more left, or less. I guess at this point you have to also decide: are you going to bid big on one more guy to finish off your wallet, and then the rest go to the $1-2 guys, or do you spread that out and try to get like $3 or $4 guys?
Yeah,
like now Matt Duchene is up. He's up to $14. I think that's probably a fair price for him, or maybe not much higher than that. Now's the question.
McKinnon went for 29 or 30.
Did he really?
Yeah, McKinnon went for 30, and I think him and Duchene are
don't forget
similarly.
Well, I think maybe in terms of points, but McKinnon has the right wing eligibility, which Duchene doesn't have. This bidding war. I'm surprised about this bidding war for Duchene right now, up to $18 now.
Yeah.
I was definitely not expecting him, especially when we were just talking about these centers that have gone for so much cheaper.
Yeah. I think this might be a guy that a lot of people were hoping to get at a discount.
This is another Voracek factor happening.
Yeah.
Well, he finally does get sold.
But I would take him at 19 over McKinnon at 30, and that's entirely a difference of when they were nominated.
For sure. 19 though.
There's not $10 difference between the players, but
I wonder if 19 is going to be the highest bid for the rest of the draft. Looking at the players left, I don't see anyone that jumps out at me as someone who's going to go for higher.
Yeah.
Well, maybe this guy.
If you wanted a $20 player, that's who your option is.
Yeah, maybe Wayne Simmons, actually. Simmons is a guy who's going to get you the power. Obviously, he's worth more in leagues that count like hits, but
Yeah.
still, he's already up to 17, 18. So yeah, I'm not surprised about this just because he's probably also a guy you could rely on for around 60. The season before, he only had 50, but the year before that, he had 60. So 2 out of his last 3 seasons, he's had 60 points. Plus, he gets a good amount of shots. Plus, he's on that amazing top power play. He ends up going for $21, which is the exact same as Matt Duchene. Oh no, Matt Duchene went for 19. So, okay, now I think that's going to be the high amount for the rest of the draft. That's my call. $21 for Simmons. Do you agree or disagree? You want to take the bet?
I mean, it's hard for anyone to go for more than that just because of how little money is left.
Right. So now we're going to see some really cheap guys. Derek Brassard, potential #1 center on the Ottawa Senators, playing with Erik Karlsson on the power play, up to $7.
And whoever isn't concussed.
Oh, that's sad. Oh yeah, I guess Mark Stone is a right winger, as is Clark MacArthur. No, Clark MacArthur's left wing, so he should at least be able to play with like Bobby Ryan. Brassard goes for 7. Yeah, seems right.
Goes to Hanson Brothers.
Oh no, he went to Cheevers.
Cheevers? Oh yeah, Cheevers.
So if I look at, let's go to Cheevers' roster right now. He's almost done. You know, for someone who had those 3 goalies and didn't get anyone, he's just been doing a lot of bids lately. I have him on the screen here. He's pretty much filled out his roster at this point.
Yeah, pretty heavily involved in that sort of teens range.
I'm concerned about his
top forward.
Yeah, I'm concerned about his defense, of course, at this point. He has just Ristolainen and Boschman. I worry that those roster spots aren't going to be putting up a lot of points for him throughout the season. Maybe he could trade. Do you think maybe there's some strategy involved about taking these 3 goalies, waiting for someone like Brian maybe to not have as good goaltending, and then maybe trade? Brian actually, let's make a match right here. Brian has a lot of good defensemen, and Cheevers has these 3 great goalies in Price, Talbot, and Rask. I think that we can make a deal here. Brian could maybe trade Mark Giordano for Tuukka Rask. I think we've got a deal, right?
We talked about that on the Facebook group a little bit. That once you get in season, you know, if you're not able to get the goalies on the wire, you know, it's kind of a seller's market for them, because when you need a goalie, you need a goalie.
So I'm curious to know, when Brian comes back, let's remember to ask him if he would trade either Giordano or Weber to get Tuukka Rask or Cam Talbot. I'm assuming Carey Price is not on the table.
Yeah.
Mike Hoffman went for 17. Wow, he challenged. He almost took that new title of being the highest guy, but falls a bit short. I guess at this point, yeah, for left wingers, definitely seeing them going for a lot more than centers, because Brassard went only for 7, Hoffman for 17. This is a guy that, you know, he could give you 60 points and 30 goals, maybe more, but also maybe less, because, you know, he's never done it before. Last year, 59 points, though, very good. Hopefully he's out of the doghouse. 242 shots also last year. Now Tyler Toffoli gets sold for 13. I find it pretty interesting that Toffoli went less than Hoffman. At some point last year, Toffoli was like the talk of fantasy.
Yeah, let's see, Toffoli. Yeah, Toffoli's a guy who I think also people expected him to regress in terms of like shooting percentage and stuff, but then got more ice time, which kind of balanced it out.
Yeah,
which is the thing I've been seeing, that the way coaches respond to fluky performances can kind of delay regression or suppress regression.
Right. Well, I mean, they also had to play someone. Like Dustin Brown wasn't cutting it.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. Like he had 58 points last year, which was his career high, 49 the year before. I think if he could stick with that 58 points, which I think is reasonable to expect, at least that. We talked about that in a recent podcast, and I think the $13 for him with the right wing eligibility is pretty good. And now we're on to Andrew Ladd, another one of these guys who's on a new team, and we don't know exactly how well he'll do. $6 for a left winger that could be on the top line with Tavares. I don't think that's a bad choice for bow ties are cool.
Yeah.
By the way, Brian, I would suggest the nomination time could go down. I guess you're probably busy drafting and don't want to be doing commissioner stuff. Oh, am I
actually
kind
of disagree on that.
I don't know, 25.
I'm actually playing later, later in the draft, oddly, not who you nominate becomes more important. Because when you get down to dollar guys, you want to nominate the guy that you
Oh yeah,
actually want
that's
to
true.
get.
All right, let's leave it. I was about to just change it without asking. That would have been pretty rude of me. Actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are on Ryan Suter right now, a rare remaining top power play defenseman.
Mm-hmm.
He's up to $17, which is right away. Yeah, and that's where he got sold at. So I guess that's pretty good. I mean, I'm interested to see why he went for 17. Ristolainen went for 27. I'm not sure if I'm so much higher on Ristolainen than Ryan Suter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I think that's like a really good deal actually for Jay, new team 7. 51 points for Ryan Suter last year, 188 blocks, 142 blocks. Wait, 188 shots, 142 blocks. I think that would be a great year for Rasmus Ristolainen this year. So I think that whoever bought Risto for that much might be kicking themselves thinking they could have had Ryan Suter for so much less.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this one's a shocker to me also.
Demang for 6.
Demang for 6? Is he really? I don't think he's going to be the number 1 goalie. I think that Mike Smith is going to get more starts.
Not going to start as it at least. I'm kind of hoping he gets the job because I have him in the unofficial keeper league.
Yeah, in a keeper league, maybe he's worth more. Well, actually, he's definitely worth more because Mike Smith, he's older. He's not going to last forever, like past next year. But at the same time, and also Arizona probably should get better as their younger players get older. But right now, I think Demang is someone who still hasn't established himself even to be like a solid fantasy contributor. He had a few good weeks, but then also had a few really bad games. Yeah. I don't know. I thought he would be a $1.
Mike Smith hasn't even sold yet. So.
Yeah, and he's probably going to go for less than 6 at this point.
Probably.
Talk to Dehan. Let's take a look at her. I'll put his team on the board here. It's fun to like just judge people so that later on they could show us how dumb we were. But Talk to Dehan has Jake Allen and Louis Demang. So obviously he's going to be leaning heavily on Jake Allen at this point.
Yeah. Let's see if he ends up taking on Mike Smith too to get that tandem.
Yeah, and maybe there's a reason to expect Arizona to be better next year with these young guys getting older. They picked up Goligoski, who should help on defense. Ooh, it looks like they're pausing the draft after Seth Jones went for $9, by the way, which seems like a fair price for another potential top power play defenseman. Probably the top power play defenseman on Columbus.
Oh. Brian actually turned down the nomination time when I was arguing to leave it the same.
Brian, come on. So let's look at their rosters right now. Let me bring up Brian's roster so the people watching can see. He is at this point, if we look on the right side here, the Flamingos have $52 left. Actually, new team 10 has more than him. And so does Talk to Dehan. So actually at this point now, Brian has spent a lot of money. And I guess, he got some good guys though. Joe Thornton, Parise.
Spent a bunch in the middle.
Yeah, and these are all guys who could overperform and be like really valuable in fantasy. Like Thornton, Parise, Alex Steen, Voracek, and then Weber, Giordano, Yandel, Pecorine. I've already made the trade for him. He's trading Giordano to get Tuukka Rask. And I think you got a pretty solid team.
Yeah. There's a lot of upside there too. So like there's some risk, but
yeah. And when you say risk, you mean like injury prone guys like Parise and Steen?
Yeah, or age with Thornton, some volatility with Voracek, volatility with Rene.
Wait, I thought that we were on break, but it looks like we're not. The bids are still going.
Yeah, maybe he just changed the timers.
Oh, okay, and he brought the nomination time down?
Yeah.
We'll see how that affects the pool. So, okay, we're going. Dougie Hamilton on the board. We've had a big debate on the Facebook group over the past couple of days about Dougie Hamilton because Dauber has him so high, like as like an over 50-point guy. And, people were citing how at the end of last year he was on the top power play. He ends up going for $15 here, like a lot higher than Seth Jones. And how much was Suter again? He was 17.
Yeah,
I guess that's right.
I have a hard time seeing 50 for Hamilton, but like,
I mean, he did have 40. He did have 43 last year, and he wasn't on the top power play for the whole season. So if he could hold that job and he takes a lot of shots, I think it's a good buy actually for new team 10. Yeah. I'm starting to think that maybe Brian should have filled out that defense, picked up Dougie Hamilton, but I guess then he would have had to go higher. Who knows if there would have been a bidding war. Ellie in the chat room is saying Brian's team is old AF. So yeah, Brian needs to just hope that these guys can hold on to what they've been doing, like keep doing well for at least one more season. Joe Thornton, come on, give us another 70+ points. Nazem Kadri just went for $6. Another one of these potential top centers. I guess with Austin Matthews, you don't know. Like, how do you feel about Austin Matthews for 13 and Nazem Kadri for 6?
I don't know. That's probably right.
I don't know.
I don't know. Kadri's probably just he's gonna get you 40-something points and you'll be fine with it. But
it's
that's
possible.
what you get for $6.
I mean, last year he had 45 points and he had a 6.5 shooting percentage, which was his lowest of his career. He's normally a 10 shooting percentage guy. And he might have a better winger. Like maybe he could get like a Nylander as opposed to a Komarov. So I think there's sneaky value potentially. Kadri, on the other side, he could lose his job to Austin Matthews. So it kind of depends what happens with the roster. I like Kadri for that amount.
Yeah.
All right, Brandon Saad just went. At this point, how many players are going to be drafted overall?
242 is the number that gets drafted.
Oh man, it takes a while. There's only been 123 so far.
Yep. Yeah, when you realize we're technically halfway through.
Oh my gosh, I'm getting
and people
tired.
have so little money left.
Was this a smart experiment for us to do? I wonder how entertaining this is.
Auctions are a marathon.
How many people are watching? Actually, I don't even know how many people are with us right now. Is there a way to see this in Google Hangouts? How are you guys doing in the chat room? You guys having fun watching this? If you're in the chat room, write a message so we can see how many people are actually watching us right now live. I hope you guys are having fun. Derek Stepan just went for $7. I like that. We're at the point now where we're seeing these top centers that go late. We talked about that a lot in the Yahoo podcast where we looked at the Yahoo rankings of guys, and we were saying there's a lot of these guys. These were the names: Stepan, Nazem Kadri, Derek Brassard from a little while back.
Yeah, they're guys who are going to get minutes, and that gives them a high floor. They're just not top quality centers, so they don't have much ceiling.
Yannick
that's what you get for $6 or $7.
Yeah, which is good. I feel like with another position, you're not going to have that. I feel like the left wings and right wings available right now don't have the floors that some of these centers do. Well, Brandon Saad, I don't know. He's really hard to say just because Columbus seems like a scary team to own players on. I'm not sure how many goals they could score. $11 for Brandon Saad. Last year, he had 53 points. I'm not sure if we could expect much more than that. That's also his career high, by the way. I wonder if people are higher on Saad than maybe they should be. Like, he's only 23 years old. He probably has more upside in him. I don't know if he'll reach it. You have Milan Lucic now, who just went for $7. Same position, both left wingers. Saad goes for $4 more. Lucic last year had more points. He had 55. And plus, now this year he's going to be playing with McDavid.
Yeah, which I've seen really inflating his value. So 7 actually seems fair for him.
Yeah, I like Lucic at $7. He's one of those rare wingers left who I think have a floor of like 55, 60 points. I don't see him being much lower.
Maybe I mean, if he's on the second line, and he could be closer to 50, but
yeah, but then who's the left wing with McDavid?
Yeah, who knows?
I guess we'll see. Maybe it could be like Draisaitl could end up
talk to Dahan. Did not get Dahan. Dahan went for $1.
Oh, okay.
Which is
correct.
correct.
He got drafted. All right, now I actually want to make sure I don't sound dumb on the podcast here. Let me look up.
Everyone's favorite Jake Muzzin.
He went for
definitely 12.
When I did my first ever mock auction draft, I spent way too much on Jake Muzzin and then got embarrassed afterwards about it.
Yeah, that was your defenseman you nominated too early.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking at Edmonton's depth chart. We've talked about this a lot on the podcast, but they have Lucic and then like Pouliot, Patrick Maroon. I guess Maroon did play with good players last year at some points. Maybe it's possible. I don't know. Yeah. I'm pretty excited about Lucic next year to at least hit that 55 points.
He's probably on the first line, but if you're talking about floor, if you're talking about floor is second line and probably closer to 50 points.
So interesting that Jay just took both Muzzin and Dahan. So he just filled out his defense right now. I've got his team here up on the board. He's the guy who got Jacob Trouba for $8. I wonder what Trouba would be going for now. I think less. But if he really likes him, like I said, he had to get Trouba if he wanted him because someone else nominated him. But Trouba, Suter, Dahan, and Muzzin. So I guess he's going to hope to just get those blocks. I think that Jay is going to be one of the league leaders in blocks looking at this team. Then his goaltending, Connor Hellebuck, Frederick Anderson, and James Reimer. not too great. Hopefully he could take save percentage every once in a while. But obviously he's really going big on his offense with Malkin, Giroux, Forsberg, Kessel, and Austin Matthews. And then he still has money left.
Yeah. And Dylan Larkin just sold for 7, which I kind of like.
Yeah, Larkin is a high upside guy for sure. We saw at the beginning of last season what he can do.
Yeah, he's in line for an expanded role. We'll see what he does with it, but he's also blazing fast. So I don't know a whole lot about actual hockey players, but I do know he's good.
Yeah, well,
we'll see how it translates to on that team.
Does he have winger eligibility?
Yeah, center and right.
Okay, so in that case, I think it's pretty good. Like last year, he had 45 points, but it really was like 2 separate seasons. Like he ended the year, like in 2000, like after January, he was less than a half point per game to end the year. But he was young, learning about adjusting to a new season. He definitely has a good role on the team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it depends. Like there's still some decent wingers left on the board. Like again, just like reading down the list here, I'm seeing Zetterberg, Oshie, Landeskog, Atkinson, Gallagher, Rick Nash, Patrick Hornqvist. Kyle Tristan. So I mean, I don't know if I will see how much those guys go for. I have a feeling that maybe they'll be less, and maybe I'd rather have one of those guys maybe than Dylan Larkin, who's more of a risk. Zuccarello just went for $10. And Zuccarello is a guy who also has a top role on his team, a winger at this point. Could definitely be worth it. 61 points last year, an okay number of shots, I guess like 2 shots a game.
Yeah, a little light on shots for a forward, but fine.
Yeah, not like Henrik Sedin level shots. Has Henrik Sedin gone, by the way? I feel like he hasn't been drafted.
No, he hasn't.
Wow, I wonder
I like Mats.
You like who?
I like Mats.
Oh, Matt Zuccarello.
Yeah, he's a good $10 player. Like,
yeah, I mean, we'll see how much these other guys go. Like, I'm still curious to see what Zetterberg, Oshie, Landeskog, Gallagher, Rick Nash, Patrick Hornqvist. I want to see what those guys will go for, and then I'll go back and judge what I think of the Matt Zuccarello bid.
Yeah.
And now we've got Bobby Ryan, who just got bought. $7 also.
Yep. It's
a good deal.
Safe, boring Bobby Ryan.
I mean, who knows? Maybe with Derek Brassard, he could do something more than... You think he's probably like, you could lock him in for 60 points max, and that's it?
I don't think Derek Brassard is the guy who you're looking to bring up your Bobby Ryan, but...
Yeah, good point. I like this team, by the way. Tuukka's revenge here. He's the one who got Lundqvist for 31. He's got Lundqvist and Greiss. So if Greiss, maybe it's a bit of an if, but I think it's possible Greiss could take a lot of starts this year. Then he's got Bufflin and Ghost, and then he's got Wheeler, Bobby Ryan, Taylor Hall, and Ryan Getzlaf. So a lot of good names there. Plus, he has probably the most budget left. He has $59 left to fill 1, 2, 3, 5 roster spots. That's not too bad. Oh no, 5 roster spots. I like how Tuukka's looking. He might end up being a big contender this year. I'm sure you can say that about a lot of the teams as we go.
Yeah. Just bought Eric Johnson for 8. Or did you say that?
Oh, I didn't mention that. Oh yeah, he did. So that's cool. That's handy when I'm talking about someone and then he buys someone, so we don't have to have a segue. Eric Johnson, you know what? I like him a lot better than Boschman. And Bosch went for how much again? $7. Yeah, Eric Johnson's probably going to be the one with the most points behind Tyson Barrie on Colorado, and like he's the one who I think who's going to have the prominent role on the team and getting at least some power play time. And not too many fewer blocks. Like obviously Boschman killed it for blocks last year, but no slouch Eric Johnson with 197 blocks last year. So I think that's a good value, especially considering some of the other guys that have gone.
Well, Patrick Hornqvist up to 20.
Wow. Okay, it was Simmons for 21 that I thought was going to be the highest at that point, and just barely hangs on because Brian
gets one.
I think it's a good deal. Still, like $20 for a guy who could potentially put up like 65 points, a lot of goals, a lot of shots, top power play on Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he's the guy that my numbers I was surprised liked.
Well, can you tell me, like, how did you calculate these numbers?
The numbers I put together, without going too deep, I took 3-year like rate stats, and then sort of manually picked like a sort of manually projected their ice time to sort of multiply that by, and he was one that looking like the rate stats have been good for him, and if you look at his time in Pittsburgh and like sort of project him getting the similar ice time, he's like a 60-point guy.
Yeah, VGP in the chat is saying Hornqvist might fall off the top power play though. I'm not sure why. Like, who's going to take his spot? I see it as Kessel, Hornqvist, Crosby, and Malkin, and then Letang on defense.
Mm-hmm.
Kunitz. Oh, come on. I don't know. I mean, maybe. It's possible. Kunitz had a couple goals in a preseason game, but I'm not too excited about Chris Kunitz at this point, especially at his age. So we've got Mike Green on the board right now. And
Landeskog went for 15.
Okay. That seems fair.
Like
kind of similar to Hornqvist in terms of maybe he could get like 60 points. I think actually Hornqvist has higher points upside and higher shots upside and higher power play upside. So actually, no, I changed my mind. Actually, I think that Landeskog should have been maybe a little less compared to Hornqvist.
But at a $5 difference, that's about right.
Mm-hmm. Brian, by the way, grabs Mike Green for $4. He bid him, then he got outbid, but then Brian wanted him. And Brian had Mike Green last year and kind of got burned by him, as did I. We both had him in the cupful. He let both of us down, ended the season with only 35 points in 74 games. So less than half a point per game. Who is?
Patrick Laine.
Oh, that'll be interesting. All right, I want to go back and talk about Mike Green, but let's watch this Patrick Laine. Kind of like Austin Matthews. Is he going to go for too high? It's up to $8. Get sold. I like that. I think $8 is right around where it's like you're taking a bit of a risk for the high upside, but not going crazy. Yeah. Oh, and actually, here's another guy who's very similar, Alex Radulov. Different points in their career.
Yeah, these are two guys I really wanted to see where they went and how much.
Yeah, Radulov already up to 5. I feel like he's going to be in the teens just because of his upside, but we'll see. He's already at $9. The thing is, people might be running out of money.
I think he's the guy that if he'd come out in the first 100 picks, could have gone for 20.
Yeah.
But probably won't here just because of money left.
Yeah, well, it was almost about to be sold for $11, and then like at the last second, people went up, and now it's at 13, 2, 1. Oh, outbid. So I guess the news coming out that I saw in Roto-World is that he was going to be on the second line with Plekanec and like Andrew Shaw, which doesn't seem like as great of a position for him. Like I would have hoped for Radulov that he takes the Gallagher spot with Galchenyuk and Pacioretty. So it's a bit of a risk maybe spending $15 on a potential second line guy. But now Ellie is saying in the chat, here we go, time to overbid on Radulov and then steal Gallagher. So we'll see. Who would you want between the two of them?
I mean, it all depends on the price. Radulov is all risk and upside, like risk reward, like whereas Gallagher is safer but doesn't have the same potential.
I don't know. So, I actually don't know if I see it that way. I kind of see them as both. Like I want the guy who's going to be on the top line and the top power play. So
yeah,
I feel like it could be.
I don't know which one it's going to be.
You don't know which one it's going to be, but I don't think either of them is safer or less safe because I feel like whoever isn't that person is less safe. But we'll see. $15 for Radulov. So let's keep track of that when Gallagher comes up.
Yeah. I would say Gallagher should be cheaper, and I might rather have the cheaper Gallagher, but at the same time, it depends on what my team looks like. If I need a guy with a chance at 60s and high 60s points, I'm gonna buy Radulov. If I just need to be like, all right, I need to bank 50-55 points, I'm gonna buy Gallagher.
And Gallagher could still have upside for more. Last year he had 40 points in 53 games. So if you work that out, that is 40 divided by 53 times 82. That's 61 points. So I guess you're saying Radulov could potentially be like a 70-point guy if things go really well. So maybe that's fair. Also, Gallagher, started so strong, they got injured and came back, and by then the Habs were a mess. So I think there is a little more upside than you're suggesting for Gallagher. Maybe not too much. Maybe we're nitpicking here.
It's certainly not the same as Radulov.
I guess. I don't think it's that far apart. I'm curious. We gotta get Brian's thoughts here. Brian, are you listening to us? He's probably too busy, struggling to decide who's going to buy next. So we talked about Brian.
Yeah, sorry, I'm listening.
Radulov has a chance for 65, 70 points. I don't think Gallagher does.
I was wondering, I spent 20 on Hornqvist. Oh, yeah. So here's Rick Nash. So just sorry.
Bye. Rick Nash right now is at $2.
Yeah. Oshie went for $6, by the way, which I think is pretty cheap.
Who did? Oshie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oshie is the guy. I've been hard on him, except like in the Facebook group. But I'm hard on him just because I feel like people project too much out of him. Like I think if you think of him as like a potentially higher than 60-point guy, then I feel like, come on, he's never done it. Or he did it like a couple seasons ago, but last year only 51 points. But I think he's also like a high floor guy. So for $6, you have someone who's probably going to get you 50 points for sure.
Yeah, he's an easy 50 points. It's just like I have a hard time seeing him doing better when like he was in his best situation last year. in
Mhm.
terms of line mates and stuff. So
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't really see anyone taking his job. Like, I feel like he'll still be with
Yeah.
Ovechkin. So 50,
Yeah.
50 to 55. Then Rick Nash goes for 11. Brian left us to go get
Sorry,
Rick
I'm
Nash.
back, and I
didn't get him.
missed Rick Nash. You know, I just had I had another second or two, I might have bid up. I don't know how.
Yeah.
It seems like it was Tuca, the other team with or not the other team, because I'm not with the high budget group. I don't think anymore.
Well, I don't know if Tuca is either now that he has Ryan McDonough for 16 and Nash for 11.
Right. So that sort of puts him down. Yeah, Rick Nash. There's a couple. You know, like I still have to fill out a center forward and util spot, and I have my eye on about 6 guys to do that. So I'm hoping one of them gets to me at the right price. But
How much money do you have?
Good
Let's bring up
question.
Brian's team here.
I have no idea.
Brian
Flamingos has 28.
$28 to fill a center, a forward, a skater, and a goalie. Louis Ericsson's on the board. Are you bidding for him, or can we talk?
No, thank you for asking.
All right, Brian, what do you think about my idea that you trade away one of your defensemen for Tuukka Rask?
I'm into it. I need to get in touch with Mr. Cheevers right after the draft, and
I like it.
We'll see what happens.
I like a win-win trade, right? Like Cheevers, look at him. He only has Ristolainen and Beauchemin on defense.
We both came in with different strategies. We both came out where we're strong in each other's weaknesses, and so we can sort of just go back and get a free switch up.
Yeah, let's make this happen.
I'm hoping Cheevers is up for it, because I don't know if I'm spending money on another goalie.
Well, we talked about a couple. I guess you don't want us to probably mention goalie names at this point.
No, I would prefer. I mean, you're welcome to.
No, I'll just say the guy who we mentioned. Okay, no, I won't say anything. But like we talked about Domingue going for high, and so
yeah, no, go ahead. You can mention as many names as you like, just not off my list. I mean, like not going in order of my list.
I don't have your list.
That goalies are still available.
Yeah, I don't have your list in front of me. Okay, I'll just list on Fantrax who are the list of goalies available in order. Vasilevsky, Lettinen. Anytime a new team nominates, it like comes up above the player's name. Vasilevsky, Lettinen, Mike Smith, Niemi, Ryan Miller, Cam Ward, Korpisalo, Neuwirth, Markstrom. I guess those are probably like those 8 that I just mentioned are probably the ones that will get owned at some point, and the rest of them probably not. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes. Brian, I guess, you could either get a second goalie for some money or try to get like a $1 guy and then make a trade for your other goalie with one of you're flush on D, so that looks good for you. Let's talk about
bidding on Zetterberg right now. So
yeah, Zetterberg goes for $5. These are words I never thought I'd say like 2 years ago or even last year.
Yeah,
like you know what? He's also a guy. I mean, yeah, he only had 50 points last year. That's pretty crap. If he does that again, then $5 is the right price.
Yeah, but $5 for 50 points is just fine, and he's got the role that I think he still could do better than that.
Yeah, definitely. I like
you like the power play points that comes with that. So
yeah, you'd hope so. So I like don't relegate me, bro. Going for Zetterberg here. Give him one more year. If he does another 50-point year, then maybe at that point we drop him down to like $3 or $4. But Ellie is writing Brian letting the sweet old Zetter go. I don't know. I guess he thought Brian would be into him. Brian, why didn't you get on Zetterberg?
I thought he was going to take him.
Little too I was thinking about it. I don't have a ton of budget left, and you know it's interesting because there's not really anybody else on my radar. He and Nash were the guys I was waiting for, but I just feel like I have some comparable-ish options to him still, and his injuries concern me.
It'll be fun to see who you take with because you still have to fill a center spot, a forward, and a skater. So yeah, so basically you need at least one center, and then probably you want at least one left wing and one right wing so that you have some flexibility. So it'll be fun to see which left wing you take instead of Zetterberg. I'm sure you're going to have at least one, and hopefully you'll get a good deal on him.
Cheever just put up Provorov and got outbid to 2.
I think that's fine. I think Cheever is like, you took a shot on Provorov, who might be good, but probably you wouldn't expect too much. Jay decided to take the risk with $2. I don't have anything against either of those guys. Seabrook, though, the bid before for $7, he's someone who we kind of talk about on the show as being maybe not as good defensively, maybe relied on too much on Chicago. He had a huge year last year, 49 points. A lot of that came while Duncan Keith was injured, so I don't expect him to do that. But
he's in decline, but his situation is still good, kind of like Zetterberg.
Yeah, and Seabrook usually, like Chicago usually goes to defensemen on the power play, so he still should be able to get a decent number of power play points. He had 25 last year, even if you drop that down to 20. I think $7 for Seabrook with his blocks also isn't too bad. Because Zibanejad goes for 7. Okay, I wanted to see Brassard versus Zibanejad. That was something I was thinking that I would look at when they both went out. Brassard went for 7, Zibanejad went for 7. I'd rather have Brassard, so I think that was actually a good value. Maybe you think I'm too high on Brassard, though, because I was saying how he's good for Bobby Ryan. Also, keep in mind, everyone, normally when Brian and I do these shows, we like prepare a lot. I'm like saying all my opinions off the top of my head. Maybe like some of these, when I listen back, if I do, I might change my mind. I could tweet out if I change my mind about anything I've said. Gallagher finally goes $9. So we were having that big debate about Radulov versus Gallagher. Radulov went for 15, Gallagher for 9. For sure, I know for sure you're going to say Gallagher's the better value there.
Yeah, but again, it's what do I need on my team? Like,
yeah,
do I need bankable points or do I need upside?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's just such a big difference for two guys who I could still think that Gallagher could end up with more points than Radulov. Yeah. So good job to talk to Dahan. Maybe let's see his team at this point, who just picked up Gallagher.
Right now.
He's done pretty much all of his forwards. He just has 2 defense and a skater spot left, so maybe he'll want to get another and he just picked up Parayko for $11. So talk to Dahan, down to $16 left for 2 spots, which means he should be able to get some decent guys at this point in the draft. His team overall, he's got Backstrom and Monahan on center, Hoffman and Lucic, Tarasenko and Zuccarello, Gallagher, and then Klingberg, Vatanen, and Parayko, and then Jake Allen, then the Louis Domingue in nets. So maybe in nets is his one potential weakness, but a pretty nice team overall. I also like how he decided, since he got John Klingberg as his top D, to just forget about blocks, it looks like, and he went Vatanen for his second D. So he's got 2 potential power play point defensemen. Doesn't have to worry about getting the blocks.
Vatanen gets some blocks. Vatanen's above average in blocks. He's not a big blocks contributor, but
Parayko had 122 last year. Sorry, I know you're talking about Vatanen. Vatanen last year with 105, I guess 123 the year before. So maybe, I don't know.
Average,
Also, Vatanen,
but he's not like one of those like 70-80 block guys.
I guess so a bit more. So maybe we're talking like 1.5 blocks a game, like 1 block, 1 game, then 2 blocks the next game. Vatanen also, by the way, an injury concern. Maybe he hasn't played a full season yet in his career. Hopefully, this will be the year for him. Yeah. What are we seeing here? Evander Kane, by the way, just went for $8. I thought that maybe he would go for less just because of all the legal trouble and the struggling.
Speaking of injury risks, too,
yeah.
Well, Evander Kane full seasons.
When is the last time he's had a full season? Never is the answer. His highest ever was 73 games, and that was in 2010-11. So, so I guess for Filthy Animal,
I'd rather have the Schwartz for 8 that went right after him.
Oh yeah, Schwartz for 8 versus. Sorry, and what was it for Kane?
7.
Yeah, so Filthy Animal. Oh yeah, 8 also for Kane. So yeah, Kane versus Schwartz. I guess you got the shots on goal with Evander Kane. So if while he's playing, he's going to help you a lot in shots. Looking at Filthy Animal's roster, by the way, he has how much money left here? $5 left. So he's got $5 to fill 2 defense spots. Not a bad roster himself. I like Evander Kane at this spot as like his last skater. I guess it's your bottom skater. He's also got Patrick Laine, who he spent $8 on. So I guess you consider them both the bottom skater. But both guys with big upside for shots at least, and maybe points if things go well. Like Evander Kane still has the talent. And then he also has like Tavares and Patrick Kane. And then he has Dubnyk and Leonard and Marc-Andre Fleury. So 3 potential starting goalies in net. Maybe Fleury 50-50, but definitely he'll be good when he plays. So this is a pretty nice team. I'm curious to see how he'll fill out those defense spots. He has Markov and Seabrook, both guys who, like we've said, maybe aren't the best for points, but not the worst and still get power play time. Good for blocks also. So if he could get a couple blocks guys later on, he could definitely challenge in that category.
Yeah, Henrik Sedin went for $4.
Wow. That's up there with Zetterberg as like something that a couple years ago you wouldn't have expected to
old man discount.
Wow, and then Max Domi goes for $6.
Yeah, I like Domi.
Yeah, especially as a left wing at this point, someone who's probably going to get you 50 points. I think that's a pretty good deal for that price.
Yeah.
And we're getting down. We still have like 100 picks left, but I imagine it'll go by a lot faster now that people are running out of money.
Yeah, the last like 50 or so, it's just going to be like dollar sold.
Yeah, and still none of these guys have gone to Brian, by the way, so we're still excited to see which left wing. I would have thought maybe Domi could have been Brian's left wing for like $7. Maybe not. Maybe he would have been outbid. But I guess he still
Yeah.
has guys on his radar.
Yeah.
I'm looking through the list now. I think I might know who Brian's left wing is going to be. I'm curious to see if I'll be right about this.
Elon, I'll cut in here. Dummy was the guy. I'm just I'm having a real hard time pulling the trigger right now. I'm a little gun shy, which is not a good place to be right now. I want to keep my budgetary advantage.
Yeah, well, you gotta have guys to spend it on.
I know. So I need to get to work here.
But
well, you have $28 left for 4 spots. Domi went for 6, so we'll see which left wing you get instead of him. Still some good centers left. I see you still have an open center spot, but definitely some guys there. I have a feeling I know where you're going to go there also. I think I know who you're going to go for center and left wing at this point. I'm curious to see if I'll be right. I'll let you know when they come up. Nick Leddy, the aforementioned Nick Leddy. I don't know. So Jeff, he just went for 5. You think he would have gone for more if you would have brought him up like 100 picks ago?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, probably would have gone closer to 10, 100 picks earlier.
Yeah, Pulak
just
being on the team makes Leddy a little bit scarier just because maybe the young upstart can take the top reins on the power play. But, you know, Leddy's pretty solid with his probably going to get you 40 points. Hopefully more if he could be on the power play the whole year and does better than he did at the start of last season. So not bad. Of course, in our league, he doesn't provide blocks. I know I said that about Vatanen and you shot me down, but here for sure, 87 blocks last year for Leddy. So he's definitely like 1 block a game.
But I still like him for 5. And then goes to Bowties Are Cool, which if you recall is the team that bought Crosby, Pavelski, and Ovechkin.
Oh yeah,
and has since filled out their team a bit. They were quiet for quite a while, but they got a $6 Andrew Ladd, $6 Oshie, $8 Louis Erickson, $8 Jaden Schwartz, $9 Seth Jones, $5 Nick Leddy. Like, I think that's how you want to fill out the team when you did that, like at the beginning of the draft.
I mean, clearly he decided to forget about defense. Like he has Seth Jones and Nick Leddy, who could, by the way, get power. Like this is a team that's built to get him power play points, right? Like Ladd, Oshie, Erickson. Hopefully they'll all these guys look. Oh, Schwartz, all guys that look like they'll be on the top power play, as with Jones and Leddy. And it's goaltending Elliott and Varlamov. You know, not horrible,
not bad. Yeah, it's the price you pay for buying 2 top flight players, but those high single digit guys, I think those are pretty good buys.
I'd be curious to know at this point if Brian would want to trade teams with Bow Ties Are Cool. Because I feel like it sounds from talking to Brian here, maybe he'll chime in, but like sounds like it was really hard for him to spend a lot of money, like $56 on Crosby and $51 on Ovechkin. I don't know if Brian had the stomach to spend so much money early on, but I'm curious to know now at the end of the draft when he looks at this roster if he actually thinks it's okay compared to what he ended up with.
I'm listening to you guys talk about it, and I think it was a pretty good move, although wanting on defense for sure. But with Crosby and Ovechkin, it's like, how many weeks is that the edge to win your offensive categories? Like that's a terrifying tandem to have to go up against. So
Brian,
I'm into what they did. Can I play match? It's a little bit more boring than what I did. Yes, you can play matchmaker.
I want to. Okay, I want you to trade your top defenseman. So Giordano or Weber, Bow Ties Are Cool can choose. And then he's going to give you Joe Pavelski. What do you think? He probably won't do that, actually.
I doubt.
He needs defense.
I doubt that. I can make that happen. Like, Dennis Weidman, though, is now going for a fair bit. Like, I think there's still a lot of people looking for defense, so it'll be interesting to see how that wraps up.
Yeah, you're in a good seller mode right now, Brian. I think you take advantage of your defense to improve your team with trades.
That was a conscious strategy of mine, knowing that I didn't get any of the big players. I started going for who I thought, loading up on assets, trying to get the big assets so that I'd have the flexibility to make deals to get the guys I need. A lot of guys really are hard up for D during the year, and with 3, maybe 4 if Mike Green pans out, solid guys, I'm in pretty good position to flip one if I find somebody who can answer one of my own needs.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely report on the podcast if and when you make a trade. I'm sure we'll discuss it and whether we think it was a good deal or not for you. Someone's asking in the chat, by the way, Aaron is calling me out. Why does Brian need a left wing? Like I said, he has a center, forward, and skater spot left, so theoretically he doesn't need a left wing. But to me, I'd want to have 3 left wings on my team, because what if you have just one night where Parise and Steen are sitting, but like all your other forwards are playing, and then you potentially could have a forward sitting even though you had an open left wing spot. So I feel like I would want to. But you know what?
Also, Steen is already hurt, and Parise is
always hurt. Though I
Yeah.
guess actually Voracek has left wing eligibility. I didn't consider that. So
Yeah.
maybe Brian doesn't need a left wing if he doesn't want it. If it
Yeah.
was me, I'd probably grab like with these 3 skater spots, I would just grab a center, a left wing, and a right wing just to have like a nice balance so that you could play people every night.
Yeah. We should recap some recent buys that we just kind of ignored.
Yeah.
Draisaitl just went for 3. Neuwirth went for only 3, which I think is interesting given some backups that went for $6.
Yeah, I think Neuwirth for 3 definitely shows like where we are in the draft. He's someone who at some point in the summer people were considering him as like better than Mason. Maybe Brian has cooled their jets a little
like
bit.
if I was a guy who was sitting on like one goalie, I would have been buying Neuwirth.
Yeah, Brian, you should have bought Neuwirth. I guess is it just Brian loves Mason so much that he can't bring himself to buy Neuwirth. But then it's good because then if he's wrong on the podcast, then he could at least be right in fantasy or vice versa.
Yeah. Neuwirth not going to the Mason owner, which I find interesting.
Oh, you're a big fan of the handcuff. Well, I think
in a format like this, I think it pays off. Like especially with your second, third goalies being a tandem is just fine.
I guess so. I mean, it depends. Like maybe you just want to push hard to try to go for the risk. Like maybe talk to Dahan is hoping Neuwirth could steal the job from Mason, or Mason will just get injured at the right time and Neuwirth will get all the starts. And so the Mason owner is probably hoping that Mason will get all the starts, and maybe he'd rather fill his roster with other starting goalies. Like it depends if you want to be conservative or take a risk and try to like have all of your goaltenders playing potentially as starters.
Yeah.
I really think some of these other picks have been interesting. So yeah, it's been happening fast, which I guess is good because this has taken forever. But after Nick Leddy, there was Michael Stone, went for $2. Good for blocks, hopefully a little bit of points. Mark-Edward Vlasic, probably a similar thing for $3. I feel like that's even high for Edward Vlasic. But okay, Gustav Nyquist for $5. He's someone who was going for a lot more going into last season. People were so excited about him, but definitely had a bit of a fall. Reinhardt for $3. Reinhardt and Nyquist, actually, it's pretty nice to be able to get right wingers this late in the draft for that cheap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think part of it is there's kind of a bunch in that sort of lower tier, so you kind of can have your pick of them.
Yeah, and none of these guys going to Brian, by the way. I like some of these guys. I think
like they're not super exciting, but they're there.
I think that Gustav Nyquist is someone who maybe shouldn't be. Well, we'll see. This is going to be maybe a show me year for him. He's in his 4th full season.
Yeah, there's a bunch of Detroit guys there. You just don't know what their role is with Pavelski gone. Like you don't know their role. You don't know what kind of quality. Like it's not like, well, they're going to play with Zetterberg and Pavelski. They'll be good. It's just like there's a bunch of guys who are like probably 40, 50 point guys, but like how are they going to fit together and play out? Like I've been trying to hit up Brock Sagan about that stuff because he's like a Detroit guy, but haven't gotten anything out of him.
Right. It's hard to know anyways. Like I don't know if Brock is gonna have the answer. Maybe need like a beat writer. We'll just wait and see how the lines shake out.
I don't know. He seems to have his finger on that situation at least.
So right now, man, the picks are going fast and furious. Tyler Johnson just went for $9. So we've been lower than 8 or 9 for a while. And then TJ Brody went for $8, who we've talked about on the podcast recently. I think he's maybe a little overrated going to next year, but for $8, it's probably a good deal. And then Tyler Johnson, someone who could, if we talk about players who could theoretically, like I could imagine it without like having to strain too much, someone who could get 70 points. I think Tyler Johnson's in that conversation. I think he also has a floor of like 50 as he's shown us. But I think of these guys that have been going lately, like I really like Tyler Johnson. And for $9, maybe it's a lot, but I think that might be one of the highest upside centers that were left at this point.
Yeah, in terms of upside left, though, actually I see a center remaining who I think has 70-point upside, but
oh wow,
I won't name them just yet.
Okay, let us know when he goes off the board, if/when. Jaromir Jagr, someone, speaking of 70-point upside, someone who's had 70 points many years, maybe this year he's more of a 60-point upside guy, but Jaromir Jagr has a right wing for $2. I'll take it.
Yeah,
good pickup by the Chiefs.
He's just fine for $2. They're going to limit his ice time to keep him healthy, and he definitely saw that late last year. But his rate is still good enough that he'll be in the 50s or 60s. So,
the Chiefs here, if you look at his roster, Barkov, Carter, Gaudreau, Camilleri, Neal, Larkin, Kadri, Burns, Subban, Hertl, Luongo, Bobrovsky, Anderson. So I feel like he did a very balanced roster strategy. Like he spent big on Brent Burns at 52, and then he spent somewhat big on PK Subban at 37. And then aside from that, it's all just solid guys, including in a draft where it was so hard to get goaltending. He got Luongo, Bobrovsky, and Anderson for 24, 15, and 16. That's pretty good value for 3 starting goalies, maybe lower tier starting goalies, but still.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, Nikolai Ehlers just went for 9.
Yeah.
I guess I think Tyler Johnson has more upside than Ehlers for next year, but I do like Ehlers, and as a left winger, those are definitely harder to find than a center.
Yeah, Ehlers is also both left and right, which has value. I find position has more value later in the draft when it's a guy who, is going to be in like that util or bench kind of role where they're kind of fighting to get into your lineup.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Rather than someone who's just going to be starting every game they're playing regardless.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Like, on the other hand, just to make a counter argument, not that I disagree completely, but I do think there's something to be said for, you have, let's say, 3 spots you're going to use for centers, and you have 3 spots you're going to use for left wing. So if you use one spot for, let's say, Malkin or Crosby, then that's one less spot for maybe someone like, Tyler Johnson, who is obviously worse, but someone, $60 versus $7. You kind of have to look at the value that you could have in that spot specifically, regardless of when you took them in the draft. Because you have that money to spend elsewhere. Obviously, you have to be smart with your money.
But it's also there's only one Sidney Crosby.
Yeah, so maybe Crosby's a bad example. If you get Crosby, if you want to go that way.
Yeah.
So Anton Strawman just went for $5. Hampus Lindholm for $2. I'd rather have Lindholm maybe. So. Actually, I don't know. The thing is Lindholm going to still be on Anaheim next year? He's still not signed. He could potentially get traded and then into a really good situation. I think he could be a good sleeper pick for $2. Worst comes to worst, you just drop him. You only spend $2 on him.
Yeah. When you're spending a couple of dollars on a guy, you're not asking much.
Mm-hmm. So here's a guy, Kyle Turris. Speaking of guys with 70-point upside, he's someone who's done it before, right? Is he the guy who you were thinking about?
No, he's not.
Okay, I guess he hasn't done it exactly. He had 64 points one year was his upside. So maybe 70 points is a bit crazy. But he could have 60 to 65 if he could be healthy for a full season. And I'm curious to see where he's going to go. He's up to $4.
Yeah, I'd be happy with him for $4.
And is that what he went for?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about again with the center business, where you have.
I feel like there's a bit of just people are a little scared of Ottawa.
Right. I don't know. I guess the thing with Turris also is he might not be on the top power play, which would hurt a lot because the Ottawa's top power play. Well, the thing is, I guess they have Carlson out the whole time, and then sometimes they take some of the forwards and swap them. Yeah. But I would definitely want to have someone who's going to be out there with Carlson, and so Turris, if he could be there, a couple seasons ago, he was that guy.
Yeah, I think it's maybe a little like Detroit in that we don't know what the roles are going to be.
Right. But hey, $4 for Kyle Turris, that's good value because that's someone who could be a top center for you. Mm-hmm. Alec Martinez just went for $5. So now these are the guys I like better. Whoever got DeHaan, but obviously that was less. How much did DeHaan go for? A couple dollars. But Alec Martinez is someone. Yeah, he's mainly for blocks, 182 blocks last year, but he put up 31 points. That's why I liked Beauchemin last year because he had around 30 points. I don't see a reason why Martinez won't do it again. So I like this value. But $5 maybe is a lot.
The blocks guy that still gets you 30, 35 points. That's got value.
Mm-hmm. Riley Smith just went for $3. Another guy whose role is going to depend a lot. If he could be on that second line with, I guess it would be UC Jokinen and Trocheck. That's what was happening last year when they were having a lot of success. There's upside for that to be good, but it's going to be hard for Riley Smith to get on that top power play. Though my brain is started. I feel like maybe there was a time when he was getting good power play time. Maybe I'll just quickly head over to Dauber's site and see what his power play time was last year. You could comment on maybe some of the recent picks.
Yeah, Michael Delzato just went for $2. He's more of a blocks only.
He had a good stretch a couple seasons ago. Yeah. I don't know if I wouldn't.
He might put up the 30 points, but I don't know. He's a back end defenseman.
Obviously, it's very nitpicking to be $1 versus $2, but Delzato's someone for me that's $1.
It's what you get for $1 or $2.
Yeah, so Riley Smith had 45% of his team's power play time last year. So yeah,
there's the center that I see 70-point upside in.
What are we talking about?
David Krejci just went. For 9.
Just went. Yeah, I'm surprised people were saving money. I wonder if Tuukka's revenge. Too bad we don't have him on the line. Was he waiting for Krejci to spend that money? Why didn't Brian bid on him?
Yeah, I was very happy to. Yeah, Krejci's probably the kind of upside he wants. But yeah.
At this point, Brian has $21 left, and the next highest guy has 13. left. Or no, there's a 15. So Brian has the most money. He could have anyone he wants right now. Jeff Skinner just went for $5, who's one of those guys who's going to really be helpful for shots, but you don't know if he's going to get on the top power play or get like a lot of points.
You also don't know how many points Carolina is just going to score at all. So
right, that he's actually the first Carolina forward to go, and aside from Justin Falk, those are the only 2 Carolina players that have been drafted. No goalies yet, not surprisingly.
Yeah, so a bit of a fantasy wasteland.
Brian, you could get the tandem on Carolina. How about that? Hopefully he's not like, oh, you just gave away my secrets. Oh, Brian got someone. Brian Little for $6. Okay, that's good.
He was just waiting for someone named Brian.
There it is. Well, it's spelled differently. But yeah, like the hope is for Little, if he could stay on the top power play, even if he's bumped to the second line, plus even on the second line, he's with Patrick Laine. So if you're excited about him, you should still think Little could be good. So I like that. And at this point, the dollar value doesn't matter. Brian has so much money. Just get the guys you want. Like you said, he wants Little. Brian, when you come back, let us know. I'm curious to know, like, did you just know you wanted Little and you were just going to pay whatever it was for him at this point? Or did you have another center that, like, if you didn't get Little, you take the other guy? Because I have a feeling you're done for centers.
It was Little or Krejci, and Krejci went to $9 too quickly. So
at this point, do you feel still, like, how do you compare Little and Krejci? Curious to know your opinions on them. Like, do you think Krejci's worth the more money?
Both are second line centers. I feel like Krejci might be worth a little more with his power play time, but I got to get on bidding here. So
yeah. Oh, Druin is up. Oh, I forgot about Druin.
That's an interesting name,
especially to come up so late. He maybe has the upside. Like, we just haven't seen him in a decent role playing for a full season, and we're probably finally going to see it. Yeah. So like, you can't really. I'm sure your spreadsheets or whatever, probably have him low, but like, how can you know? And Brian gets him for $6.
But yeah, $6 I think is just fine. Like, he's a guy I kind of want to nominate early because hoping someone is high on him, and goes up into the teens. But
interesting that Brian has $16 left now to spend on 2 players. I don't know if there's any $8 players left. I wonder if Brian put himself in a situation where he could have spent more money.
There's reserves too.
Elon, if you can hear me, Fantrax doesn't show the reserves in the UI, so
Bishop is gray at the end of the team list.
So I have 6 picks left for that amount. So we're looking a lot at minimum bids now, and maximum bids, and there's a lot of teams in the same neighborhood as me.
Oh wow. Okay, so I totally have been misjudging because I've just been looking at these rosters, but it hasn't included the 4 bench spots. Okay, in that case, I guess your money is still somewhat valuable. So I take it back if I was like being like, why isn't he spending more a little bit?
Well, that's the only reason I spent more.
Sorry.
You ruined my draft. What a jerk.
You got $5 Bacchus.
But at this point, the reserve spot. So we still have, a few picks to go. And Brian, you still do have, I think, the most money of anyone left, even after buying Jonathan Druin.
Yeah, but check the maximum bid. I might have the most roster spots to fill as well.
Oh, lots to consider. I got to get up to speed, ready for my draft tomorrow. $11 max bid for you. Yeah, there's a couple people with a little bit more. So you won't be able to for sure get people who you want, but I wonder if you have anyone left in your... I'm sure you have some $1 guys on your mind that you just are hoping you'll get that guy for $1 and that'll be it. Hope you don't get outbid for them.
I hope so, but at this point, I expect like the last guys to go for $300 based on the way this draft has gone.
Well, that money's not out there. Boone Jenner just went for $5, and David Bacchus also for $5. So 2 wingers. Bacchus is a center, but I think he has wing eligibility, which is helpful for him.
Yep.
But yeah, 2 like Jenner, people really like, and I think he still has potential to do more than he's done so far. Only 23 years old, 49 points last year is really good. Like 30 goals, 49 points. But maybe he was overperforming. I think around 50 points is good for him, which then for left wing, I'll take that for $5. I think it's not bad. I would have preferred if it was in a league that counts hits, I guess, for Boone Jenner.
So earlier we were corrected. Victor Rask sold earlier, though he only went for $2.
Okay, why did I say something different, or we just missed him?
Oh, we were talking about Carolina players.
Ah, right.
He technically had gone earlier, but for less money. So
okay. Andre Palat,
Cheevers, who has both Rasks.
Could you believe Andre Palat goes this late? It's for $6. So I guess that's around the same as like Little and Henrique also went, by the way, for $5. Druin versus Palat on the same team, both went for the same amount of money.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Alex Edler for $4. Oh, I thought Edler would be a $1 guy, like just a super late pick. I'm surprised he got bids. You know, you could be looking at the number one.
Your dollar guy, if you put him up when people still have a little money to spend, can easily be a $3 or $4 guy.
Yeah, so maybe I feel like Brian is smart if he's not putting the dollar guys he's expecting and just hoping no one else brings them up. Maybe whoever put Edler up for bid thought they could get a steal, but no one's gone for $1 yet, right? Like everyone's been outbid, unless maybe there's some people who have put up. Oh, and I'm seeing here Calvin DeHaan went for $1. So okay, but aside from that, everyone's $2. So maybe it's because people put them out for $2 or not.
Like that $3 Golgoski, and we're on a break now though. So
are we?
Yep.
All right.
5-minute break at 4:00, 4:09.
So
3 hours in, how are you feeling about this?
Asking me or Brian?
Both of you?
I know for me, I've got a lot of work to do to prepare for my draft tomorrow.
Yeah. And you felt the pace, like just trying to like, think about and talk about a player, and then like there's another guy who's up for bid, and you got to like shift gears and start thinking about them right away. So
yeah. Brian, can you mute your microphone, by the way? Like you're doing a lot of shifting. Or maybe he doesn't even hear me. Someone's asking, why break with only like 50 picks left? Well, maybe this will be our time to, maybe we can sort of do our summary right now, and then we'll end the show like right when it's over. So at this point, looking at these max bids, that's like interesting. I don't know if we ever talked about that, Jeff, on any of our like drafting strategies episodes. Like how can you utilize the information of people's max bid at this point? The max bid is because you're forced by Fantrax to at least have $1 left for each roster spot. So even though let's say you have a certain balance, you have a max bid of what you could spend on the next guy.
Yeah. It gets to a point where that's who you can see like who actually has control, like and who's gonna, if they want a guy, they're gonna get him.
Right. So we're seeing here the max bid with the highest is Tuukka's Revenge with $15, and Brian is down at $9. So I'm curious to see now, Tuukka's Revenge roster still has its high max bid. He still has to fill 4 spots. Brian, the shuffling. Should have muted. Oh well. I like Tuukka's Revenge. I guess we've already talked about his roster a lot, but
hey, so I'm back. I left my mic on, so hopefully you didn't hear
Brian's
too much of my break time.
All kinds of crap, yeah.
we heard all the shuffling and stuff, and we were yelling trying to get you to stop. But
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah, so I heard you talking about the teams. I'm going to tell you the teams that I feel like are bidding and getting the guys that I want most often. You've got Cheevers, although that might be a goalie bias there. Tuukka. I'm just looking through the list. Tuukka's Revenge. Boat ties are cool. And who was the other one? There's one other. Analytics Anonymous, who I just feel I've been in a lot of bidding wars with. I don't know if either of us have gotten the guys that we've been on. Although I do feel like I look at every team and get angry, which is a sign that everybody has been making me mad and making plays for the guys I want this draft.
Analytics Anonymous, by the way, I think they have the fewest teams drafted. They still have 1, 2, 3, 4. They still have 8 spots to fill, and they only have $12 to do it. But
so and that's a result of them trying to bid me up. Like if they just left me alone for the players that I wanted, we both could have been happier.
Well, we'll see, right? Like, let's take a look right now. He's got Spezza, Taves, Pacioretty, Marchand, Kucherov, Radulov, Erik Karlsson, Shattenkirk, Corey Crawford, and then Alex Edler is like pretty much his only less than $10 guy. So it's a pretty nice roster of players. Obviously, he's going to have a lot of less than $10 guys to fill out the rest of his roster. But, not bad so far. I'm curious to see if he'll be able to, fill it out with some good sleepers. I still see some names on the board, which I would be excited about to have right now. I'm curious to know who you're going to end up with, Brian. I guess you can't share your secrets.
No, in fact, it has just been revealed in the chat. Analytics Anonymous, which is Dan, by the way. Hey, Dan, just responded saying it wasn't personal. And I'm like, what? We haven't been chatting, but he's obviously listening. And It's funny because I believe him. I 100% believe him. But I do remember him and there's one other guy, Sam. Sam, I have no idea what team you are in this draft, which is probably a good thing for you. In the mock, they were really coming for me and raising my bids, but we were all doing silly things in the mock. So I don't legitimately believe that Analytics Anonymous, or Dan, I should call him, not so anonymous, are you? Anyway, that Dan was planning anything malicious. I think perhaps we are working off similar lists.
Yeah. In an auction, you'll pretty quickly get a feel for who's thinking similarly to you, like who's in on some of the same players and is looking at some of the same things.
Yeah. It's and I'm very curious. Like I thought I need 5 players still, and I'm not loving A, what's out there, and B, what I think it's going to cost me. We've got a lot of guys who are max bid $1, $2, $3, but there's still Tuukka's hanging in there with a $15 max bid. Who do you guys think that Tuukka's going to use that bid for, or what position? It would be really helpful to know.
I mean, I could tell you who I think I would go for, but Brian, am I free to say that? Because I don't want to blow up your spot and name a guy who you actually want potentially.
Well, what should Tuukka be looking for?
Okay, I'm looking at his roster, and then maybe we could start after.
He's definitely looking for a third goalie with Greiss as his second.
Right. So let's see which goalies are available. Then we've got just at the top of the list, Vasilevsky, Vasilevsky, who knows what'll happen, backup right now, but people have been talking about whatever. Yeah. You have Lettinen, Mike Smith, Antiniemi, so a couple Dallas guys. We have still Mike Smith. I still think Mike Smith is going to get more starts than Demang will. So, and then you have Ryan Miller, by the way, still probably the number 1 goalie on Vancouver going into the season. I don't know if you could get Ryan Miller for like $1. I think that's not too bad. Like last year, what did he do? 916 save percentage, 17 wins. That's 17 wins is pretty crap.
Yeah.
But he missed
head back in. I'm gonna point out that Tuukka, who is listening, is asking Elon you to tell him who to draft. So maybe you can suggest John Scott or something. But anyway, okay. So I'm gonna go restart the draft. Thanks, guys. You've been very entertaining, and let's finish this thing off.
Okay, I'm going to just say, okay, yeah, you do it. You start the draft, please. Let's finish this off. Tuukka, I'm going to say that I think there's still, well, and I guess for everyone listening, I still see one top power play center left on the board. So I won't say who it is, but I'll mention it when that person gets taken. But I would definitely try to get that guy. But I mean, don't bid on that guy, right? Like hope that just like time will pass and you get him for $1 later on.
Yeah, it's tough. At this point, also, you have to nominate guys that you want, because if you put them up for $1, you might get them now.
Yeah, but the problem is, like what Brian said, I feel like we're just before that point because
we're not quite there, but you have to be careful. Like
right now, I don't know if I want to put it. Like right now, I think like for Brian, for example, he still has enough of a max bid where he could spend $2 on a guy he wants. Yeah. So, but maybe not $3. So maybe you don't want to put up the guy you want, or maybe you put up the guy you want, but for $2. So Yuri Hudler just went for $2. Potentially amazing value. We saw what he did on Calgary with Monahan and Gaudreau. What if he has the same opportunity with Ben and Sagan? So for $2, take that risk every day of the week.
Yeah. Also, like even if he's bouncing between the first and second line, those are both, I think, great situations. So.
But the real bread and butter would be if he could get on that power play. Like 2 seasons ago, I know it's so crazy, but in 78 games, he had 76 points. 16 on the power play. I guess shots are weak for him, so I can see why he's fallen so much. And obviously his age, and we don't know for sure. And then Nylander, same. Yeah,
Nylander for 2.
Both good. Like especially like I don't know. Austin Matthews went for so much money. He's a center. Nylander has winger eligibility, and I could see him getting just as many points as Austin Matthews. So I like that value. Then we get a $1 guy. So Cheevers put out Oscar Klefbom. No one outbid him. You know what? Potentially top power play defenseman on Edmonton. So we're taking some swings here, and I really like these last 3 bids. I kind of wish Brian would have had one of them. Oh, Brian got Goligoski for $3. I don't know, Brian.
Yeah, I like that.
I get $3. Well, I guess it depends who's left. Is he a block style?
$3. Yeah.
I guess Michael Stone is injured right now, so he gets to be in. And I guess 159 blocks last year. Plus, who knows? Maybe Arizona puts 2 defensemen on that top power play. Okay, who am I to judge for $3? Former podcast favorite Matthew Perreault. He just got injured, though. I saw. But anyways, he's only for $1. I believe he has a concussion right now, and he's day-to-day. So if he's day-to-day already, then probably he'll make the season or just miss a game or 2. But yeah, we're getting to these $1 guys.
Tuukka Revenge gets the $1 Nuge.
That is a shocker to me. That's not the guy I was thinking of because he's not a top power play defenseman on Edmonton. I think we all know who that is. But or sorry, top power play center. But still, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is someone who has recently had over 56 points. He had 56 points in the last 2 seasons before this most recent one, and then the 34 points in 55 games, which is kind of like a 56-point pace.
Yeah.
It's a great deal.
I love him for $1. I got him for $1 in the unofficial keeper, so.
I like it.
Yeah.
It looks like everyone's going for $1 now. I wonder who's going to actually get a bid now. Elias Lindholm for $1.
Yeah, that's what we're waiting to see.
Because people have these max bids available to them. Like we said, Tuukka's Revenge has he has $15. So come on, man. Well, maybe he doesn't want one of these guys. I don't know. I would have probably bid it. Oh, it was Tuukka's Revenge who got. I was about to be like, Tuukka, why didn't you bid more for Nugent Hopkins? But he's the one who got him for $1. So I guess that's great. I really like how that's looking. And Tuukka just got another guy.
Yeah, just bought Stasny for $6.
That's the guy who I was going to say.
Yeah.
That's the one I was saying. The top power play center left.
Goodbye.
I'm actually surprised that he is going for that much compared to some other guys, but I guess he has money to spend and he has to spend it. Might as well spend it on Stasny. So good job, Tuukka. You know, like you saved your money. Maybe you had to overspend a little bit. Maybe you could have spent a little more earlier on. I guess we'll have to see at the end of the draft to see, because I feel like he probably could have. But was he in a bidding war for Stasny? Like, why did it go up to 6? Was Brian bidding on him also?
Analytics Anonymous was in on him too.
I see.
Yeah.
We got Chara for a couple of bucks here. Now I kind of want to start watching the actual bids and then who's outbidding them, because I'm interested to see who's gonna like go for $1 versus who gets outbid. So Eric Stahl now up for $1. Will someone bid on? Oh yeah. So Jay and Eric Stahl is one of those guys who could potentially be on the top line and top power play with Zach Parise. So definitely worth more than $1.
Upside, yeah.
There's upside, but there's also like downside because he's been kind of brutal. So I like Jay getting him for $2 for sure. Who do you like better between Nuge and Eric Stahl for next season?
Well, Nuge, but I'm biased for some unknown reason. I don't know why I like him, but I do.
I mean, he's just been consistently good, I think. Brian put Niemi on the block.
I think I like Nugent Hopkins for where he's rated quite a bit. Like, I think he's as good a chance at 50, 55 points as a lot of guys who are going for like, closer to $10. So,
yeah. No, for sure. Like Nugent Hopkins has upside. Brian just gets Anthony
second goalie.
$4. So he actually put him for $2. I'm sure he was so pissed off when he saw that bid for $3 come in, but he decided to keep his composure, bid another $1. Yeah. Anthony Niemi, you know what?
Going into too.
Yeah, last season going into it, like Niemi was looking good. He really sucked though. Hopefully he'll be better this year. Hopefully Brian could get some wins, especially if he can just steal the job from Lettinen. He'll definitely get the wins. It's just a matter of if he could put up the numbers. Mike Smith just went for $2.
Yeah, so less than Domingue.
That's crazy. I think Mike Smith has more in him. I think he has another good year left in him. Last year, Niemi, a .905 save percentage. So, but before that, he was .914, .913. So it's back.
In the keeper league, someone bought Lettinen and Niemi for $3 each. So that was like $6 for the Dallas starting goalie.
I like what Brian's doing. Yeah, I guess you have to use 2 spots for one goalie, and Lettinen's still on the board, by the way. Brian had Rinne, who I'm sure wasn't his plan of getting. So then once he gets Pekka Rinne, he probably had to think in his head, at least that's what I would be thinking, is like, okay, I'm probably not going to take save percentage most weeks. Let me try to get wins. So why not take one of these Dallas guys? If you have all the Nashville wins and all the Dallas wins potentially, that could be pretty good.
And what I was saying, Tuukka's Revenge just bought Vasilevsky for $7.
Yeah,
and got bid up.
That's actually a lot of money at this point, especially for a backup. But I think Vasilevsky has the upside, not for now, but for like at the trade deadline, if/when Bishop gets traded, that could end up really bring up Vasilevsky's value. And to that point, by the way, Brian hoping that Dallas won't trade for Ben Bishop or something and make his Anthony Niemi worthless. Though he's got this trade locked in to get that goalie for the defenseman that I've already worked out for him. So I guess he's fine either way.
Done deal.
Matt Niskanen just went for a couple bucks. Seems about right. Now Elias Lindholm is on the block for $1. I have a feeling he won't get outbid. He had a good run at the end of last year. Oh, he did get outbid. So there you go. What do I know?
Yeah.
He ended up with 35 points in 82 games, which is like not bad for someone who is so under the radar. 106 blocks, so not great, but not completely trivial number of blocks, a little bit over a block a game.
Mm-hmm. Some of that I think was increased role when Carlson was out, but they might also put a little more faith in him now.
Wait, when Carlson was out for Matthias Ekholm? Oh, you're talking about Niskanen.
Niskanen.
Oh yeah, I was talking about Matthias Ekholm right there.
Oh, all right. They were right next to each other.
Yeah, well, Niskanen, yeah, we'll see. I mean, hopefully for the Carlson owner, he doesn't get injured. But Niskanen definitely is the guy that steps in when Carlson does get injured, and he did get injured last year. So who knows if maybe he has a bit of a higher risk. So it's not a bad pick for $2 for sure. Ryan Ellis, between Ryan Ellis and Matthias Ekholm, it's hard to know like sort of this second group of defensemen on Nashville behind Josi and Subban now.
Yeah.
I guess like for $1 or $2, but these are the guys who you expect to see like on the waiver wire a lot throughout the rest of the season. I wonder, like, I'm just going to take a quick look. I'm curious to see which defense, like, actually, Cam Fowler now for $1, I would actually take him over Ekholm and Ellis just because I think he has a good chance to be on the top power play. He was on the top power play last year for a bit because they would go 2 defensemen. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm like too far down on Matthias Ekholm. I was actually surprised to see that he had so many points last year. Marlowe is up to $2 for Brian. Did Brian bid $2 to start?
Oh, Tuukka bid his max 4.
Wow. An unexpected jump for Patrick Marleau, I guess. Tuukka's revenge. You know, I wonder if he was just waiting to.
And that's his last buy. So
I was wondering if he was just waiting to see who Brian would bid on, and then just like outbid him and trust Brian's judgment. That wouldn't be a bad strategy at this point.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know how Brian feels about that. Marlowe's a guy who had his worst season, I guess, ever last year, 48 points. But you know, even if he could do that again, it's probably worth it for a couple of bucks just because he takes shots and is on the power play. Oh, and Brian goes Eddie Lack. Oh, I didn't want to like say it out loud. I thought that Brian was going to go for Lettinen for his second goalie.
He still could.
Well, now we would have 4 goalies at that point. I don't know if he's going to go that way.
Well, when only one of them's a starter, you might need those extras.
Well, I kind of like I like what Brian's doing here. This is kind of what we were saying about do you go for the handcuff or do you go? Yeah, I feel like Eddie Lack and Niemi both have a shot to get most starts on their respective teams. So why get Lettinen? If you think that Niemi's going to get more starts than Lettinen, then why not go for Lack?
Yeah.
But it would have been nice to just lock in those Dallas wins. But maybe also Brian doesn't want to risk too much because of like what I said about potentially Dallas trading for another goalie if Niemi and Lettinen are as bad as they were last year.
Yeah. He still could get Lettinen, so he's not done.
We'll see. I'll be interested to see if he does it. Brian still has money now, right? Like, looking at his roster, I'm seeing a $5 max bid to get 3 players. Is that the most? Everyday in Bufflin has 6. So it's close. There's a couple teams with 5, but he should definitely be able to bid on at least one more guy. Ryan Kessler goes for $1. Ryan Kessler, who I guess we talk on the podcast as being not that great, but for $1, he had 53 points last year. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's like overachieving considering that's the most he had for a lot of seasons, actually, back to 2010, 2011 when he had a lot, 73, but since then he'd only ever had 49.
Kessler's also a rare forward who gets more than 30 or 40 blocks.
Yeah.
He actually puts up like 70 or 80.
He had 92 last year.
Which I like that in like a bench util kind of role.
Right. Like you don't want to consider blocks when you're drafting your forwards early on. Mm-hmm. Like you want to just get the forwards, they'll get you points because you're trying to trust your defense. But yeah, if you could just get help in blocks without using a defense, and from someone who could hopefully also give you like a 50-point pace, which I think is reasonable to expect from Kessler, close to there. Yeah, good job. Good job, filthy animal. I like that $1 for Kessler. Then we had Chiefs get $2 Tyler Myers and Toivo Teravainen for $2 to new team 10. Again, Brian has Radim Verbata on the board now for $2.
And started him at 2? Like,
I guess Brian's just knows who he wants and doesn't want to get outbid. I'll be interested to ask him after, like why he did the $2 bid for Verbata of everybody. But you know what? We're only a couple seasons removed from Verbata having 63 points on Vancouver 2 seasons ago. And obviously playing with Sedins is a little bit different, but maybe if he's playing with Max Domi and then Hansel, or maybe if like Dylan Strome could take the job, I see upside for Verbata to have like one last good push.
Yeah, he's got it in him. And Arizona, I think, has shown a willingness to throw like really young guys with really old guys. Like they seem to like that kind of pairing.
Plus, you know what? Last year, Verbata, who we all agree had a horrible season, he still took 199 shots in 63 games. Yeah. That works out to a 260 shot pace. So he was still putting pucks on the net. Mm-hmm. I like it. That's an outside of the box pick, and I like it, Brian. That's why you are on this podcast.
I'm listening again at you. So thank you for Verbata, because I heard your first reaction, and it made me. I think I probably could have had him for 1. There's probably one guy left that I'd like, but I have 2 roster spots to fill.
And how much money do you have?
I have a max bid of $4 and $10 overall.
I thought you said you only had
Yeah,
two roster spots.
the only thing is just like
No,
there's
you have
no
$5 overall, Brian.
Yeah.
Not 10. But anyway.
Oh, sorry. I was looking at somebody else's team.
Okay, well, Brian is on the board right now with his max
and I
bid.
just put my max bid on Marian Hossa, which cements my last player is going to be a dollar guy.
Wow, you know what?
So Brian, why didn't you nominate and bid for Lettinen to pair with Niemi?
I think, I don't love what they're gonna do. Like in weeks that Rene puts up a half decent save percentage, I don't know. I didn't want to waste two spots on I don't feel like fully committing to Dallas at this point. So we'll see. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's it. Like I think I got Lack as sort of a hedge. So, we'll see if Lack or Niemi, if one of them can overcome their situations and take the lead. But I didn't feel like having two awful goalies, even if they have a decent shot at giving me a win on a night-to-night basis. Like if the Stars play 3 to 4 times in a week, each goalie gets 2 starts. I could get 0-1 or 2 wins, which may not be that helpful in the great grand scheme of things. So I think I'm going for a big result in net instead of just an incremental help with the handcuff.
Brian, are you seeing what people are saying about you in the chat here? A lot of comments about how you have the old man team, and you really cemented it by getting Verbata and Hossa with your last picks.
Old guys, I have nobody excited, like nobody super exciting to cheer about, except I guess Jonathan Drouin. I honestly probably bid a couple bucks higher on him just to have a young guy to root for on my team, because they're really, there's not a lot of youth, not a lot of youth on the team.
It's all guys who you only need them for 1 year to be good, right? You don't need them to like be good for a keeper league. We're looking at Thornton, Parise, Steen. I'm just looking at guys who are over 30 years old. Shea Weber, Giordano, Keith Yandel, Mike Green, or I don't even know how old Mike Green is, but he seems like he's been around a long time. Pekka Rinne, Anthony Niemi. Yeah. Well,
by the way, I like that Trocheck for $1.
Yeah, Trocheck for $1 later on is good. I also like David Perron, by the way, for $1. I think he has upside to be a guy who could get a lot of shots. Like, hopefully he'll get in the top 6 in St. Louis. Like, maybe he could play with Jaden. Oh, no, I guess he and Jaden Schwartz are both left wingers. So who's going to be the left? Oh, and Steen is the left wing on the top line. So I guess, Perron could be outside of the top 6. But if they could maybe give him a right wing spot.
He might get some play while Steen is out, though. So who knows?
I just wrote Elon. That's why the conspicuous silence. So the best I can do while he gives me a thought is to
Brian, I can answer
fill in the air. No, wait, are you going to say 1 or 2?
I'm not going to say a name, but I'm going to say that I don't know. I feel like it's really hard. I think maybe one has more trade value potentially, but the other one I like also as someone as a really sneaky pick at this point. So I think you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to see who he'll go with.
The second guy I named has trade value? Is that what you mean? Or
the second. I don't know if this is good podcasting or not. But the second guy has trade value. The first guy I think could be really sneaky and more valuable than people expect.
And my pick is coming up. So here we go, everybody.
He's either going to take... Who could say it now?
Well, no, because if I get outbid...
Well, let's see who you put up for bid.
Oh, okay. I have 15 seconds. Give me that time.
Okay, well, you do that. Ryan Miller went for $1. I don't know, Brian, if maybe you should have just gone for Ryan Miller for $1. But anyways, you couldn't outbid him anyways. Calvin Pickard also went as a backup who could challenge. I like also Michael Bodker for $1, potentially top line guy. Brian, that's who I would have taken. Mikko Koivu for $1. Of course, he has to get out. Of course, he might get outbid actually. So maybe I'm being too quick to be like, I like that pick.
I don't know. I also don't know if it was wise for me to share like how much I was thinking about this, but it looks like nobody is outbidding me.
You know what? I think the rest of the people made a mistake. I feel like maybe new team 10 or one of the people that have another max bid. Like this is potential also. Like I know we talked about Eric Stahl, but if it's not Eric Stahl, it could be Koivu, or they could both get have good seasons theoretically. Like that's potentially top line, top power play centerman. Not bad.
I still have a pick? Do I still have a player to fill?
You tell me, man.
I don't know. It's this user interface, man. It looks like I'm off the board.
No,
so I think I missed a guy somewhere.
No, you're full.
Yeah.
Good job, Brian. So your team is done. Let's just finish off.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
So by the way, I was just saying Mikhail Bodker for $1 could be good because he can potentially, he put up like 50 points last year. If he does that again for $1, that's not bad. David Pasternak for $7. What?
That's his last player. So
he just like bid all of his money.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a really good one. I had forgotten about Pasternak. I admit it. I guess I wouldn't have gotten him anyway.
Yeah. I like to call that the mic drop bid, where it's your last player. You just put him out for your max because it doesn't matter.
So who would you like more between Tatar, who just went for $1, or Pasternak that went for $7? I kind of feel like I'd rather have Tatar.
Why?
I mean, they're both functionally dollar players.
Yeah, I guess Tatar I see as some. Well, actually, no. Pasternak he just hasn't played a full season because he was injured last year. But it is true now that I'm looking. Like when he did play, he had 26 points in 51 games. It's half a point per game, not great, but maybe he'll have an increased role. Tatar is just someone who, first of all, takes a decent number of shots, which I like. Well, I guess he had 165 shots last year, so maybe I'll take it back. It's not even that good. 45.
I definitely
points.
prefer Pasternak of those two. But
okay, you guys are right. Yeah, I'm convinced. They're the same.
So now can I join you? So we have Tatar for $1 after Pasternak, and then Parento for $1 as well. I think a lot of value being found late in, like with my Mikko Koivu as well.
Mm-hmm. It just goes to show that you don't need to. You could still get good guys,
right?
Even
if you want
big at the beginning.
Yeah, if you want the guys that you want, then you're hard up. But if you're okay to settle and be clever with your last couple bids, I still, on the whole, I still have no idea how to feel about this whole thing.
Well, I guess afterwards you could reflect on your team. You got a trade to make, which you've already worked out for you.
Yeah, we'll see if Cheevers is up for it.
Jacob Markstrom just went, which I find interesting because Lettinen still isn't gone. Do you think Lettinen's just going to go undrafted?
So I'm starting to wonder that the Dallas tandem, I wonder if I killed Lettinen's value by drafting Niemi. Nobody wants to have just Kerry Lettinen on their roster. And to be honest, my immediate plan was to pick him up for another couple bucks right after. And then I sort of had that whole thought process out loud with Jeff.
Or
I had it internally first about how Lettinen, like the value he adds to my team is likely minuscule, and I don't see him running away with the starter's job. He's had 2 years to do it, at least. So, that's interesting. There's also still there's a starting goalie available after Miller, after Smith. Have you noticed, Elon?
I see Cam Ward. Are you talking about him?
Yeah, I guess Cam Ward. I guess, is it fair for me to throw names out at this point?
Well, yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Andre Pavlik?
Yeah, Andre Pavlik is still out there.
Yeah, but I think people are just thinking that Hellebuck's going to steal the job, so I wouldn't consider him a starting goalie.
I feel like, we talked with Nick on that on the show about like which goalies play better with pressure. I feel like Pavlik could fight for his job. And I think I just think he's going to be given so much rope to work with that the chances of him stringing together a few good starts is pretty good, to the point that I don't, like, maybe they split 40 and 40.
So I wonder if, Brian, you might be well served to grab, since you have, Pavlik just got put up, so forget him. I was going to say maybe you pick up a free agent early on to, get a fourth goalie and then wait a couple of weeks and see which ones pan out better, since Eddie Lack isn't a sure thing. And
who do I drop?
I don't know. It's tough. I guess maybe you'll get lucky and get an injury, which I know sounds weird.
Well,
but it's like,
actually, Steen is IR eligible right now.
Stash Steen. I see a couple backups here who I think could challenge. One of them we've talked about on the podcast a lot. I guess I won't mention him now and blow up anyone's spot. You know what? Actually, Brian, I think maybe I
think you're okay to blow up spots.
All right, fine. I think
Jonathan, you've been blowing up my spots all
I haven't mentioned guys who I think you should be drafting or anything. But anyways. True. Jonathan Bernier, I think, could get more. A lot of people are high on John Gibson, but I also think that maybe Bernier will get more starts than people think. And I know a few people in the Facebook group have expressed that as well. Fabry just went, by the way, one of the guys who we think could potentially have a great year. I'd probably prefer him. Will you let me say that I'd prefer him than David Pasternak?
No, I would still like Pasternak.
Not allowed.
I think there's more room, and I think the Bruins need Pasternak to break out more than the Blues need Fabry. The other guy's taken Jake Gardiner for $1, Mitch Marner for $1, which I like that as a late pick. Fabry for $2.
Bufflin dropped the mic on Mitch Marner.
Yeah, mine
Okay.
went for $6.
Oh, for $6, my bad. David Savard with $1. Anthony Duclair just gone for $1. We must somehow there's a team, Darren Helms deep. 7 players needed.
Oh shoot.
For $1. Actually, you know what? I'm looking down this list. This draft is not about to end. We have Darren Helms deep with 7 players left. Hanson Brothers with 5. Oh no, sorry. It just gets rid of all the people. It repeats the teams.
Right.
I'm sorry. So just a few teams with big rosters to fill.
So guys,
Analytics Anonymous is the only person who can actually spend more than $1 on someone.
Nice
so guys,
place to be.
we've been sitting here for 3 hours and a half now. So I think maybe we'll end the show because I think I'd like to go.
Yeah.
Well, I actually wanted to just ask Brian what he felt about how the whole auction process went.
So I have to say it was a unique experience just because I was listening to your commentary the entire time, and I think I summarized my thoughts earlier, which is I wish I had come in with more of an open mind of what I was willing to pay instead of coming in with values from another draft that is just a totally different market. So I have a bunch of middle guys. I spent up on the guys, like I was waiting around for guys like Steen, Hornqvist, Voracek to come to me. And thankfully I was able to outbid at the moment. So I can't say I'm overjoyed with my roster, but I do think it's pretty solid top to bottom. I don't have a lot of scrubs happening. Like Marian Hossa, I'm pretty happy with. If he stays healthy, like he could get 50-55 points, and he and Verbata were my last pick. So that would be the lesson. My takeaway from this is to really pay attention, and I would have my tiers ready, but I wouldn't necessarily give guys dollar values going into the draft unless I had a really fancy model to do so. The thing is, people aren't going to abide by your model, so it could just go out the window.
Yeah, one of the hardest things is sort of adjusting what you're willing to pay based on what other people are paying for things.
Right.
It's very tricky to do given the pace of an auction.
Yeah, and I was dead set on getting Carlson, Letang, or Burns, and they all went up very, very soon, and they all got bid higher than I was willing to go. And in retrospect, I think that was okay. It's still hard to say. I see guys like Franz Nielsen going now, and Justin Williams, Ryan Pulak, someone took a chance on. Jacob Silverberg is now up for $1. There's there are a lot of guys who I probably could have had Carlson and Justin Williams instead of Mark Giordano and Mike and Shea Weber. So I don't know yet if that was the right choice. I'll have to see how my team fares against competition, and hopefully I won't have to make too many in-season moves to make my situation workable. I'm not in love with my team, but I think they can manage it. They definitely did skew older, and I think that's one thing that I came into the draft expecting was that older guys are going to be cheaper on the whole. Everybody wants that. To be the one to root for and say, I have him on my fantasy team, that burgeoning young player who's breaking out this year. So in my case, go Jonathan Drouin, but otherwise it's Old Man City all up in the Flamingos roster.
Yeah, so it'll be definitely fun to track this all throughout the year. We'll be talking about it on the podcast as we're discussing everything on the show. This has been a lot of fun. Next time I'm not sure if we're going to release this as a live episode or not. We're going to have to decide if it's episode worthy. But thank you so much for joining us, Jeff. Like, you've been amazing, a great co-pilot here with me. I've had a lot of fun. And
I love auction dynamics. So I like seeing how things play out and the different strategies people employ. Like Cheever's going buying 3 goalies and then sitting for a while.
All right. So, and then. Oh, actually, people are asking in the chat for me to leave the stream up. Okay, can you guys keep talking?
I don't mind keeping. I'm curious, Jeff, from watching this as an outsider who wasn't frantically updating lists and checking things and trying to multitask to the extreme. What stood out for you? Aside, you said Cheever's goalie strategy. I don't know if you have any thoughts to share on Cheever's on their roster as it is now after that goalie strategy and how it compares to the others. But I'm wondering if you, if any other strategies interested you or how you might have managed this draft.
Yeah. Looking at Cheevers, I was skeptical of spending, that much on goalies, but I do like the way they filled out that team with, I mentioned this in the middle, with Couture, Shen, O'Reilly, Patrick Sharp, Palmieri, Simmons, and then their defense is kind of a mess. Boschman, Phaneuf, Risto, and Weidman, but that's still not bad for low endy. So.
I also feel like I'm looking at how much they paid. Oh, and here comes Severson, who a lot of people forgot about. That's a buck. Yeah. That's a great one, and it ties right into the point I was just making about Cheevers' D, which is that $7 for Boschman, and you've got $4 for Phaneuf, and who was the other $5 for Weidman? Like, those are okay values. I think maybe they could have done better, even with like $1 to $3 guys to fill out those three non-Rasmus Ristolainen spots. But interestingly enough, they ended up, I was targeting Couture, Cheevers got him. I was targeting O'Reilly, Sharp, Simmons, Talbot, Rask. We were, and Sedin. He ended up with a lot of the guys that I had specifically marked as guys that I wanted to plug into my team. And despite spending all that on goalies, he still got them.
Yeah, I think they definitely went in with a plan and then knew who they were going to target, sort of to fill out those teens and single digit spots.
Yeah, and I'm looking at another roster now.
But actually, before we move on, I think unless I'm mistaken, Cheevers was in an auction last year. I think they were in the Ottawa division. So makes sense that they knew what they were doing in the auction.
Okay. A little Ottawa division shout out there.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the other roster that had a lot of my guys, and actually looks like Dan at Analytics Anonymous just rounded out his roster with Marian Gaborik, which I think is a great value pick at this point in the draft. In fact, of all the guys, Burakovsky and Anders Lee, Sekera had just gone previously, I like Gaborik out of a lot of these dollar guys. He ended up with Spezza, Pacioretty, Radulov, Edler, Carlson, Shattenkirk, which is actually, and Corey Crawford. So I'm wondering what I did wrong here. Actually, looking at Dan's roster, like he got Carlson and he got Shattenkirk, and Edler was a great value pick that he actually outbid me on at $4, and he did all that while adding a legit goalie in Corey Crawford, who. Jeff, you weren't wrong earlier in the show when you said that I hadn't been his biggest fan, although it was Elon who was harder saying that Scott Darling was going to take over the #1 job. But I didn't give Crawford the respect he deserved until about last year. Before that, I just considered him an okay goalie on a great team, and he's actually an above-average goalie on an above-average team. And I think with our save percentage and save points, I would have been happy to spend another $7 to upgrade my Rene to Dan's Crawford.
Yeah. One of the things that happened was, and we talked about it, that sort of that middle tier of goalies, like that third tier, all went for close to the same price. They were all up in like the mid 30s. And, I think the person who bought Ben Bishop for 39 is pretty happy about that.
Yeah. And again, a guy I considered going for. I mean, a lot of the goalies, it was, in an auction draft, another thing I learned is there is a sweet spot where value meets it like comes out perfectly. And it's high. It's sometimes high at the start of, sometimes it starts slow, and then it'll get back high, and then somewhere in the middle it dips just a little bit, and then everybody gets upset that they didn't get in on that, and they realize that they better rush to get their guys. But it felt like that lasted this entire draft with goalies, like the whole way through. So that's also something that I'm coming away with here, which is, I had my list of guys that I wanted, but I wasn't necessarily prepared to really invest in them when the chance came, and I paid for it in the end.
Yeah, like I think that soft point in the goalie market was exactly Henrik Lundqvist at 31.
Right, one pick long.
Yeah.
And I actually had Lundqvist as kind of a bellwether to see, okay, so everybody values him quite a bit. If he goes for 31 or whatever he goes for, I feel like the next tiers down will go for a few bucks less. Like guys like, I can't remember who I was in on the bidding for now, but I'm trying to pull up my list. I knew Dubnyk was one of them. Crawford, Allen, even Halak went up high. Mrazek went high.
Yeah.
Quick, Schneider, Jones, like all these guys just went for an astronomical price.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm back.
Wow. So you're back to see 3 picks from Darren Helms Deep and 1 from the Hanson brothers. Darren Helms Deep just picked up Carl Hagelin, which is a nice little grab.
Let's look at that team, which is going to end up with a lot of dollar players.
Yeah, I have it up right now.
Yeah.
So who did they get at the start to really end up in this position?
Let me give you their roster in terms of like most to least money, or I'll just like they have Kuznetsov and Connor McDavid and Martin Jones. So those are the big spending guys. Then they rounded out with like Huberdeau, then Hagelin, like you said, Okposo, P.A. Parenteau's like late, Scheifele, John Carlson, Pulak, Severson, Spurgeon. So definitely it's his defense where he decided to make sacrifices.
Carlson in dollars.
Carlson in dollars. Then he has Ryan Johansson, who's a decent skater position guy. And then he has Halak and Jones as his goalies. And then he has Brouwer and Franzen. So yeah, we'll see if he can, hopefully Connor McDavid, Kuznetsov, like John Carlson, hopefully those guys can carry him. And obviously Martin Jones. And I think, is that it? Is the draft over? We just have 2 picks needed for Darren Helms Deep. So, guys, thanks to everyone in the chat room for joining us and for sticking around the whole time. I hope you enjoyed it. If this ends up being an episode that we release, I hope you enjoyed it. Tweet at us at Keeping Carlson. Let us know what you thought. If you didn't like it, don't worry, because it's not our regular episode. We're going to be back with a regular episode next week, of course. And with that, I guess... Let's cue that outro music. I could go put that in.
Cue it.
It's cued. And Brian, what should people do as Darren? So he just, by the way, took Justin Abdelkader, and he has 1 pick left. Who's it going to be? Kari Lehtinen.
No, it's Kari. He's listening. He is listening. Well, he followed that up with a comment, Mr. Irrelevant. Yep. I was almost licking my chops, except I didn't know. I don't want to carry 4 goalies. It's not worth it in our format this year, in my opinion. But now I certainly won't be carrying 4 goalies. Thanks to the very last. I can't believe it.
Well, you know what? I could even see him like having a couple frustrating weeks with him not getting starts and sucking when he does start. Maybe he'll drop him, and then maybe you could get him in Fab. Okay, Jeff, thanks again. Brian, congratulations on your team. I think it looks okay. We'll see how it goes. I've got a draft tomorrow. Hopefully I haven't screwed myself over too much by telling all of my opinions. See you, everyone. Thanks for listening.
See ya.